Hey guys, it's not a sport.
Okay, wrap it up. It's not a sport.
It's over and goodbye.
Not a sport? Huh? Who gives a shit?
Welcome back to the LEC. Get ready for the match of the week in the battle.
The systems are overloading. We can't risk another game.
We need to take a break and regroup.
We're starting to lose our mind. Captain, we cannot go back to ELO hell. Last time it took us months to get out of it.
Initiate break protocol.
Hurry up!
Yes! Yes! I did it! We did it! We did it!
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
You shine like gold. Oh yeah, you show me where and I will go. Oh yeah, for you I would sell my soul. I'm not giving you up.
The planet and us are connected. We share its veins. We can continue to clog them, or do something about it. By using millions of recycled plastic bottles in our new generation of durable washer and washer-dryer tubs, we reduce plastic waste from leaking into nature's veins. Discover Beko Eco Tub washers and washer-dryers for healthy living on a healthy planet.
You took me to a state of mind. Oh yeah, a place I never thought I'd find. Oh yeah, believe me, I would never lie. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. I'm getting higher and higher. The skies are falling. Desire, the fire within burn brighter and brighter. Your hands on my skin and I never felt this way before, my love. You give me feelings, don't you ever stop. I know addictions can be dangerous. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. You're my nirvana. You shine like gold. Oh yeah, you show me where and I will go. Oh yeah, for you I would sell my soul. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. I'm getting higher and higher. The skies are falling. Desire, the fire within burn brighter and brighter. Your hands on my skin and this way before, my love. You give me feelings, don't you ever stop. I know addictions can be dangerous. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. You're my nirvana, na, 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 na.
Come on. Come on. There's gotta be a way to get us somewhere. There's got... What's that? Is that... I'm free!
What? Is this my good side, or where's the light? I don't...
Afia, I'm back!
You left? What the hell? I just thought Kevin canceled the show or something.
No, he begged me to stay when I told him I was leaving.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Okay,
did
well-
not. Now please get on with the show.
Anyway, hello, good evening.
Welcome to LEC Update, the show you never thought you needed, and once you've seen it, and you'll never escape.
I don't think that's it. Say the line.
Once you've seen it, you'll know for sure.
Okay, awesome. Yay, I'm Afie the Portere.
I'm Christopher Ryerson.
It's finals weekend, and while some legends return to the show,
Yeah, thank you.
others left it. Last weekend, former LEC champions, MSI champions, and world finalists G2 were eliminated from playoffs and denied a spot at Worlds for the first time in the organization's history. And Misfits lost too.
Oh, well, I thought G2 had all the elements needed to remain a great team. Mickey, Wonder, Yankos, Caps. My grandfather Quickshot used to tell me stories about the old days, a time of peace when the perks kept balance between the Risk Tribes, Lane Kingdom, WoW Nation, and Missing Spear Nomads. But all that changed when the Reckless Nation was signed. Only the perks mastered all four elements. Only he could stop the endless inting. But when G2 needed him most, he vanished.
Adam absolutely crushed Wonder last weekend. I mean, can you even call him a rookie anymore? After today, you will have played the same amount of games in playoffs as he did during the entire regular season. He also locked in two of his favorite picks versus G2, Olaf and even Darius in Game 5 to take the series. Looks like Carmine Corp made it to Worlds after all.
And I guess Adam just isn't a fan of cake. Ironic that even a reskinned 2016 G2 could make Worlds this year, and in a way, Perks will still be taking Caps to Worlds.
Speaking of NA, how about Alfari making it to the finals?
Yeah.
Again, I mean, imagine that, a 10th place player in the LEC dominating all of NA.
Whoa, calm down. He was by far one of the best top laners in the EU before he left.
You've changed, dude. What is that?
No, I'm being serious. He was first all-pro that summer, too.
Oh, all pro. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I remember when that used to hold some weight. That aged well.
Well, the fans made one really good decision, at least. Can't wait to see who won MVP.
Well, Alfari dominating is just one reason NA fans should get excited about this year's Worlds out of a total 2. The other being that the majority of their players are going to feel at home now that Worlds 2021 is coming home to Europe. I wonder why that is. Now, our 3 Worlds attendees are locked in with Fnatic, Mad Lions, and Rogue. Although expectations are mixed for Rogue after faltering to the reigning champs last week. They just aren't as inspiring in the playoffs as they were during the regular season. And they certainly aren't the same godlike best-of-1 team that we all know and love.
Oh, no.
Hold it, Christy, come on.
Sorry. Well, the Mad Lions are back to being the apex predator in the LEC, but there's only one feline that's #1 in my heart.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, your kitty cat, Jack.
Jackie!
I thought it was his time to make an LEC debut.
Aww.
What a cutie. I love it. As for the Mad Lions, Humanoid has been looking far more machine than man this year. There's really no more Humanoid dies. Instead, it's usually the other mid that cries.
Yeah, and the Lions are actually so good, you might confuse them for...
Cheetah.
Cheetahs?
Like, yo, they're a bunch of cheaters. Cheetahs.
Ah,
like
yeah.
too good to be true.
Yeah, cheetahs. But
good one.
trust me, there's no
Thank you.
scripting going on except for the fact that Kevin is a big, stinky, poopy head.
Nice.
Not cool.
Seriously, Christy, you think that's funny? Are you 5 years old or something?
Give or take, yeah.
Well, I, for one, hope that EU's performance at Worlds is more convincing than you quitting the LEC.
Oh, I only ever said I was leaving. Check the tapes, which I did.
I wish you stayed on.
Hey!
Well, for LEC Update, I'm Afie the Portere.
I'm Christy Frierson.
Get back in the desk!
I don't want to go in the desk!
Now!
I don't want to go! Please! Not the desk!
Berlin, Germany for the LEC Finals weekend. Fnatic, they fought their way back through the lower bracket, but two series still remain on the road towards the LEC title. Tonight, they go up against Rogue, who have a lot to prove after their opening weeks in the playoffs. I'm really happy to be joined by Ender and by Treats. Obviously, I'm actually really happy to see you.
You were giving me the cold shoulder just a second ago.
I know.
It hurt my feelings.
Everything for show business. Treats, nice to see you. And yeah, made it to the finals.
I did, yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's tomorrow.
Oh, that's tomorrow,
Yeah,
sorry.
True. Yeah, definitely the finals weekend will be fun. Sucks not playing, but it's also fun to be here with you guys, so we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely looking forward to your insight. And of course, last week we saw the end of an era in the LEC. For the first time in the organization's history, G2 will miss out on the World Championship, Ender.
Yeah, I mean, just really shocking, honestly, watching them over the course of the year, because even if you look back to spring split, you know, first in the regular season, there was hope and it was disappointing, but you always felt that they would be able to pick themselves back up and, you know, finishing still towards the top of the standings, but it is not the G2 of old, the expectations where for the last couple of years, they've made it all the way to the top and won everything.
Yeah, I had a lot of G2 copium coming into playoffs, but I think it's really clear that they don't really have the same touch as they did before, so it sucks to see, but it's also cool to see the new teams come up strong as well.
Yeah, you can't say that the teams who did make it don't deserve it, right? But it does leave a big question mark for a lot of people, being where did they go next, Treats? Because to me, it kind of feels like if you make such a big investment, we should call it as well, right? And such a big gamut in terms of the roster with Reckless, and it doesn't work out, how are you ever going to build up that synergy?
Yeah, it's really tough. I think it's hard to say what they need and what they don't need. You have to really be on the inside of the team to figure it out. But yeah, I think there's definitely going to be changes, but we'll have to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I think even just looking at social media right now, Carlos has been very vocal. Like, he does not want to lose, right? This is a team that their aspirations they don't just stop with winning Europe. It's about winning Worlds and going all the way. I just texted him last night. He's like, I'm winning Worlds next year. I'm like, okay,
all right.
I want to see it happen. But, you know, it's cool something
story,
where, yeah, you know, I talked to Carlos, big deal. But no, I feel like this is going to be a situation where they do have to do some soul searching and figure out what to do next year.
Yes, we're excited for the next chapter of G2, and they may have fallen short versus Fnatic, but G2 also had their moments, like last week's MasterCard Play of the Week. And I think regardless of how it all ended up for G2, we have to say Caps and also Jankos have had a tremendous playoffs on.
Yeah, I mean, good regular split too. Caps and his movement is still so fire, continuing to be one of the best mid laners in the league. And I think this play itself, the fancy feet, able to make it happen and escape towards the back end of things as well, is just really impressive.
Yeah, Caps, when he's confident, you can really see it in his play and his movement. And this was one of those plays that was just really crisp, and it's so cool to see when he's on form.
I'm definitely going to miss Caps at Worlds. Of course, all the others as well. But now we should focus on the teams that are still in the running as we get a nice little extra shot of Caps, being Mad Lions, Rogue, and Fnatic. Now, Mad Lions, they make it to a back-to-back finals, and Rogue, and Fnatic will be our 3 representatives at Worlds 2021. Of course, Worlds is confirmed going to Europe. The location is TBD. For all the information, you can follow LOL Esports on Twitter.
It's coming home.
It is coming. Is it coming home? The home region never seems to win, but we'll see. Treats, yeah, at the end of the day, I think there was a lot of discussion, but Rogue, Mad, and Fnatic deserve it. What are your expectations for what they can do at Worlds?
Yeah, they 100% deserve it, and I think obviously it's easiest to be most excited about Mad so far because they've shown really crisp play in their mid game. So I think we'll have to see Fnatic and Rogue. They have their chance to make me impressed today as well, and we'll see how they do.
See, that's what it's all about. You got to impress Treats when you're at Worlds. Now, be sure to join us tomorrow from 11 a.m. for the LEC Finals warm-up. 6 hours of great content before the Summer Finals. Games, cold opens, content, DJ set from Lumix, so much stuff.
I mean, last split we had the hot tub stream from Carlos. I hear there's like some kind of Twitch chat plays Scuttle Crab. I don't know what that is.
Every chat.
Oh, sorry.
Whatever chat
I have
you're
a bit
in.
of an affinity towards Twitch chat,
Yeah,
but it's
I
all
know.
chats. And yeah, I mean, I'm for one going to be playing that.
I'm super excited for chat plays Scuttle Crab, but also all the rest. It's going to be super exciting. It's going to be like we're all here together, even though we're not. You know, you can party from home, watch your show, and then watch hopefully an insane finals. But let's look ahead towards today's semi-final and the stories. And for Fnatic, the pressure of playing for an organization like Fnatic is tremendous, especially for a new player to the LEC stage. And Adam, he handled it exceptionally and earned the title of Rookie of Summer. Next stop, Worlds.
Attention, on sait pas qu'il est là, Slacker du côté des Misfits.
On va le savoir bientôt, on va le savoir bientôt.
Adam, il est très dangereux. Par contre, il ne peut pas cliquer cette lanterne. Il y a tellement de wards dessus. Et Adam devrait tomber. Quoique Adam qui fait un super double kill. Adam qui est en V3. Dans quelle plaide ça part. Agressivo ne peut plus rien faire. C'est terminé pour lui aussi. Et c'est peut-être la game qui vient d'être gagnée par Adam. À lui tout seul sur son Darius. Triple kill.
They'll break open the base. And they'll go for the back in. Adam! Double kill. And they're looking for the rest.
Now for Adam on the weak side, as Law was talking about, is going to take a not so favourable trade here. Is at risk of getting dived here.
He flashes forward, flash away from him. It's Razork flashes in, wind becomes lightning, goes wide. Adam's going to try and heal up. He survives, he kills Razork. It's over, it's done. Give it to Fnatic. Fnatic get two. Upset looking for more of his one to TP it in, perhaps to his death. Caps getting chased away by Adam in a pure 1v1. The cleaver! Adam! Surgical precision from the doctor in the house!
How do I feel about it? Don't have time as Adam's getting yanked again.
There's the paranoia as they look for Adam. Haymaker comes out. That's a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Flash away. A good face breaker there. Pupu coming in with the Threat of the Hunt as well, but Treats doesn't have the mana. There's the showstopper. Adam takes the highway out of there. Manages to use Treats as an express train to safety.
Is there, but Broken Blade can't follow it. And now Upset's found a reset. Now it's Adam in the midst of the entire team. It's disaster for Schalke. And here comes Adam. Double kill for Upset. Resets. It's a bounce house, baby. The triple for Upset in the end. Adam plowing through the team.
What a fantastic video to celebrate your success, Adam, through the summer season. Congratulations on being the Rookie of Summer here in the LEC. I mean, it must not have come as a surprise given the rapid journey that you had from, again, the LFL to reaching Worlds within a year. But I want to know more. What is your drive as a player, and how do you explain that you had this amazing journey? Because it's not like every player can do what you did this year.
I think that I was pretty well around when I joined Fnatic. I wasn't alone, and everyone in the team helped me improve so fast and made me really confident right at the beginning. And like it's really amazing to have these players which are not really egoistic, and they were willing to help me a lot and to improve. And thanks to my work and their work too, I mean, I could improve that fast, and I'm really grateful to have them.
And it's amazing to see your development with Fnatic, Adam. And talking about this confidence, I was curious to see whether you would be able to bring your pocket picks that we knew from the LFL in the LEC. And I mean, picking Darius Game 5 against G2 means something, especially about this confidence. But I want to know, how did you work to get this confidence? Because to get these experienced players to trust you on Game 5, the game that would get you to Worlds, to pick your pocket pick, tell me about the confidence with the Fnatic players.
I mean, like, I think that to gain trust from my teammates, at least I have to earn the trust, right? I mean, like, people have to trust me, and I should have, like, how to say, prove myself in the past for them to trust me now. And I think that I kind of did it by the past, and that's why they trust me really hard now, and that's why they let me pick Darius in Game 5. I mean, of course, Darius was a good pick too, but it's not really a meta pick, so people can really, like, can you pick something else? But everyone in the team was like, no, you can just pick Darius. And none of my confidence comes from, I mean, I'm not a pessimist guy. Like, I always come into the game like confident, trying to win. And it's not because I'm facing G2 Game 5 or whatever in Game 1, 2, 3. Like, I mean, I don't really care, right? It's just a BO1 for me. Every game is like a BO1, like a BO5. I really don't care. It's like I take one game in another, and I'm as confident as all games, basically, and that's why.
We'll see if this confidence shines through today's Best of 5 series. You're going to face off against Rogue. Remember, before you joined the LEC, you were telling me that Odoamne was the best top in the league. You're going to have a rematch in Best of 5 against him today. Your take on Odoamne compared to you, and how it's going to go for you in the top lane versus him?
I think Odoamne didn't play really well against Mad, and I think it's my time to shine again, I would say. I respect Odoamne a lot, as usual. I really respect a lot this guy. He's really strong, and I really admire for his level. And that's why I respect him. That I will try to be stronger than him during this BO5 because I always need like to have someone to outperform at least in one game, and Odomne will be my target today.
Let's see if you can check Odo from the list today. Adam, thank you so much for the interview. Félicitations une nouvelle plus for being the rookie of summer. And Shox, back to you.
Thank you so much. Amazing interview with Adam, and I think it's a surprise to no one. He won, and now Adam and Fnatic, they've had an incredible journey so far in the lower bracket for a spot at Worlds. They already got that in the bag, and now they've got their eyes, of course, on the LEC title. You know, the story of Fnatic this year is pretty crazy, Ender.
Yeah, I mean, because it goes all the way back to the start of the year when they lose Rekkles, who's been with the team for so incredibly long. That immediately going to start casting doubts into the minds of fans. But then spring, not too bad. All of a sudden, into summer, they make even more risky changes, dropping out Selfmade, another huge star in the roster. But Bwipo's transition into jungle has been excellent, and Adam's introduction to the scene, flawless.
Indeed, and they won 3 Game 5s in a row to make it here. In the LEC playoff streets, a team has never done that. What does that say to the momentum and the synergy of Fnatic at this point in time?
When you start winning a best of 5, when they win their first best of 5 and they get this confidence until the next round, it's kind of the same thing again, where they're like, oh, we just did this, guys, we can just win this best of 5 as well. And then suddenly they have 2 best of 5s, and then they have extra confidence going into the third one. So I think they have a lot of momentum coming into the series against Rogue, and I think they will show this today as well.
They haven't won a title since 2018 for Fnatic. It's a bit of an immovable mountain. That's what Yamada used in his speeches as well. They are at the top of the mountain, and I think you have to talk about kind of the synergy, especially also between Hylissang and Bwipo, the 2 longest standing members on this Fnatic roster. And so much of what the team does in games starts and ends sometimes with those
100%. It does very much feel like the Fnatic style is the Bwipo and Hylissang style. The go in, the go forward. We've known it from Hylissang for so long, but I think it's only elevated too once Bwipo was put in the jungle position, because so much about the team in the early game, especially that series against G2, was get lane prio, get Bwipo into the enemy jungle, and he is going to kill over and over again. And the second Hylissang can get out of lane and help him do it, he is going to.
Yeah, I mean, they've always been a scary duo, and Bwipo in jungle just makes it kind of easier for Hylissang as well.
Yeah.
They have a better click in the game, and they don't really have to overstep or Bwipo TPs down or runs down to bot lane. It's way more natural for them to sync up.
A success story so far in the lower bracket, really superlative over superlative. Fnatic, they've proven so much already, and I think for Rogue, their competitors today, it's mirrored in that for Rogue, there's been disappointment so far in the playoffs. They were, again, the best team in the regular season, but come those best of 5s, I feel like they still have something left in the tank, because we haven't seen peak Rogue in best of 5s this playoff season.
It's true. I mean, even in the organization's history, it feels like it's been a little bit of a letdown, because this team for 2+ years now has been a top team in Europe, and yet they've never made it past the final hurdle. In the past, it was the G2s that would knock them down. Now it's Mad Lions in spring finals, and now again just last weekend too. This team they're so strong at beating teams. They're so consistent in the regular season, but it does truly feel like come best of 5s, come playoffs, when other teams have leveled up around him, that you start to see some of the weaknesses shine through. Their mid games, knowing what to do, knowing how to close things out, are the explicit strengths of a team like Mad Lions of this year, of a team like G2 in the past, and that is why I feel like we see them get exploited come playoffs time.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, because if you're a really good best of 1 team, it should feel easy to adapt this into a best of 5 as well. And I think it's kind of a question of time when it really clicks for Rogue. I think obviously it hasn't done that yet, but I think it will come at some point, and maybe it will happen today against Fnatic.
We'll see. Of course, for a lot of players on that roster like Hans and Odo, but also the rest of them, they got so close to winning that title in spring. They really want a chance to get back to the finals. And throughout the regular season, though, one player stood out from all the rest, leading his team to the top spot. This is your LEC Summer MVP.
Is having probably one of the best individual performances we've seen this summer from anyone on any team.
Transdimensional teleportation, go!
Here comes Inspired, and it might be time for an equalizer. First blood to Inspired.
The range is just so long.
Caught out by Inspired, he's going to have to try and jump across this wall. lands the knockup. Inspired wins the 1v1 in the jungle. Inspired here, he knew the Scuttlecrab was available on the top side. He knew that Whippo would want to go for it, and now he's in the perfect spot. Inspired just reads them. Crescent Guard's gonna knock back Niski, knocks him so low, but Inspired! How are you this smart, man? What the
Everyone take your places! And I'll get back!
Back depth from Schalke. Both the players looking for something. Plus the Crowstorm prevents the engage. Now the chase forward as Inspired manages to leap over the wall.
Here comes the Crowstorm! Ask whatever damn question you want of the Raven. It's a murder in the bot lane.
Inspired, congrats on being this summer MVP for the LEC this year. Congratulations. What does it mean to you to get this title today?
I mean, what does it mean? I mean, it's a nice reward for the hard work that I like put into the whole split, basically, and even the last split, because yeah, I mean, I just practice every day to win the LEC, and getting like award MVP is just shows that people like see the work that I put in. So yeah, that feels great.
You're the third jungler to get it in LEC history, actually, after Jankos and Trick before that. What sets you apart compared to the other LEC junglers this year, especially? You were talking about your dedication to the game and how much you work. Tell me about more.
I'm not sure. I think I just, especially like this split, I think I just try to make decisions that help my team a lot, and basically I don't do many mistakes, and I think that's very important when you play as a jungler, because if your jungler doesn't make mistakes, then it's easier for your team to play, because enemy team can't really snowball from that, and I think I'm good at it, and I don't make mistakes, and because of that it's easier for the team to play.
And you improved so much in such a short time, actually, because you started playing competitively in 2017. You arrived a couple of years ago in the LEC and quickly became one of the best, if not the best, jungler in the league. So talk me through your success and where do you see improvement as a player? What are you the most proud of when you think about your career so far?
I mean, I didn't really achieve much in the LEC yet. I was in the final, I guess, but I don't know what's like what I'm the most proud of. I guess this is like the first step, and the next step will be winning the LEC. So I will keep working until I will get there, and I think this week is a pretty good chance to get it.
It's going to be a good task for you, maybe, to see if you can get a step higher. But thinking about your evolution and everything, if you were to say something to your former self, the player you were when you started playing competitively, what would you say?
Don't tilt. Just always be positive, and I think it will help a lot.
All right, well, I hope it was going to help you maybe today, but for now, thank you so much for the interview. Congrats again on being the MVP, and best of luck against Fnatic today, Inspired.
Thank you.
And Sharks, back to you.
Thank you so much, Laure. You know, I get it. If I'm Inspired and I'm in that position, I'm about to play my semifinal. You don't want to be, I guess, too super overexcited, but you could see that it means a lot to him because he is a very deserved MVP of the regular season.
Oh, 100%. And from the start of draft to the end of the game, Rogue is inspired in so many ways. They try to draft prio lanes around him. He plays so much to get leads. It's about these small leads from invading the enemy jungle. You can see it right here as well. It's all about getting inspired ahead in the early game, and he's so good at doing it.
He is. Treats, talk to me about what a winning formula is for Rogue when we have this information about how important Inspired is for the roster. I believe you wanted to look at specifically the game 3 that they played versus the Mad Lions, that they ended up losing, but it has the elements that we want to see out of Rogue.
Yeah, it's the classic Rogue draft where they have a lot of prio and Inspired can kind of be unleashed. I think it was kind of weird seeing them in the first 2 games not really go for the style and go for something completely different. And in this 3rd game, they did end up losing it, but this was definitely the best like Rogue draft that we've seen. So I think they need to do this type of draft today against Fnatic if they want to win the series. And I think this is what made Inspired get MVP, this like high prio lane style with him being on an aggressive champ, and I think that's their formula of success.
Does that also fit in the meta still?
I think it absolutely does, and I think it's been this way for a long time, especially in the way that Rogue like to try to play the game. I mean, ultimately, there's two ways of going about it. It's about either get prio lanes to have your jungler go nuts inside the enemy jungle, build up leads in this way, or about playing around your lanes and trying to attack them. And I think that Rogue, because they have such strong laners, especially when they are in good matchups, they can get leads on their own. They don't need help getting bailed out of lane or anything like this when they have a solid draft. Instead, you can come out of lane, and the old Rogue, the Rogue that was always at the top, would come out of lane with 10 CS in the top lane, 15 in the mid lane, a couple in the bot lane too. It's this type of style that makes Rogue so consistently good in BO1s.
Now versus Mad, we unfortunately saw for Rogue that even when they had a good team fighting comp or an early game advantage, they ended up losing the games. What do we think this looks like versus Fnatic? Meaning, how does Fnatic then stack up versus the way Mad likes to come back in games? Will an early game lead be enough for Rogue to win games versus Fnatic?
That's a really good question. I think it really depends on how sharp they are today, because we haven't really seen Rogue have these like insane team fights where everything clicks for them. So I think that needs to happen today, and I think Fnatic is kind of like Mad, also a very aggressive team that likes to go for a lot of fights, but they're not as sharp as Mad. So I think it will be slightly easier for Rogue today, but they also need to step up a bit for sure.
They do, and we know that Fnatic is also pretty insane sometimes when it comes to the early games. Let's take a look at Bwipo's kill map versus G2. If you remember, we did the same thing versus Vitality and Misfits. What do you read from this map, Treats?
I think the biggest thing that I noticed is that there's so many kills around the top lane, like in the lane. They got a lot of kills around there, moving with the mid jungle towards top side and get these kills. And then after Adam was secure in his matchup and after he was confident, then they move bot side and they have these kills between the towers and in the jungle, and they go really ham. So it's kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, it's like in the top lane, laners are pushing against Adam and you're punishing them for over-aggression, whereas the bot side, Upset and Hylissang, oftentimes, I mean, last week Adam was killing people too, but Upset and Hylissang always going to be killing, pushing on that bottom side, setting up for dives. It's a very different style of punishing when a wave is going to be crashing. You can definitely expect that around an Upset Hilly lane.
As we look at some early invades from the side of Bwipo, we heard a couple of weeks ago, I think it was from Mephisto from Vitality, who said that Bwipo, he studies a lot. He uses like unconventional ideas, etc. Do you see that in his play in the early game?
I mean, you absolutely do. I have not seen a jungle performance like this in a long time, where you're just relentlessly killing your opponent jungler over and over and over. And Jankos, unfortunately, didn't quite get the level up. I think he had one of the Raptors stolen away from him. But Bwipo is in there deep. He's punishing. And this is something even veteran junglers don't often do, because there is inherent risk when you're running all the way towards the enemy side of the fountain when enemy lanes can try to collapse upon you. But because it is such a well-oiled machine for Fnatic, it works, and they listen to the calls to play around Bwipo.
Yeah, it makes it really fun to watch as well, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think when Hylissang and Bwipo are running around in the enemy jungle, it always looks really fun to watch, and it's always scary for the enemy team. So I think they will have this today as well, and it's about how Rogue like adapts to it and how they respond. So that will be super interesting to watch today.
Let me throw you then this question, kind of like the previous one, but for you know, the side of Fnatic and Rogue. Do you think Fnatic is a similar team in that if they do get an early lead, that they can keep pushing? I say that because I feel like Fnatic is a team that does overpush sometimes. And how equipped is Rogue to catch the throws if they do come?
Ooh, that's also a tricky question. I think they definitely have some tendencies to throw as well. They've done so in the past in the regular season and a few playoffs games. So I think both teams have tendencies of having this mid-game slump. So we'll kind of who is the sharper today? That team will take it for sure.
Absolutely. And who bans or picks TF? Let's talk about this. For Fnatic, it was such a big talking point rather versus G2, how they kept getting their hands on it.
So first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and say, let's ban the Twisted Fate. Let's remove that from Nisqy if we're Rogue. That's going to be a good look, because honestly, I see a lot of similarities in like the champion pool, the Twisted Fate for Nisqy, like the Rise for Humanoid. These global champions that can force numbers advantages. It disrupts the Rogue playstyle. It stops them from being the ones playing with initiative, and you have to get rid of those options.
Oh, absolutely. Nisqy's up versus Larson in this one, and I think for me, as Nisqy takes a little nap, he is up. Thank you.
Oh.
Oof. Yeah. Larson is a big question mark for me. Can you guys kind of explain to me, maybe Treats, how important it is for Rogue that Larson shows up today to make sure that they get to the final?
Yeah, Larson has had a pretty of a shaky playoffs, you could definitely say. He's always someone that Rogue needs to click for them to win games. And I think statistically, he hasn't looked bad at all. It's just kind of weird that the impact you feel from Niski has just been all over the place, whereas Larssen has been a bit more relaxed in playoffs for sure.
I think so much of it is to the styles of the player. Larssen is a player that shines when he's allowed to play his game, stay in lane, dominate, build up CS leads. Niski's a guy that's going to run around the map on something like the Twisted Fate. So when Rogue are succeeding, when they're doing really well, Larssen looks unstoppable. He looks like maybe even the best mid laner in the league. But when Rogue are struggling, he's not necessarily the player that will come up and fix things and solve problems in the other lanes for Rogue.
Yes, we haven't even talked about Odo or about the bot lanes. We will during this series, of course, but I need your predictions. 30 seconds. Who wins and why? You get 10.
10 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and go with a Fnatic 3-2 vote. I think it's in the script here, in all honesty, and their disruptive playstyle is going to get the best of Rogue in the end.
Treats.
Yeah, so far it's been a 3-2 every time I've been in the studio for Fnatic, so I'm going to go with a 3-2 Fnatic.
Wow, 5 games again. Let's see what happens. Discord voted 3-1 for the side of Fnatic. We'll see what happens. This series is for the right to challenge the Mad Lions for the LEC title, as Rogue look to kick Fnatic down from the top of the mountain.
Fnatic will join Mad and Rogue at Worlds for Europe, and G2 are going home. Fnatic make it through to Worlds.
Actually being able to represent Europe now is making me feel so proud. Like all my hard work has paid off in a way.
Eyes on upset. Eyes on upset. Eyes on Tristana. That's 4 so far this fight. With the true shot barrage, upset kills Reckless. Upset kills Reckless. And you gotta say it twice because it's just that important.
Upset finally conquers the demons of Worlds, and he makes it there, and he puts in a statement series.
We use it perhaps too much, but it's the end of an era.
I really wanted to win and send my boys, especially Elias, Upset to Worlds. He has never done it. I'm very happy we're going together. Rogue is a team that is very strong. We are not to be underestimated, and I think we can take them for sure. Yeah, I mean, against Fnatic, we're for sure very confident.
Against Fnatic, I think it should be quite easy. They are just like worse Mad Lions, I would say.
We're good enough, so it will be very sad to see such potential wasted for stupid reasons.
And now the flank is on the run. Oh, Bricko with the pillar! Oh, he apprehends him out of the flipping build wall! Flipping way! Stopwatch. And you're still on the front line. It's back from the back. A great kick on to Kazi. Kazi trying to survive with the Immortal Shiver. And someone doing so much work! And someone doing so much work! 13,000 damage! What? Haymaker after Haymaker landing here, but it's Rogue coming out on top.
I can assure you all of them wake up in a cold sweat once every few weeks, reminiscing about that lost Game 5 versus the Mad Lions.
And once again in the Kings match, Mad Lions dethrone Rogue.
People always doubt us. They even thought that we are gonna lose against G2. That us winning in Spring was just some luck, but that's not true.
I don't wanna get too cocky or anything. I wanna keep feet on the floor.
I misplayed that fight, sorry. Same.
Yeah, we won this, but we still have another BO5.
A statement win from the LEC champions, the Mad Lions. They're sailing up as favorites to defend their title.
He's behind you. And here comes the quickness. Kaiser immediately dives onto Larssen, and Larssen is popped.
How does Kaiser keep getting away with it?
Yaro goes on to Larssen straight away, and he's dead before he can even get the stuck card out. And somehow Mad Lions have brought it to life. How the freak do Mad Lions keep winning these fights?
We're just better at being decisive in the moment and playing kind of like psychos.
We've had times where things were rough, but like our mantra, we're on a mountain, just making sure that our mental is in the right place. I couldn't be more proud of this group.
Winning the LEC would be like the cherry on top right now. Every time we play best of 5, I feel like we get stronger and we learn something from it. So winning the LEC would of course be the best thing possible.
Well, it will mean everything to win. It's what I've been playing the whole year for.
We are super confident, and we definitely think that we are the best team in the LEC.
And now, welcome to this series, Fnatic versus Rogue. We are moments away from Champion Select. I'm Dracos. Joining me, as always, Kadril and Vedius to bring you what should be an incredible best of 5. But a lot of questions are on our minds. But on the fans' minds, it seems like it's Fnatic, no question, all the way.
Yeah, I mean, they've been to 15 games so far, haven't they? No matter what, you're going to play at least 3 games here, 18 games. They've played a regular split in under 2 weeks, basically.
They certainly have, and they've fought their way through the gauntlet. They have shown that they have only gotten better as the games have gone on. But I think that the series versus Mad did not show us the full potential, the full skill level of this Rogue roster. I really feel like that they made Mad work for those wins, and I'm hoping we can see a stronger Rogue in today's series.
And it's so incredibly critical for Rogue, too, because I think that if they do win here and it looks sloppy at all, their fans are not going to have any faith in Rogue on the run back against Mad Lions. Because while you said, when you look closely, much closer series, still a 3-0 at the end of the day. And if you want to build that confidence, you have to come out swinging here in this first match. And Fnatic are not the same opponent as Mad. Rogue called them Mad Light, but even that, I think, might be an unfair characterization.
And I think confidence is the most important thing. You just touched on it there. Fnatic must have a lot of confidence coming into this. Like we said, 15 games. They've been through the absolute gulag to get here, and they're mentally trained. They have a great mantra behind them, but Rogue looked so defeated when they lost to Mad Lions. It's all about bouncing back for Rogue and keeping the train of momentum for Fnatic.
Well, we are going to be jumping into the draft for Game 1. It is, of course, the semi-finals of the LEC Finals weekend. The winner will be moving on to fight Mad in the finals tomorrow. So, without further ado, let's see what gets removed. I imagine that the Varus is going to be taken off the board. Things like Thresh will also likely be removed. We saw a huge priority on Lee Sin. Kadril often actually being first picked from both these teams if it was an option.
Yeah, jungle definitely contested. Viego, Lee Sin, Xin Zhao seems to be the aim of the game. Xin Zhao falling off a tiny bit, I must admit, but I think everyone's minds will be on Twisted Fate. Is Rogue gonna ban it? We saw Niski get his hands on it 4 out of the 5 games against G2, and every single early game looked crisp and clean. He was everywhere on the map. Now, I will say, I wouldn't blame Rogue for not banning TF in Game 1. Game 1 is all about testing the waters and see what you can get out of Fnatic. Maybe Larsen has an answer. Maybe they've seen this TF in action and they have something to match into it, but banning it's always a good idea.
And testing the water is doubly important because we've seen the meta, even in playoffs, even in series, change series to series and week to week. First, it was Xin Zhao versus Viego every single game. Trundle rising in priority, not just in the LEC, but internationally. A lot of things are going to look different. Already seeing a Kennen banned away from Ottawamne on red side, limiting some of his potential early picks or counter picks in the case of this draft.
Yeah, and there's a Renekton ban as well, targeted at Adam, just taking away blind picks there for him. And maybe if Rogue were looking at some kind of last pick support for counter, just take away a blind pick top from the side of Ottawamne. Xin Zhao taken away, just talked about Lee Sin. TF still up, is Rogue gonna ban it?
Rakan is the other one that I was thinking about. Perhaps they're willing to make that trade. You know what, Game 1, we'll give you Twisted Fate because we believe that we have an answer to it, and then we'll actually pick the Rakan for themselves. Pike. With the Pike being banned, this suggests to me a potential Braum somewhere in the Rogue draft, but we'll have to wait and see. With Twisted Fate, with Rise all up and available, Fnatic are spoiled for choice.
Yeah, I mean, if blind pick Braum comes out, Rakan will come out from Hylissang 100%, and if the trade-off does come through, as much as I like it, could be dangerous blinding Rakan, but Rise picked up. This is why I like testing the waters and not banning TF, because they don't even go for it. They go for the Rise. Aphelios Trundle picked up already. Wouldn't be surprised to see Fnatic match it with AD jungle here.
And while we have seen technically the Trundle be a flex pick, early expectations will be that that could go into the jungle or should go into the jungle in the hands of Expired, something that will keep our eye on moving forward. But no contesting, as mentioned, of Niski's mid lane champion pool. Essentially, he's played 3 champions, 1 game of LeBlanc across the entire series. And Rogue, we were wondering, hey, are they going to go for the triple ban instead? As you said, spoiled for choice and now upset with the Aphelios locked in on the opposite side. Will opt for the Ezreal, something safe. They have shown that they can play around the Ezreal if they want to, but they can also just leave him on an island.
I mean, Fnatic could get themselves the Rakan here if they want to. It was very big in their series last week against G2. We know that Hylissang is very comfortable on the champion, but they may want to lock in something like a Lee Sin as well. It very much depends on their preference, and it seems that Rakan is going to be the priority.
9 games, 100% win ratio. This champion has been insane across the entirety of playoffs, no matter who has picked it up.
That's exactly what I was going to say, right? This Rakan is undefeated. The only worry I have here is I think they can get a really hard-winning bot matchup here, Rogue, if they want to. Something like Leona, you know, Nautilus, some kind of aftershock support. Even Morgana is going to make it so that lane phase is really difficult for Fnatic. So yes, you've got the Rakan. Yes, Hylissang has it. It'll be good in the mid to late game, but early game it's definitely going to struggle. We've seen Hylissang pick Morgana into Rakan lanes. I think the last time I saw Trimby on Morgana was in the finals against Mad Lions, and they were so far ahead with Caitlyn Morgana, but they just threw the game. They were so far ahead in lane itself, but they just couldn't close it out.
And Trimby certainly a player that we've come to know as more of the playmaking champion supports, as is most of our top supports in the league. Have to see how he can handle the Morgana. A lot of skepticism when Hylissang was the one to pick it up. See if Trimby and Hansama can make more of an impact on this champion, because it does limit or not really provide a lot of the engage options that like his Rel or his Rakan may have.
Yeah, now just looking at expectations here for the draft, Fnatic maybe banning out mid laners or counter pick tops on 5 to give Adam an easier time. Rogue obviously going to take away junglers, Lee Sin taken away. I wouldn't be surprised if Viego banned, and maybe, just maybe, Whippo might have to go something like Graves.
Ooh, that's a good point, because his champion pool is being pushed to the very brink. We did see him bring out the Jarvan last week as well. We know that he's familiar with things like the Olaf. Debatable if that necessarily makes the most sense into things like a Felios Morgana in this situation.
Good one, Betty.
But with the Lee Sin and the Jarvan now removed, again, Rogue is continuing to pinch the pool away from Whippo. Perhaps they want him on the Viego because they're saying, you know what? We know that Trundle is a good matchup into it. We're happy to take that fight.
And also Jarvan against the Felios Morgana. No flashes, instant engage. You have no escape. So I think the Jarvan ban is just securing your bot lane in case, you know, Jarvan, notorious level 2 ganker, level 6. It's really hard to play bot lane. While on top of a Rakan, it's a lot of engage. TF Orianna taken away. Larson should have a lot of options still. We've seen Azir's, we've seen Orianna's, we've seen Syndra's. Just control mages coming out. Could also play for a very hyper-aggressive lane. Things like the Lucian, perhaps.
Debating their options, a lot of hover over here that I can't imagine would get locked in. So we'll just see what the option is for Rogue, who they want to save this last pick for. Now, Odoamne has been the king of blind picks for the entirety of playoffs thus far, and it looks like now that Rogue have selected red side, that they've shifted away from their previous tendencies. He may finally get a chance to counter pick in top lane. Woo!
So personally, I'm not a massive fan of just Azir in general in the current meta, but I think it makes sense into the composition that they've drafted. You can see that Rogue is definitely going for more of a scaling front-to-back teamfight style. They can use the Azir to outscale and outrange in the late-game teamfights, and when it comes to Fnatic, they're going to be looking to play a lot more on the side lanes.
Yep, there's Viego coming through. Now the big question mark is, what will Adam blind pick top here? He's a bit pinched on his champion pool right now. Obviously, Renekton taken away. We've seen his Darius and Olaf, but they're more notorious counter picks. I think the blind is the biggest question for me. Camille could be a good option. We're seeing a lot of Camille blind pick. Mundo as well. Something on the weak side could work. Camille is a champ that's risen a lot in priority. In the LCK, in the finals today between Damwon and T1, this champ was being first picked. Odoamne hovering Darius there for the matchup itself. But I don't think we'll see Odoamne's Darius. Yeah, Gwen, something more expected.
Mundo would be an interesting one. Of course, we saw earlier today in the LCK finals, the Camille side of the matchup, or at least the Khan side of the matchup, seemed to do pretty well on the Camille into Gwen for the most part. But now the Jace coming out, I love it. You can hammer back when the hook shot comes in. There's a lot of positive interactions there. And I'm ready to see what Odoamne looks like when he gets counterpicked, when he is set up more for success.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're going to have to play towards the top side here. But then again, you have two pushing side lanes. I think this Jace pick was crucial because if you pick a Mundo, you're really heavy AP with Azir, Mundo, Morgana. Trundle doesn't really dish out that much damage past the early game into the mid game. So I think too much AP. I like the Jace pick a lot. It's going to win into the Camille. It's just a question of who can get to top first and can they pressure that lane to get the Jace far enough ahead.
So I will say that one of the weaknesses of Rogue's composition is they don't have any easy way to start off fights. They do have a couple of pick tools with things like the Morgana. Her flash engage is definitely also an option. Things like the pillar. A lot of disruption and a lot of ways to be annoying for Fnatic, but running at their opponent is not going to be the easiest thing to do. So setting up on the objective first is going to be very important for Rogue so that they get Fnatic to come into them.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. If you look at both team comps holistically, you have a really good 1-3-1 from Fnatic. If those solo laners can get ahead, it's going to shut the Jace out, and the Jace will have to go to grouping into team fighting. But that's what Rogue's comp also wants to do. Azir, Felios, Morgana, lots and lots of team fight. With a Trundle next to you, you should be able to play front to back. Big question marks are Hylissang and Adam's flanks and the side lanes. That's what Fnatic wants to look at.
Should is obviously also the important word. Should be able to fight front to back. We've seen creative uses of Ryze, Realm Orbs. Will Fnatic even opt for the 5v5s? Can they keep it on the side lanes? Can they keep it away from those bigger full-on fights? And most importantly, as it feels is often the case in a Fnatic game, who will take the early game? We know it can be explosive. It's time. We are getting into game one. Rogue versus Fnatic. Who will face Mad? And here we go. 2 best-of-5s left for the LEC. World slots already decided, order or not. But it's time to see what both these teams can bring to the table. This was the game about testing the waters. They left Niski's champion pool wide open. It was not the Twisted Fate. It was the Ryze that he opted for. Larson back to Azir, a pick he has been known for historically. Time to see who can take the first game.
Yeah, it's going to be a very important one. The first game can also indicate a lot, but I say that. So far in our LEC playoffs, the first game actually doesn't really indicate a lot.
You lose the series if you win game one.
Mad Lions is the only exception to that rule, or perhaps curse. I think that for both these teams, obviously fighting for a lot. Rogue want to get that rematch against the Mad Lions, make that return to the finals, whereas Fnatic want to return to the finals, the organization. As we see an early play from Adam in mid.
That's really big for mid lane.
Larson, I think, going to be able to force out the early flash. Does not look like it, but a ton of damage. And if he has to either burn TP or sit in this lane with almost no HP, burning through corrupting potion stacks.
Now, that's a very small thing you might think of, but it could be something that could lead to a bigger picture here. Now, Nisqy should win out on trades. Larson lost 2 potions from that. So that means Nisqy can push in the wave, trade aggressively because he has more potions, and there's a world where either Nisqy can roam top in the early game, or he can get TP advantage on Larson for forcing him to TP back early.
This is also just a classic Adam taking E into this matchup. It's like really not what you want at level 1. He's going to be bullied around by Odoamne. He also got to lane a little bit late, so Odo's going to get that push. But as you rightly said, due to this trade, he's giving so much more to Nisqy. He is setting him up for success very early on into the lane. It's helping him get prio, and we know what Fnatic do. They send resources mid, they help Nisqy get that prio, and then they use him to move around the map to help get the sides ahead.
And I just think an excellent read and use of resources, knowing that, hey, the Jace is going to have range in the early levels. Yeah, you get a few more skill points, you can contest him, but just staying out of that lane when you're weaker, using your time to support your laners, and just waiting for that wave to come crashing into the tower so you can grab that CS. Well done by Fnatic, and especially by Adam.
Yeah, early world will spot out Inspired. You expect? No, I think they know that the Raptors is warded, so he's going to go straight to the red buff. A couple things just to mention. Adam playing with PTA on Camille. We've seen Omnistone Camille's Grasp, Conquer, all these things, so we'll have to keep our eyes on how that rune actually progresses when he gets the all-ins. And again, Nisqy just winning up this mid lane, keeping the push. Inspired's going to get spotted. Bwipo will be pathing towards a crab. With this mid push, Nisqy can get an early base. Maybe he just TP's back here and pressures. Larson stops him.
And I think Nisqy definitely a player that we've been keeping our eyes on. In the first half of the season, it felt like he was maybe a little bit quieter. His discussions progressed more and more. We saw him becoming a rock and eventually a standout player, and it certainly was the case in the series versus G2 in general. Nisqy, incredible numbers. I think a 12.1 on the CSD there, or the gold, or that's gold average, not CSD. So you can see pulling ahead, getting stronger as an individual player. And initially, started this year, you told me this matchup, I would always assume Larson would be the player to watch. But now, with Nisqy's recent performances, he is the man that I have my eyes on.
Yeah, especially in the G2 series. Had a fantastic series. That one blunder on the Sylas, sorry, stopwatch. Hang on as a second. As the branding comes through.
Initial snare. Good block by and follow-up there by Hylissang.
No, yeah, just going back to Nisqy point. 4 games of TF against G2. The only real kind of misstep he had was in that Sylas game, so providing so much to the team that's what Fnatic needs. They need resources for these star players, you know, like Upset can take over a game, Nisqy can take over a game whenever, and especially Adam too.
And I think what's really important as well is that I think at first many people believed that Upset was really the only way that you could win. It's taking a lot of damage.
Follow-up. Should be an easy finish now. He's dead. Coming out, he's got the active, doesn't even need it. First blood, well played by the side of Rogue. If you get hit by 2 bindings back-to-back, Fnatic bot lane, you are in for a hell of a lot of hurt.
Now, the one thing you can say about Rogue that hasn't changed is this 2 versus 2 in the bot lane. Even against Mad last week, they found themselves getting 2v2 kills, but here's the TP flank.
TP.
Double TP. Coming in.
Have they overstayed their welcome? Have they overcommitted? Trimby, where's the Black Shield? What options does he have? He's now using it on Hans Sama, but it doesn't matter. All the physical damage just shredding him down. Punished for finding those advantages.
There's the TP advantage from the level 1. Larson TP'd back to mid. Nisqy TP's to bot. There's a ward behind them. Punished for winning lane.
Oh, no. It's the classic Fnatic. You know, it's that, no, we're not going to send 1 TP, we're going to send 2. You can make the argument that you didn't really need both, but Hans Sama and Trimby knew that there was no point in flashing because they were guaranteed.
I'm going to have to spin this because I had a Hans Sama praise graphic already, but we'll run it anyway and we'll say, you can see why Fnatic would have wanted to focus Hans Sama down. He pushes forward in lane. Where do you think those CS deficits come from? Fnatic using both those TPs, and as you highlighted, Cadril, using the advantage they built earlier to punish bot lane for over-pushing.
Adam's going to gank mid here because I think top wave is in an absolutely disaster spot. He's going to be so far down in CS, so as good as this play was from Fnatic, the gold is completely even. Look at this wave still bouncing into Odo. He's already like 17, 18 CS up. Adam's going to be really far behind and he will get punished for that TP.
Inspired could also just interrupt the back hit. Yep, just being a troll. Now, one of the things that Fnatic could have done there was actually use their prio with mid and potentially set up a dive on top lane because that wave was starting to stack and slow pushing, but they decided not to do it. Instead, Bwipo going to continue clearing through his jungle where he will meet Inspired, who knows he can invade because enemy mid has just gone back to base.
We have to keep our eyes on top lane especially because Odoamne is so far ahead now as well, but also has TP advantage. So now he can repay the favor into bot lane and look for a dive bot if they so wish to do so. But you're completely right. These kind of stacking waves, as good as they are for Odoamne as a freeze, the enemy team can use it against you for a dive, which we've seen so many teams do recently. So keep our eye on that top lane, but these 2 side lanes definitely getting ahead in the lane phase itself from Rogue, but good team play from Fnatic to shut it down.
Yeah, keeping the gold neck and neck, 100 gold advantage for Fnatic right now. Of course, Bwipo with both of those kills, about 600 of that is in his pocket. He is the one we need to keep an eye on, and currently he's on bottom side. Maybe going to look for the dive here on Hansama. Incredibly low. Black Shield is going to do some work, but it's not going to stop Nisqy from Realm warping in. Hansama now going to be in trouble, trying to backstep so he doesn't get hit by the extended range of the E. But now, Whippo locked up under the tower. The chain CC not quite enough to finish the job. They should be able to grab 2 quick and easy kills here for the side of Fnatic. Odoamne sitting on the top side. Nothing he can do.
Yeah, great setup from Fnatic. Nisqy as Prio goes towards bot. What was Rogue's only defending play? It was the TP from Odoamne. He TP's in the middle of the lane itself, right under his tower in vision. Adam just cancels him straight in his face and loses nothing for it. So this bot lane, this winning bot lane of Morgana into Rakan is backfiring heavily. They're so far behind right now in CS, in XP, and now if the Rakan can be unlocked on the map, that makes Larsen's life even harder.
And again, while the Azir will eventually outscale this Ryze in terms of range and damage output later on, especially in these 5v5 team fights, early on it can be very difficult for the Azir to be able to match this push. So Nisqy, along with all the early pressure and assistance that he had from players like Adam and the roams from Whippo, he's been using this Prio to move around the map, and that's the second time he's now made his way to bot lane to set up Upset for success.
Yeah, the lane phase from Rogue is fine, just the team play seems really off. Communication, execution, when it comes to pushing out lanes, team being behind, making team plays, just looks really, really off for Rogue, but it's very clinical for Fnatic.
And Rogue, obviously a team that we saw during the regular season dominate early games, and usually, outside of those Rogue moments that we've talked about, pretty cleanly transition their lead. Sadly, that was not the case versus Mad, and they certainly struggled versus Misfits as well. But you can see they got 3-0'd. Game 1, Game 2, those were the rough early games. That's the ones that personally caught me by surprise. I thought even against Mad, they'd be able to find that. Game 3, they still found that success and still fell behind. Things are dire for Rogue right now. We wanted to see a commanding Game 1 to show that the Mad series was just a little bit of a fluke and not potentially a skill discrepancy.
And their scaling should be alright. Yes, they're losing out on the lane phases, and they are quite far behind in this early game right now, and Nisqy can be unlocked on the entire map. But they have an Azir, they have an Aphelios. We can see what they can do in the late game. The problem is, like they said in draft, they lack a lot of engage, so closing out the game might be very difficult for Rogue itself. We'll have to keep an eye on how these side lanes progress, though.
So having a look at what's available on the map right now, things like the Herald are up. Both Azir and the Trundle have just gone back to base to spend a little bit of their money. You can see that Nisqy now has the tier 2 boots, so he's going to continue to look to roam around the map. But Whippo sees a window of opportunity where, because Larsen has just gone back to base, Nisqy should be able to get the push, offer that assistance to Nisqy. And then also, if you have a quick look at your minimap, and our observers are highlighting, Hylissang already on the roam. Very common player that you'll see, especially when playing into range support matchups, who will often be a little bit slower on the roam because they want to focus a little bit more on trying to gain advantages in the 2 versus 2.
Yeah, free Herald, easy pickup. Rogue, they put a ward over the wall, they knew it was dying, but no push in mid, and like you said, support wasn't there, so where do you use that Herald is a big question for Fnatic. Could use it mid when Nisqy gets the push, and you can look for 3-man plays on Larsen, or you could look to use it bot with Nisqy's Prio, where he moves around the map. Larsen gonna dash away.
Of course, for Fnatic, everything going very swimmingly in this early game. 4 kills to 1, they've got the Herald, they've got the Dragon as well. They've pulled off the successful bot lane ganks, as we know that they love to do. Adam here could have potentially overcommitted there. Odoamne still opting to hammer smash him out of that exchange.
Look at Nisqy.
Yeah.
Is hovering in the river there. I think both teams are expecting something to happen around the top side. Of course, Rogue have full information thanks to the vision that they have, whereas Fnatic not quite in the same boat. But this control over the river on both sides, actually, from the side of Fnatic is very good. You can see these control wards invested top side and on bot side to make sure that they keep moving into Fog of War and to get Rogue guessing consistently.
Yeah, look at the vision Rogue have. They see absolutely nothing. So Inspired just came up here to cover Odoamne so he could push out, but Odoamne might be overextending here a bit. He still sees nothing. Inspired canceled his base once again, so using a lot of time here to make sure Odoamne can push in, chunk out Adam, get a plate for himself. Maybe he was expecting Whippo to look for a gank up towards this top side because they haven't spotted him out for quite a while. So that's a really good play, I think, by Rogue itself, because the problem you have right now is you can't walk into river to contest vision because you get collapsed on. So you walk through the lane, and then when you base together, then you can move together into the river if you so please. So Inspired not showing in the end, but I think Fnatic kind of knew something was up there.
And good, I think, to see Rogue playing a little bit through Odoamne. He's a guy that really impressed us in the regular season and struggled a bit against Huron, struggled a bit against Arma in the most recent series. So to see that priority place there, to see him start building up these 40 CS leads, these additional tower plates is good. The question now, as it always is when you have a laner with this big of an individual advantage, is how do you transition that elsewhere on the map? How do you make Odo's lead everybody's lead?
And the important thing to recognize is that while Odo is ahead on the 1v1, when you look at the overall game, Whippo right now is the only one with a mythic item. He is very strong on this Viego. He has a level up on Inspired. He has a CS advantage. And alongside Nisqy, this mid jungle from Fnatic is very strong, and they will often get to move first. So these early objectives, Rogue will likely just have to concede and rely on their scaling later on into the game.
Yeah, look at Hylissang. He just ran all the way straight to top lane. Whippo has Herald too, so if Niski can get up here, it's a 4-man play. Trimby stuck in lane, Upset using the ult to clear out the wave in bot, so he should be able to farm from max range. Rogue really need to defend the play here. Larson already basing to get an item to maybe look for a TP, because right now, as strong as Odoamne is, if you have a numbers disadvantage, he can't even walk up to the tower.
Here comes the setup for the potential dive. Rumorf going in as well. Inspired, what can he do? The flash in, the immediate stun coming out. That's the Spectral Maw. Odoamne just getting shredded down. Camille might be behind, but she's got more than enough CC to make sure Odo goes down. Fnatic and Whippo now moving to the top side. They've got the Herald to pull out as well. They might not be able to finish the tower, but they're going to grab a couple flakes.
Beautifully done by Fnatic, and Rogue knew that it was happening, but there was nothing that they could really do to stop it. Larson had gone back to base. He did have the TP up, but it did not matter. The 4-man collapse from Fnatic will get them kills, it will get them plates, and it will continue to extend their early game gold advantage.
Yeah, look at Upset in bot lane. There was not even a cross map. He can just sit there and clear out the wave. Rogue can't even invest TPs to try to shut him down or force him off the wave, because Fnatic can always match. This is the thing when you have 3 pushing lanes. Fnatic can push in bot, mid and top. So Hylissang has time to just base. Upset can catch the wave, give the push for 1 wave or 2, run top, and make this play happen. Great to see.
I mean, the craziest thing is when we looked at the draft, right, we expected Rogue to have the push in bot, but then what happens? The double TPs, the roams down to bot lane, they shut down this Aphelios Morgana from having pressure. Then in the top side of the map, Odoamne is dominating. But how do they use the Herald? Oh, it's because they use their mid prior to roam top and then contest for it. It's crazy how Fnatic are executing this early game. Let's see what happens now.
Just a cheeky ignite to threaten Inspire. Hylissang, Upset might be in trouble here. Hansama can go for the active. Nope. Upset going to use the cleanse, but Hylissang now going to get taken down as Odoamne TPing down to the bottom side. So Dragon secured by Rogue, but using a TP to do so.
Yeah, I wonder if Larson's going to TP top to defend that top tower, because Adam can just push this in and take it, I believe, on the next couple of waves. Looks like Odoamne realizes that, cancels his base and says, guys, my top tower is dying. Let's get their bot tower at least. Larson is going to clear it mid, and it'll be a trade-off of towers by the looks of it. But you're completely right, Vidius. This early game kind of fell apart for Rogue. The early kills in bot from the TPs, the mid lane chunk level 1 on Larson made it so Niski had the push there as well. So now Odoamne is kind of suffering from it all.
And it was something that we credited Fnatic a lot in their series versus G2, how crisp and how well executed their early game looks, and it's impressive to see them further refine it, further execute. And you feel a little bad for Adam, because it's one of those situations where he's sacrificing a lot for the betterment of his team, but you can see how that investment for him ends up paying back tenfold later on into the game.
And I think this is just a further indication of something else that we've talked about, which is the flexibility of this Fnatic roster. Adam has been the center of attention, and Adam has been left on an island, and the Misfits series showed that perfectly, where we have Adam completely on his own. We have games where Niski is the sole focus, where he is roaming on the map. We have games where they're going bot lane every single time. The flexibility of this Fnatic roster with so many strong players is incredible to see, and when they leverage it well, you can see how hard it is for Rogue to match it.
Yeah, and the flexibility comes through draft and gameplay, right? You can see Fnatic, like you just said, Adam's in a losing matchup. He's going to sacrifice himself. He's going to gank mid. He's going to make sure his team's ahead. He's playing Darius. They're going to invest resources into him. Now, Odoamne, no flash.
He's going to get locked up there for a brief moment. Spectral Maw comes out, followed up by the ulti as well, and there's just nowhere for him to go. Inspired coming in. Maybe they can try to take down Whippo, but he's got the reset as well on the Viego passive. No, a perfect pillar means Whippo will go down. Big money into the back pocket of Inspired.
Yeah, good shutdown there. Now Rogue's pinning on towards the bot side, and Hylissang is still moving up. Upset's alone in bot. Adam has found Inspired, no flash.
Tries to run for his life, not too tanky. Stopwatch buys a bit of time, a brief moment. Larson could come in, he could try to save him with the shuffle. What else is he going to do? Larson, no time to use the ultimate either. He's now trying to chase down Niski. Has to be careful though if he overextends. Hylissang and Adam on almost no mana, but if they see the Azir at all, he could just get dropped.
Yeah, Fnatic just have numbers advantage everywhere they go. Mid, bot, and especially in the top side. That's the second time in a row. Inspired, I think he was just walking in to clear out vision or maybe look for a camp itself. Gets caught, ends up dying. What a Rogue get on the cross map? Nothing. They had to invest a TP to defend the play. They get nothing there, and all they get is a push in bot, and now Hans is based.
It's crazy how much control Fnatic actually has over the top side of the map. You can just see all these wards invested, this trio, this one ward here, the river control they have, the vision is just absolutely mind-blowing from the side of Fnatic, and they're using their early game control to perfection. Let's have a look back at exactly how this one broke down.
Yeah, they have the ult onto Adam. Odoamne tries to knock him away to get the Hex Tech cancelled. He does in the end, but too much follow-up without flash. Now Inspired comes in, and it looks like he's fine here because he kills Whippo. So after he dies, it looks like the fight's over. Hang on, fight in top.
Going forward, Niski. It's just too easy if you're a Rise. Oh, Azir, there's just nothing you could do. You can dance all you want, but he's going to point and click you eventually. Niski on a rampage.
Yeah, great play from Niski. I'd love to see how he got onto Larson there, because he must have dash, he must have flash, and he must have his tower passive as well, but Niski gets the solo kill. We talked about Fnatic having a 1-3-1 comp. They're in a 1-3-1 right now, and you can see Rogue just can't match it. Yes, Odoamne can push in bots, but Adam could probably all in him if he has vision. Niski looking for Inspired here. Hylissang has flash.
Now stepping forward, Hillsang not going to connect to anybody, but he can leap right back out to Niski. Guardian Proc going to reduce some of that damage. Hansama strong with the gun combo he has, but no one is walking into his effective range. Adam now even comfortable in the 1v1. He's a level up on Otawamne. That was Rogue's only strong point, and he's fishing for the 1v1. Otawamne alive for now. Nope, that's Adam on a killing spree.
Oh, the solo laners of Fnatic are taking over. We said the solo laners get ahead. It's really hard for Rogue to play. Rogue are trying to group up and do something. Larson gets solo killed. Adam gets vision on everyone on Rogue, just solo kills Otawamne as well. They can't push side lanes, and they can't even group mid.
Such an impressive early game from Fnatic across the board. Everything that they needed to do, they have done, and they have controlled the game pretty much for the entirety of it. Look at the gold sitting on the two solo laners. Bwipo is so much further ahead of Inspired as well, and it feels like Rogue's strategy of trying to leverage their pushing bot, leverage their pushing top, scale for the later game, rely on their team fighting, it's all just falling apart.
And gentlemen, I think this level of team play is doubly impressive. We remember the start of season context for Fnatic. Adam coming in as a rookie, Bwipo role swapping to a brand new role, but we've talked about it before. The one thing they have over every other team is best of 5 experience this season. You called it the Gulag, Cadril.
It's
this
the Gulag.
team has gotten better and better. You remember the Vitality series, how shaky, how bloody it was, improving against Misfits, taking down G2 with those dominating TF performances, and now here in Game 1 versus Rogue, Fnatic look incredibly strong.
The question is this just a curse? Because we've seen this from so many of the teams in our playoff runs. We've seen Fnatic get stomped in their Game 1 against G2 in their best of 5 to then have them bounce back. And often, when you look at these best of 5s, this first game is a big indicator of some of the big strengths. Rogue's game plan coming into the game was more about scaling, relying on some of their dominant laners to find advantages. And credit to Hansama and Trimby, they did find a 2 versus 2 kill, but Fnatic's response was better. They invested teleports, they utilized Niski and Bwipo moving around the map, getting early game advantages, and they've been able to dominate off the back of that.
I think the way you said it is beautifully right. Hans and Trimby find the lead, but Fnatic as a team find a way to shut it down, and that's the difference you're seeing in these games. Now that these solo laners are ahead, they have full control of the map. The team play is great to see. Now they're going to get their second dragon. Larson might get this top tier 1, but for now it just feels like Fnatic's in full control. The only plays Rogue are making are lane phase plays.
Definitely. At this point, Larson just going to take what he can, grab the tower. They're down 4K gold. Now, as you highlighted in the composition, scaling always an option for Rogue. If they can find the front-to-back team fights, they certainly have the tools to win the day. Azir and Aphelios, 2 of the strongest scaling champions in the current meta. Maybe, just maybe, they can keep a Ryze at arm's length, the Camille, a Viego at arm's length, but it is going to be difficult.
And so this is where 2 important things have to be discussed. Number 1, Fnatic can sometimes be their own worst enemy. Fnatic have shown that sometimes they are over-aggressive, they are over-eager, they will take fights that they don't need to take. I'm sure we can think back to a number of times Hillsang made an engage happen, and you're like, Hilly, are you all right there? And then it ends up in disaster.
G2.
Exactly. So this is something that Fnatic have shown can still be a problem for them, and in a position like this, something that they have to be wary of. The other thing to take into consideration, Rogue in their very first game against Mad, the reason why Mad couldn't just roll over them was because the way in which Rogue actually managed their side waves. Every time Mad tried to play through 2 lanes, Rogue would make sure that the 3rd lane was completely pushed out and they were consistently catching them and wave clearing. So Fnatic need to make sure that they don't slow the game down too much, because even though Rogue might not be able to control the early game in the same way that many of the teams in the LEC do, they're still a smart team and they can be pretty tricky and clever with how they manipulate their ways.
Certainly, and of course for Fnatic, this is one of the hardest points of the game to push through and push further. If you get a Baron, obviously easy picking on those tier 2 towers, but really have to find those creative punishes, have to move across the map very well to start breaking tier 2s without the help of one of these bigger buffs, without the help of a prior team fight at one of these major objectives.
Yeah, I think patience is the aim of the game here, Fnatic. They're going to push in now because Baron's spawning in 10 seconds. They want to get some vision around here. You can see Niski's first to the jungle because Larson has to catch the wave. Similarly in bot, they have to catch bot wave as Hans has to get away from that realm warp. They were going to collapse on him and he probably would have died there. Has to invest a flash.
Potentially doubly important, as highlighted in pick ban by Uvedius. The setup is so crucial for Rogue if they want to win these fights, and now they're just in no position to set up around any objective, around anything, because they're just fighting to get back into their own jungle, let alone the dragon that's spawning in 3 minutes, let alone the Baron that just spawned now.
I think we've outlined clearly how Fnatic want to play the game. They want to push inside and move mid. We just saw it there and Hans had the flash. Now the question is, what do Rogue do as a team? You've got good scaling, you know, Azir and Aphelios will scale. You lack engage, yes, but how do you weather the storm? And I think that controlling side lanes, catching waves, and making sure you group up mid as much as possible to shut down the plays is the best way to do it, Vedius.
And here we see a TP though. Fnatic are trying to shut that down.
Adam coming in, hookshot wall dive, very difficult to get away from. Are they going to go? That's going to be the blue trinket coming out. They've spotted him. There's just nowhere for him to run. The ulti will not be enough. Niski now unstoppable. Fnatic, are they willing to go for this Baron?
Oh, yes, they are. They're Fnatic, baby. 40 seconds on Larssen. They're going to start it up. Inspired has flashed the steal, but I think Fnatic have good turn. They don't have Realm Warp just yet, so I think Hylissang is the main point of engage. Look where he is.
On the flank, Rogue, no vision whatsoever. They have a brief moment where the trinket comes out. The pillar going to grab them just a little bit. Can they steal it away? Can they get it? No! Flash over the wall, too. Right into the waiting arms of Fnatic. It's an absolute disaster for Rogue. And Putpo's still going. He's taking away the tunnel. He's taking away the pillar. But Hansama, maybe this is his zero moment. Black Shield, but he just doesn't have the damage yet. It's too early in the game. He gets absolutely shredded. Trimby running for his life. Fnatic routing Rogue in the pit.
Oh, Rogue are just getting run over. Inspired flashed in 1 second too late. Hans has no flash. Larssen was dead from before. Odoamne just pushed out bot. He knows that the top side play is doomed, and now Fnatic are just so far ahead. 7k gold lead at 21 minutes, and they have a Baron.
We talked about how Rogue wanted to try and control the side lanes, try and make things a little bit harder for Fnatic, but the moment that Larssen dies, that is the go button for Fnatic. The delayed flash from Inspired, he was just a little bit too late getting over the wall. It looked like that HP was low enough for him to make the play, but it wasn't. The moment that he drops, Hansama then gets committed. Fnatic find themselves kills, they find themselves a Baron, and now they're looking to end the game.
Yeah, and I have to say, credit to Inspired, he just flipped it. They had no vision on the Baron, so he just 50-50'd it. He knew that was their only way to win. Trimby, I think, had no wards. I think he had 0 wards, no pinks, no nothing, because he walked up to the pit and he couldn't throw anything over. The only thing they threw over for vision was the Aphelios turret. But by the time he threw that over, the Nash was dead. So now Rogue have lost it, and now it's all about weathering the storm, but it's even harder because this 1v1 can come out. Fnatic obviously have no TP, so it's a little bit harder, but they can dive you. They have a Rakan that's fed, and he has a flash available, so he can just instantly jump on you.
These tier 2s are going to start breaking. We've seen already Fnatic have so many engage options that they get. Larssen. They might start to fight, but Larssen looking for his hero moment. He's been locked up. He's just going to get taken down. He just gets deleted. He pushes one back, though, and maybe it'll be enough. Whippo stealing away, shuffling out on his own Azir form, but Rogue holding on for now, delaying this Baron, slowing Fnatic down at the cost of Larssen's life.
But I think it's a play that you have to try and make, because if they get themselves 2 kills there, they slow down the push from Fnatic. They know that their base is going to be broken if they don't try something, so they make a last-ditch effort. Larssen goes for the hero play. It ends up faltering, and while getting a 1-for-1, Fnatic secure themselves another tower.
Yeah, you have to make those kind of plays. In the end, it does slow down the siege. Looks like Fnatic are only going to get that mid-tier 2 and a Dragon for now, so side lane tier 2s are alive. There's a big top wave stacking, but for now Rogue have slowly weathered the storm, but Fnatic are gonna come back even stronger.
Weathered the storm of the Baron, to be certain. Maybe Adam gets this tier 2 tower, but it looks like Rogue will respond. But the 8k gold lead and the 3 Drakes remain, gentlemen, so it is still... They're not out of the storm yet, and they might not be for a very long time. Again, scaling is the answer, and sadly for Rogue, I think holding on for dear life is going to be the theme for the rest of this game.
Larssen's just walking into the jungle looking for a blue buff. Doesn't have any vision to work with either, so he's just gonna have to give this one up. And yeah, Rogue looking for these desperation plays. When you're this pushed under your towers and backs against the wall and this far behind, these are the plays you have to look for.
Also, so the thing about the scaling angle, like, yes, on paper, like, if they were even in gold, I could see a way in which Rogue could definitely win out in fights. But the other problem they have is upset. And something, when I think about Ezreal, is his scaling is often relative to how much threat he has on him as a champion. It's very difficult to lock down upset with the composition that Rogue has. So, and also Camille is very, very fed.
They're all fed. Odoamne going in anyway. He's not too concerned. Is it going to cost him his life? Not quite. He's going to flash out. That Black Shield's not going to block it. It does. Just barely manages to keep Odoamne alive. Trimby just enough AP and enough points in that ability to keep him going. But that's a tier 2 down for Fnatic, and the gold lead continues to grow, almost 10k now in their favor.
Yeah, top tier 2 falls. And the Ezreal did have to flash away that time, and the only real way that Upset can get locked down is if he goes too deep. There we saw it. He eat over the wall, had to flash back over, but they get the objective that they came for, and they force Rogue even further back into their base. Almost a 10k gold lead now.
But the point that I was trying to make is that you need like a good 10 to 15 minutes on Rogue if you really want to go stand toe-to-toe with Fnatic. You need to try and get so much more gold onto your side if you really want to stand a chance.
Yeah,
and I don't know if they're going to get the chance to stall that.
I think the more you theory craft the team fight, the worse it looks for Rogue.
Yeah.
If we just go with Aphelios' ear, you're like, oh, good, late game is good. If you're like, also there's a Camille and a Viego, and if you ignore the Ezreal, he's going to kill your front line in like 2 seconds.
I think if you're the coaches and you're Rogue, you just look at this game and you say, well, we drafted winning lanes, and in the end we didn't win them because they kind of, we lost track of TPs, bad timings, bad push-outs, bad covers, whatever it may be. But the core point of Rogue's comp is get lanes ahead, get into mid-game ahead, and have the setup, make them walk into you, poke them, and that's how you get your engage. In the end, you fall behind, which makes it even worse. And now with winning sides, better engage and better, in a sense, team fight, just because of how well they skirmish and they can pick you off with numbers advantage. Fnatic are, of course, ahead. And now it's just a case of how they close the game out. Rogue can make hero plays. Larssen already sitting in this bush, looking to catch out Niski, who has no flash. This could be the start of something for Rogue, but they need to find it.
Niski, of course. More of it available, but no flash, as you highlighted. Trimby stepping forward into Bwipo, going to use the shackles, but Bwipo already on the way out.
Ooh, this time it worked.
Safety. That's true. No pauses today. We know about the weird Ryze alt interactions now.
He was clicking towards it. He got taken out, and now because Rogue invested
The funny thing about that is I thought he was actually outside the realm war.
It looked like his back foot was outside.
Where you are, it's about where you click. Spiritually where you want to be.
Yeah, but the Rogue, tried to look for something, doesn't work, and then you lose something on the other side of the map. That's just how the game naturally goes when you're this far behind. So they're going to have to find a miracle play here, Rogue.
I have a lot of respect, though, for Fnatic in terms of playing this game patiently. They haven't overforced, and like obviously we have seen them play a clean and patient game, right? When they played against G2, they had some really big stomps and they were very clean. I think that just against a team like Rogue is something you have to be careful of, because they will look for those opportunities, they will look for those picks, and if you're not restrained, you can get heavily punished for it. So I like what we're seeing from Fnatic in this game one. Very positive game. They've come in with a strong draft. They've come in and executed well upon that draft, and they are definitely setting themselves up as the favorites in this series.
Certainly are, and potentially could look to end the game here in the next few minutes. We're a minute and 15 seconds away from that Cloud Soul for Fnatic, as well as 4 seconds away from that Baron. Fnatic already have pushed in the mid lane. We take a look across the board. Rogue flashes are up, in theory, outside of Larssen and Otawamne. They are pretty ready for this team fight. That said, Fnatic could just beat them down with their wallets. It's still a 10k gold lead that Rogue have to find a way to overcome.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see, because now this game, the stakes have changed. It's not about Worlds now, it's about the title. It's about Rogue's revenge against Mad Lion, and it's about Fnatic rising up after such a poor performance in Spring, I have to say. It's great to see Fnatic's bounce back in this game alone, in the series, putting in a statement game one just now. It's all about closing it out, and like you said, Vedi, it's not getting a bit too over-aggressive when it comes to these dives. Baron's up, they can burst it down, they have many options, you know, you can just push out lanes with Ryze, Ryze ult towards the Baron, and push it and get it before they can do anything. But Rogue, in their own jungle, ready to react. Inspired has flash now, and they're trying to fish around to get some information. Otawamne bot, Larssen in mid, they have TPs if anything kicks off. It looks like Fnatic might just want to push them into their base for now.
I like the way in which Fnatic is controlling their sideways. They set up a good wave on bot lane, kept that pushed in. They're keeping the pressure up in mid. You can see Niski playing the top side. Adam, he nearly face check. Is he going to face check?
But the binding missed!
Wide. Soul Shackles, the pillar pushing him back. He's going to be locked in for a few seconds now. He tries to ult with the Camille to get himself out to safety. He's very tanky, and the flash is going to get him out. He has to burn everything to do it, but he manages to survive.
That should have been a kill for Rogue, but now the backfire is going to come in. They're going to lose Dragon for it. Fnatic don't even bother about it. Rogue lost a lot of ultimates for that, but they realize they can't do Baron because the waves are pushed in mid and in top. I think that should have been a pick for Rogue and maybe an avenue for them to find some comeback in this game.
Definitely could have been a huge play, but Rogue end up falling short. Now Fnatic continuing to clear out vision. They will get themselves the soul. The binding will connect onto Bwipo, but I doubt any follow-up is going to happen. The rest of Rogue starting to collapse around the Baron area.
The fact that they've gotten Cloud Soul and now kept pressure around the Baron area is big. But the fact that Bwipo got chunked out could cost them a little bit, as Rogue are now fighting to take back mid priority, assuming that Bwipo has to back off. Of course, he is the Viego. He has enough sustain. He can just clear up off a camp and be full health and ready for a fight. Not quite level 16 yet, but is getting stronger and stronger. Rogue feels like the Baron flip might be the last-ditch effort to try to get away back into this game.
Bwipo got the crab. The problem is Fnatic just need to push Rogue out now and retake vision. They have very little vision around this Baron after taking that Cloud Zone, after having base, but now Larssen has to dash away from Niski. You can see there on the minimap. Adam's chasing him, and that's Larssen's flash already gone, so now they can push in the waves. Baron is going to be on the menu soon.
Larssen was forced to flash there. The risk of Adam's ultimate was too great, and he didn't want to gamble it. So now with that gone, he becomes so much easier to kill in the fight. And Fnatic is going to start pressuring the Baron. Upset going to try and force Inspired away. The waves have been pushed in. Fnatic with good control.
This is where the game will be decided. Fnatic, yes, is very far ahead. They just need to execute this one Baron. They should be in a good spot to clean end it out. Hylissang's coming from base. They want to look for an engage. They want to push Rogue back.
Hansama, good guns, 3 items. Maybe, just maybe, we can get another fat team fight damage chart from him if he can hold on. Upset, though, throwing the ulti across at least one member of the team. Trimby getting chunked out. It is not the luxury of an Alistar or an engaged support. He's only got a binding and a black shield to his name.
Yep, there it is.
Realm Warp coming in, just as you call it, Cagel. Now they set their sights completely and totally on this Baron. Adam going to the pit, where he can try to stop Rogue from getting in. 6k, 5k, 4k, getting lowered. Inspired, can he come over the wall? Can he steal it? No. Fnatic taking their second Baron of the game. A Cloud Soul backing them up as well. They are poised to take game one.
And interestingly clean from Fnatic. They don't overdive, they don't overchase, they just push them back, Realm Warp to the Baron. They know their timings, they secure it, and they all back off. Now they have the setup, and they should start to siege into Rogue space.
Yeah, I like the fact that Fnatic actually turned off the Baron and chose to try and fight or skirmish against Rogue, because they know that they're 10k gold up, so if Rogue choose to take a fight, they're more than certainly going to win it. And on top of that, Fnatic then used that to reclaim vision control over that top side of the jungle, and then creatively used the Realm Warp to get back into the Baron pit to be able to secure it before Rogue could even answer. Just very well played, great patience, and a very, very solid game one from Fnatic.
Oh man, I have to say everything sucks for the side of Rogue right now. Everyone's so far down in levels. Inspired 3 levels down, Niski's level 18, Hans 2 levels down. Now the siege comes in. Looks like they're gonna go for a 1-1-3. Both TPs are available. They're going to siege onto this bot tier 3. If anything kicks off, the solo laners will TP in, and it's going to be a seesaw effect where Fnatic push in bot. When Rogue match, they'll push in top and mid. When they match there, they'll keep pushing in bot. So just keep your eyes on how they keep chunking out these towers, depending on where Rogue puts numbers.
You know, I think Niski could even like threaten a dive onto Larssen.
Oh, speak of the devil, it might just happen.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Doesn't even need to dive.
Yep.
One shot before he can walk under the tower, and that's going to be bad. It's going to be at least one inhibitor getting taken down, but now Helsing, they're going in. Otawamne, he does a lot of damage, but he's just so squishy. Hansama stepping forward. He just wants to auto-attack somebody, but nobody is in range. Fnatic breaking down another tower. All 3 inhibitor towers down. All 3 inhibitors soon to follow from the start of the game along every single step. Fnatic have been in control. Rogue needed early advantages. They could not find them, and Fnatic never gave them away back into this game one with absolute confidence, with absolute dominance, and a 15k gold lead with Adam diving into the fountain ready to go. Fnatic will take game one in this semi-final.
Wow, really clean game from Fnatic, I have to say. You can just see how clean it is by just the way it ended. All 3 inhibs down, all 3 lanes pushing in. Just really felt like Rogue didn't stand a chance. They picked these winning lane champions. Fnatic take over with good map play, and from there it just felt like they had no chance.
Yeah, it was just extremely well executed from Fnatic, and I think the biggest thing was, we talked about in draft how, hey, when you have the Jace top lane, you're going to have push there for Rogue. With the range support in Morgana and Aphelios, they're likely going to be able to get pushed bot lane too. They even 2v2 kill them bot lane as well, and you're like, okay, this is a pretty big deal for Rogue. But then what do Fnatic do? They do what they always do. They invest TPs, they roam around the map, they use their mid-prio extremely well, and I think that this is why Niski needs to receive so much credit, because he is being given the resources to roam, and he is roaming and affecting the rest of the map for Fnatic.
Yeah, it feels like Fnatic have found their formula. My question is, Rogue, what's your formula? They've shown us team fights, they've shown us winning lanes. The whole split long, it was lane domination, but it just feels like they're really up and down in what they want to play right now.
And again, we talked about game one as testing the waters. Perhaps Rogue bringing a new strategy. Perhaps they're not going to feel too bad about this one. Maybe there is more up on their sleeve, but we know they did not get to play their composition the way they wanted to whatsoever. And we're soon going to take a look at how Fnatic ran away with this game. But first, let's get a preview of what's awaiting the winner of today's series, a showdown with the reigning champions, Mad Lions. But here it is Mad Lions that will reign supreme in the pit. They will lock worlds for themselves, and they will move up to face Rogue.
Mad Lions somehow are winning these fights. Mad Lions with one of the greatest comebacks I have seen this year. They make their way to finals.
We asked you to submit your most epic moves. And the winner is Aokun.
Aurelia versus Zed, 1v1 in the mid lane, level 8, Blade Surge back. Aurelia trying to find purchase, Deathmark comes out, but the Flawless Duo will not connect. It's a clean flash, it's a clean dash back. He's moving everywhere across, and Aurelia can't touch him. Aokun makes the play.
Kia, movement that inspires.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back, everyone, to the analyst desk after Game 1. Fnatic, who started the series with a dominating win. Yeah, it was behind you. And another stellar game. So I want to take this time that we have, which is about 6 minutes, to talk about two big topics. Of course, I think we need to start with draft, as always, because of the importance of a Game 1 draft, always. A couple of things that stood out to me. Treats, first up. Rogue elected to go to the red side, right? They had the choice. What did you think of the choices that they made with that red side and the possible counter pick?
I think from their perspective, they thought that they had both answers into the TF and the Ryze, and I think it was clever that Fnatic picked the Ryze to kind of block the TF away from Rogue. So I think after that, they had a scaling option into it in the Azir, and I don't really like this choice from Rogue, honestly. I think they mostly chose red side for the counter pick on top lane, which I think honestly worked out fine, but it didn't really have an impact in this game because there was just too many things happening around the map. But the red side was for the top lane pick mostly, and it worked out fine, but I think they also realized that the Ryze was a massive problem.
Yeah, and I think we saw them return to a lot of what we wanted to see, what we were talking about at the top of the day, which is priority in lanes, right? You have a Jace in the top side, you're going to have priority, and especially when it's a counter pick too, you're definitely going to get that. In the bot lane too, as soon as the Rakan gets locked in, you have Morgana, which got a kill, right? You're going to have pushing lanes, you're trying to take down turret plates. The flaw, I think, in this strategy are the other pieces in the composition, especially that Azir, like you mentioned, because when you have prio lanes on side, you need a mid lane champion and a jungle champion that can support the attention that lanes like that demand when it is on opposite sides of the map. And an Azir is going to get outroamed by a Ryze, and frankly, Larssen isn't going to be allowed to accomplish much on the map.
We've seen it a couple of times, I think, from Larssen going to that when the TF is off the table, when something like an Orianna, which can also fill a scaling and controlling role, is off the table. Are we seeing the edges of a champion pool there? Because it is almost every single time that we've seen him go to the Azir. And unfortunately, for if you're playing Fnatic, the game is going to go too fast for you to have an impact.
I mean, I think it's not really a champion pool issue. I think it's just a prioritization that they had in picking their Azir on 4 pick instead of 3 pick. I think if they go for the TF on 3 pick, sure, Ryze is like a fine matchup into TF, but at least then he can match the roam. So I think it's not really Larssen's fault in this case. I think it's just a bad prioritization from Rogue.
Yeah, and again, a huge problem here that Rogue find themselves playing against, especially like last week we saw Humanoid on the Ryze, champions with global abilities that can force numbers advantages, even though, right, they got that 2v2 kill on the bot side, immediately seeing TPs, repeat ganks, all this stuff. It is very hard for Rogue to play their controlled style against a huge roamer like Niski.
And with that, I'd like to go to the next big thing I want to talk about, which is the way that Fnatic choose to play with Adam, or the way Adam chooses to play with Fnatic. We've been tracking this for a while. The fact that he is willing to give up priority in lane, waves, whatnot, to roam around the map, even when it doesn't seem like the best option.
Honestly, it's really interesting because it's somewhat reminiscent of Whippo when he first joined the league. All the time, like on his Ornn, he would sack a wave to roam mid lane and make a gank happen, and we saw it in this game. Guarantee priority in mid lane from Niski. He starts E in the matchup against Jace. You're always going to get pushed in. You're going to be unhappy. Then here after TPing bot lane, we were actually kind of worried because all of a sudden Odo has this great freeze against him. Adam's going to be down 20 CS, but it plays into the game plan of Fnatic where it doesn't matter if your top laner's down 20 CS because in a minute, you're going to be bot lane again to repeat punish that lane.
Yeah, I think Adam knows that it's not really his game to win in this one. He knows that he doesn't have the prio against the Jace, and I think he just realizes that if my bot lane is ahead and the Morgana Aphelios can't really smurf the lane, then we're winning. So I think he just does this TP play on bot to make sure that his bot's winning and can be in a good position for a repeat gank with Niski on the Ryze. So it's kind of smart play from Fnatic, and we often see this from Adam.
It's incredible to me, though, seeing a rookie player come in already. We've already said after today he's going to have played as many games in the postseason as he did in the regular season. But to see him be so selfless, to see him be so well-rounded, you heard him talk about at the top of the day how much faith his team has in him, how much help they've been to him as well. Fnatic are so on point. They're such a well-oiled machine, and they're playing off each other perfectly.
So let me then ask you, you know, from my perspective, right? If you're Rogue, you know that every time the teleport is up, every time the wave is favorable or even unfavorable, you know that Fnatic is going for those dives, is going for those skirmishes. Is it then as simple of just be the first person to do it, just be the first team to pull the trigger in that regard and draft for that? Is that the solution here for Rogue?
I think in general their draft wasn't really set up to fight back. They just played for having strong lanes, as Kadril said on the cast as well, and then just get their lanes ahead and slowly build a goal lead. But when Fnatic just blows up the map, they don't have a lot of counter.
So do you blow up the map first then? Is that the strat?
I mean, if you can get the right champions for a draft, because if you look at this draft from Rogue, it is reminiscent of their style in a way where, well, if the early game they're not getting challenged a lot, your top lane's going to win by default, your bot lane's going to win by default, and Larssen is good enough to like go even in this lane, right? But the problem comes when other teams are going to fight against you, and that's what Fnatic drafted for. That's what they did in their early play style. So it has to change in the draft for Rogue to be able to fight back in that early game.
They're on blue side. What's their first pick?
I mean, I think they have to deal. They have to deal with the TF Ryze situation. I think they can't leave it unnoticed anymore. It's just crazy to me that teams haven't really figured this out yet. Niski on Ryze and TF, always insane, and I think if they're on the blue side now, maybe they ban one and first pick the other. Maybe they leave both open and pick the Ryze. I think they have a lot of options, but they need to show that they can also do this roaming mid style that Fnatic go for always.
Yeah, I think you're exactly on the money with that, trying to battle over that globals in the mid lane situation. And even if you feel more comfortable on blue side and you want to ban both of them, I'm also completely okay with that. Let's get us back to some stable mid lane champions, because then you can try to play a more calm early game where Niski's not going to be sprinting around killing your sides.
That's what you want. Well, Fnatic's rather magical playoffs run continued in Game 1, but we'll see if Rogue can take away some of that momentum when we return.
Welcome back to the LEC semifinals between Rogue and Fnatic. Fnatic drawing first blood in an incredibly dominant performance. Rogue maybe left a little bit reeling. We'll see how they'll adjust coming into the next matchup. Big questions in the pick ban phase. Big questions for Rogue in terms of what strategy they're going to bring to the table this time around. And luckily, I have two very qualified experts here to give me all my answers.
Wait, who's the other one?
Well, it's me and you, and then there's this influencer between us. He's here for the entertainment.
Streamer.
Yeah.
I'm just in the middle of this sandwich of banter. Feels great.
Why do you, whenever you make a joke, why do you lean over like this? What is this?
I don't know.
You did on the quiz too, when you were pushing the button, you're always like, ooh. It's like your move.
Yeah, it's my body language. My body language.
Massive. Bringing it back in as we're moments away now from picks and bans. Adjustment for Rogue has to be the name of the game. We're already seeing some adjustment in terms of side, and we'll see how that changes their overall strategy. Game 1, they opted to ban nothing from the limited but incredibly powerful champion pool of Niski, mid laner for Fnatic. We'll see if that changes this time around.
I think there's a formula that Fnatic are following, and Rogue just gave it all to them last game. Roaming mid for Niski. Counter pick or engage support for Hylissang.
Yep.
Counter pick or winning bot lane matchup. Counter pick the top or winning bot lane matchup, right? So one winning side, a roaming mid, and engage / playmaking support for Hilly. They gave it all to them. They banned Pyke on 3, even though they were playing a Morgana lane on red side with counter pick support. Instead of banning Rakan, it was really complicated, and I didn't really understand it.
In my opinion, this roaming mid is the most important thing. If Rogue want to stand a chance, they need to lock Niski in mid lane. And the question is, how do you do that? Yes, he's only played 3 champions, but regardless of one of those 3 champions that he gets, he always finds a way to roam.
Yeah, and I will say, Rogue picked blue side now. They initially, I believe they picked Reg side.
They did, yep.
And then they just keep going back and forth between the sides. Maybe they found something in Fnatic's draft that's a hole perhaps that they can abuse from blue side. We'll have to keep our eyes on it, but Kennen banned away as expected. Thing to note here, Renekton is up for Adam if he wants to 1-2 it or something along those lines, but I think first picking Ryze away here could be a good idea.
And of course, Fnatic on red side this time around do have the luxury of counter pick wherever they want to use it, but it's Rogue immediately locking in the first pick, Ryze for Larson. Not a pick that we've seen from him a lot recently.
So he has not played Ryze once in playoffs. Now we know that he can play the Ryze, but it is a bit of a shift from what we've been seeing in Rogue so far this playoff.
So I think good adaptation so far, I have to say. We'll see what Niski picks into it, but TF ban, pick Ryze, you've got roaming mid, you should have push. We'll see what Niski can counter it with. Maybe something like LeBlanc, but Renekton's open, Lee Sin's open. Maybe Fnatic want to opt into these champions, but no. Looks like they're going to go for Viego for now. Could pick their AD carry here.
And gentlemen, we're in an interesting position where we honestly just don't know what Fnatic look like when Niski can't roam, because G2 just gave it to him every single game. So this could be the first game where we see Niski locked in mid lane. Have to see how Fnatic then adjust their strategy.
So, Zyra Khan. What do you think, Kadril? It was something that we actually saw a lot of from Fnatic during the gauntlet run that they made, and I think it's something that cool.
Well, hey, that's their answer to Ryze. Now, Cassio used to be a counter.
It used to be a winning matchup, yeah.
Back when I even played mid lane in 2018, this was a good matchup for the Cassio because you can...
Is it still one?
That's the thing I have to question, because Cassio used to be able to build kind of health items, things like Abyssal Mask, Rod of Ages, Tear, and she could scale and match Ryze in 1-for-1 trades. Now I think she has to go for things like maybe even Conqueror to out-trade him, but it all comes down to movement. I would say it's a skill matchup, you know, Cassio hits the Q, she'll win the trades, Ryze cocky movement and gets the push, she's under her tower. So I'll have to keep our eye on how that progresses. But Zyra Rakan, good question, because I think Rakan's open. Fnatic could pick Rakan on 3 here and ban away engage supports, unless Rogue take it away perhaps.
I think what's crazy is that Fnatic, whether they get Rakan or they have it picked away from them, they always seem to have answers, but we know that Hilly's Morgana has been a big question mark. For now, the bot lane is not going to be the priority. Rogue have drafted themselves a strong top side. This does give Adam the opportunity to get a counter pick in. He has many champions that he's happy to play into this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Fnatic just wait and they actually just lock in something like the Rakan now to make sure that Hilly has comfort, and then they can actually start banning away counters like the Morgana.
And I like that Rogue have put Fnatic in a position where that's the choice they have to make. Are you willing to give up some of Hylissang's champion pool to give Adam the counter pick? It appears that yes, they want to cement this Camille pick in the top lane for Adam. It was a good matchup last time around, and now we might just see things like the Rakan, maybe a Pyke again, says Rogue did like that ban in the previous game, taken away here.
But I have to say, yeah, Draven, maybe they want to look for a Kalista, perhaps. We'll have to see. But I think that good start by Rogue, I have to say, from draft itself, perhaps. We'll have to see how it plays out, of course, but the Jay should have push into the Camille. Trundle can be first to ganks level 1 to 5, and Ryze, Cassio will be a skill matchup, but Ryze can get the push if he wants to. But Fnatic banning out that Draven suggests to me that there could be a world where Kalista is picked here. A lot of ADs are up, Ashe, Kalista, Ezreal, Draven taken off the board, but I think that Fnatic probably going to save their support for counter pick unless they blind pick Rakan.
Ezreal now also taken away, limiting some of the safer options for bot lane carries. Upset yet to die on that champion. Incredible performance so far in the playoffs. Makes sense to see it limited. Do we see Fnatic ban away anything else? Hard to get the full Xayah Rakan combo in this draft if you pick Rakan. Of course, maybe that will be enough from the side of Fnatic.
If they ban Ashe here, they should know that there's Kalista being spelled out here from Fnatic. Look, they have Duty shoots away Xayah. So now you've got Ashe, you've got Kalista. We'll see what progresses, but obviously you've got Jhin as well. You can go a little bit off meta.
Surely if you're Rogue, you're quite happy to take the Ashe into the Kalista matchup, right? Because we know that Hans Summer is a very talented Ashe player. It also offers them a form of engage, something they were lacking in the last game. Decent poke as well, especially later on into the game.
But it's a very awkward spot, don't you think? If Fnatic just pick Ashe on 4, you know?
That's what I'm saying, that it's very unlikely that they would do that, right? Oh, Tristana, I didn't think of that. That's also a really good ban. It's almost forcing Fnatic into like, hey, Kalista's open, why don't you take it?
Yeah, but then again, Fnatic picking Ashe on 4 means it's hard for Rogue to pick Kalista, and they take away the engage for the Ashe. There's a lot of kind of mind games going on here, but I think the point here is there's 6 AD carry bans. So they're going to have to dig deep if they go past Ashe.
I mean, what other AD carries have we even got left?
There's Rakan.
Okay, so they're actually just going to wait, and they're going to have Fnatic take the counter pick. If Rogue now lock in Ashe, the question is, what direction does Upset even go? Have we even seen any AD carries outside of this pool that still exist? I'm trying to remember what AD carries are even left. Cogmore?
That would be an interesting one, certainly. How do we want the spring throwback where there's just the cocky Caitlyn pick randomly thrown into the middle?
MF?
Whoa, 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 okay. I thought they were actually going for a Caitlyn Morgana lane there. I think that they should go for some kind of engaged support here. Leona fits very well into your comp, does well into the enemy comp. You know, things like this for follow-up would be really important. And again, you could make the argument that Cleanse could be a big problem. I think Sivir might be a pick for Upset. Yeah, if they go Poppy support, that's going to win the lane for sure. I think Sivir, Jhin is what you're looking at here for Upset.
The spirit of Mickey X is with us in this moment. Will Trimby lock it in? I like it into all the Dash champions.
Does it work against Viego's dash too?
It does. It doesn't stop the stun projectile, but it stops his little itty-bitty dash.
No way is he going to go Lucian AD. I won't talk about hovers, but really strong bot lane coming out here from Rogue. They should get the push. They should have the push in top. They should have the push in mid. Is he going to pick Kalista Rakan here? Jinx, of course, could be the option.
Wow, when you're put on the spot and you're like, name a champion, you're like, I've forgotten all champions.
Okay, Ziggs is the other one that was kind of odd and interesting that showed up. Kai'Sa would certainly allow a little bit more mobility in the fights, but very short range.
I think the point here is Fnatic have got a lot of good team fight and they have good answers to the lanes that have been thrown at them. The question is, can they get the push and can they get 5v5 skirmishes on an even footing? Because Rogue have great point and click engage, they have great lanes for push, they have an early game jungler. So not only that, but they have a great 1v1 comp Fnatic. Great team fight, but it's all on the Camille if she can get ahead.
So my only concern for Fnatic is like, this comp feels very difficult to execute.
Yeah.
It feels like that Kai'Sa with her short range requires you to dive onto the backline. Cassio has to make sure that she's landing all of her skill shots on what is a pretty long range comp with both Ashe and Jace. Of course, if the Ryze is face tanking, like, yeah, sure, she can do a lot against him, but then the Viego needs to get in, Camille needs to find a flank. On top of that, you're playing into a Trundle. It feels like that there's just, I see what Fnatic is trying to do, but the level of execution required to pull this comp off, I feel, is very, very high.
Absolutely, and the Jace can just play out of your range. The Ashe can sit back with the volley out of your range. Certainly going to need to see some creative play from Niski here to find advantage. The only person really going to want to run into melee range of the Cassio is Inspired this game.
Yeah, and melee range is a big question. Rogue have 4 range champions. The only one running into melee range is going to be the Trundle. So I think that Rogue have maybe broken Fnatic's formula here a little bit. We'll have to see how they do, but this is not a very Fnatic draft you think of, especially from the mid lane pick, I have to say, especially.
I very much agree. This one's going to be an interesting one. Fnatic versus Rogue. They're going to be jumping into Game 2 very soon. A spot in the finals on the line and an opportunity to dodge play-ins at Worlds. Fnatic had a very strong performance in Game 1. Let's see if Rogue can bring it back in Game 2.
Down, but certainly not out. Rogue now looking to strike back in Game 2. They've adjusted their draft. They've answered a lot of the things that have made Fnatic so successful in their past series, and now we have to see if they can execute.
Yeah, just talking about this Cassio pick one more time here. Niski went for Conqueror, so no phase rush. Mobility is quite hard when it comes to trades, especially if a Trundle ganks you with Pillar. Second has TP, so 1 Ash Arrow, 1 Rise Root, she's as good as dead. And against 4 range champions, especially champions with long range engage and poke, I really think that this champ, as much as it works in the lane phase, might struggle later on.
So, from what I recall, the reason why Cassio used to be a good matchup into Rise was because Rise, even though he's ranged, is actually quite a short ranged mage. You know, he's a pretty strong duelist, but Cassio, basically the moment you try to step up to her, she can lock you down, she can out-trade you. If you want to do damage, you kind of have to implant yourself to a degree, which means that landing her ultimate is also that much easier. And then when you combine that with Miasma, in terms of the straight-up 1v1, she can actually out-duel and outperform versus the Rise. I think that I can see in the 1v1 how it can definitely be strong. More of my concerns come from, as you rightly said, in the context of the comp, how she's really going to function and actually get that damage off.
Yeah, I think the lane will be a skill matchup. The team fights will be something else, because Fnatic, I think, as much as they have nice CC at level 6, early game, really hard to lock down this Rise, I have to say. Whereas you look on the side of Rogue, you know, 1 pillar, 1, you know, Rise root, I think that Cassio can't really move.
And I think it is also important that we keep an eye on these TPs from the side of Fnatic, how crucial they are, if they can find any cheeky little advantages. This early laning phase certainly harder than the previous one. Now the Ignite coming in, flash forward from Hillsang, first blood immediately. Upset can try to trade back a little bit, but really no options here. Lulu in the early game, so oppressive.
Yeah, we talked about the lane phase, the blind pick Rakan coming in, Ashe and Lulu pushing in, winning trades, outranging. Fnatic tried to step up, maybe they wanted to contest the level 1. In the end, they fall short.
Obviously, it's a bot lane, but can we just talk about how insane Hans Summer is? Like, this guy, regardless of who he's playing against, will flash forward to try and get himself 2v2 kills. During the regular season for me, oh, gank mid.
Hold on to that thigh. Inspired now to point and click on the CC. No room to outplay that one. Larson grabbing the kill and walking off.
And this time, the early game is already so much better for Rogue. 2 versus 2 kill in the bot lane that doesn't get punished. They find a successful gank in mid lane. Ooh. The Rise is just barely going to go back to base and will be able to TP back into the lane. Everything working out nicely for Rogue.
And I was nervous when we saw this because, again, last game Rogue were supposed to find some advantages in lane as well, and Fnatic shut it down so early. But this time around, they drafted for success in the early game. They have found success in the early game. And this is the Rogue that we know, the team that dominates early when they draft to do so.
See, this is the thing. Hans Summer realized, and Trimby of course, that, oh, they TP'd on as level 4, we're just going to have to kill them earlier so that they can't TP in our lane.
They have 1v1 here. A little bit of sustain on the side of Whippo, but Inspired also going to do a lot of damage, stealing away that base AD is going to be massive as well. Larson first to the move, flashed over the wall from Niski. He's trying to lock him up. Whippo now fully committing to the fight. They're going to be able to find this one. He gets the reset now. Whippo stepping forward. He's going to have a pillar of his own to put in front of Larson. He has to find the angle though, and he's going to get it for now. Flash out from Larson. Clean play from Fnatic to find that punish, and they want to keep going. Hylissang's going under the tower. Niski's got the damage, and Hylissang manages to hold on to his life.
Fnatic pull it off. Niski engaging straight away with the flash because he knows Inspired doesn't have it from the earlier gank, and Hylissang doing Hylissang things, diving at tier 1, level 2. Does manage to get away, but Niski with double buffs now, the game is evened up, and if not in Fnatic's favor.
Oh wow, the fact that Cassio gets the double buff, the fact that they're also able to punish, the fact that Larson just TP'd back into lane, Inspired tried to take a fight against Bwipo that he was winning, and if he was allowed to just keep slapping Bwipo in the face, he would have been able to get that kill. But the most important thing is Hylissang, and I gotta bring up the minimap here. So notice where he's positioning himself in the river right now, and he is immediately roaming up towards the fight. That is why Niski knows that he can flash for this play, because they're guaranteed a numbers advantage. So Larson recognizes, I can't commit to this, I can't actually trade back the kills, and they're able to turn it around.
Hylissang giveth, Hylissang take it, dies 2v2, but then gets you a kill in mid. So Hylissang roaming, Trimby couldn't match.
Guardian proc too.
We had Nolan in top, Adam looks like he had to flash away after taking a trade, Odoamne leveling up. And now we're back to live. Niski still has those double buffs. We're both just standing behind him to make sure that he can get this push in. And if they can keep this mid push, they can move around the map.
And now look at the CS difference in mid lane. Thanks to that, what should have been a great start for Larson in the mid lane, the opportunity for him to start roaming around the map, really starting to enable his team. He's now actually down in CS. He's playing against a double buff Cassio. And while that was a good trade, you can also see one of the situations where Rise can struggle into this trade up 1v1.
Yeah, good news, of course, he's got the phase rush, so he can get out of the trades, and he can certainly follow up. And Niski with the Conqueror are going to do a ton of damage. The second that poison is on Larson, he has to hightail it out of there. Bwipo already making his way up to the top side of the map. It's clear. Upset and Hylissang going to live on a bit of an island. Well, mostly Upset, as Hylissang is probably going to leave the island soon. But Bwipo ready for the top dive if they can set it up, but I think too hard at this point in the game.
Yeah, important thing to note here. Bwipo didn't get spotted because he ran around the plant, but Inspired's been sitting on a ward for a while, so Niski knows exactly where he is. Hans pushing in bot will keep the pressure. It's all about the mid lane right now. Larson doesn't have flash, Bwipo doesn't either, neither does Niski. It could be a 2v2, but Inspired looks like he just wants to counter jungle, give up the push, maybe look for some kind of bot lane plays here. No TPs on the map whatsoever. Upset Hilly, a bit of a bad trade.
Upset already low. Hylissang, long cooldown on that battle dance.
Look at Whippo.
Options.
Both Whippo and Niski already on their way down to offer support. They recognize how important it is that Upset and Hilly do not lose this wave. And the roam down will offer that assistance. And Inspired wasn't able to get a counter jungle off. Now, Odoamne all in.
Going forward. Adaptive Fence is giving Adam a little bit of a shield here. Hookshot wall dive will probably have to take him out to safety, but losing out in these trades, Odoamne finally allowed the isolated 1v1 on top side.
Odo actually had kill pressure there. If he just kind of flashed forward, full committed, and cancelled his E on Camille there, just decides to take the trade and back off. Anyway, for now, Rogue, like we said in draft, keeping these pushing side lanes for sure. Mid lane obviously getting pushed in a little bit because of the skirmishes and the double buffs. And Rogue, I think they need to start moving around the map. We saw Trimby just moving up the river now, but now helping out Larsen's what they need to do. Hylissang, Inspired's right behind them. Has to be careful.
Not quite the fight that he's looking for, but Whippo may be looking to take it anyway. They've now got in on Hansama. That's going to be big. He's been polymorphed, but it's not going to be enough. Hansama taken out. Whippo now continuing to chase. He can pick up the Ashe if he wants to. No, didn't contribute to the kill, so he will not have a soul to grab. But Fnatic again, ganking, collapsing on the bottom side. Trimby overstaying his welcome just a little bit here. Will manage to walk this one out, but Fnatic now unrestricted access to that bottom tower.
There is a reason why Hylissang's Rakan is actually known worldwide, and it is because he is very good at this champion. That setup was beautiful from Fnatic once again. Hansama still didn't have his flash from committing to that earlier 2 versus 2 kill. Hylissang recognizes that, hard commits into the play, but now we see another play in mid.
Niski immediately going to go throw down the ultimate. Larsen, could he just get killed? Could he get picked up in the exchange? Niski, it does get taken. No, he takes, he burns! 1 for 1 from Niski. That has to hurt for Rogue.
Yeah, that's massive for Fnatic. They're winning out on every single fight. They're matching numbers, Rogue, but they just keep losing the skirmishes. Larsen needed to sidestep that one, but even then he's in a miasma. He doesn't have flash, he's stuck, and that's the power of Cassio into Rise. Like you said, Hylissang dying 2v2, but still being able to find kills in bot and roam towards mid despite being pushed in. Fantastic performance so far.
Absolutely, and now the gold, dead even. Rogue, they had so much going for them in the early game, but it feels like Fnatic are always finding ways to force these skirmishes, to get these advantages in situations where other teams might not have been able to. Hylissang willing to give up bot lane pressure to go make these plays, but willing to come down in a 3v3 because they've isolated Hansama despite the allies standing next to him. Fnatic firing back. Rogue, though, holding on to the gold lead. Yes, for Larsen, difficult that he did go down, but still overall getting some gold in the pocket of Inspired never hurts.
I mean, the only real bad news for Fnatic here is that Hylissang got all the kills. And if he was on Pyke, obviously they'd be a little bit happier, but on this Rakan, he's not going to offer the same value, so on, with Upset with that money. So I'd still say that right now, Rogue are still a little bit ahead in terms of where that gold is sitting. Larsen has already picked up his tier 2 boots and decided to go for the Merc Treads, as Niski is getting so much closer to already completing his first mythic item.
Yeah, despite all these fights, let's say that Larsen and Niski having won, both side lanes are winning out for Rogue. Odoamne up in CS, keeping Adam under tower. Hans and Trimby up in CS, keeping Upset under tower. And they're getting tower plates in both these side lanes, which means that Inspired can get Herald and can start pushing these neutral objectives. So these skirmishes for Fnatic are going good. The only real thing they have going for them is the mid push. And like you said, 2 of the kills went to Hylissang, so not even the greatest of outcomes. Yes, they're outplaying in the skirmishes, but these winning lanes of Rogue are slowly paying off.
Certainly are. Odoamne already a serrated dagger, or serrated dirk rather, building slowly towards his mythic item. Adam, in the previous game, it was the hookshot that really allowed him to set up for these kills, that allowed him to find success, but of course the allies that really made it work in the end. This time he is playing on an island.
That
this time he's isolated.
Nope, it did not spot Larsen. I don't think they know he's here, but there's a pink one on Krug, so they should see him. Adam might realize too late. He's knowing something's up top side, but he's going to walk back to the tower because Whippo's behind him. Niski has TP up in around 5 to 10 seconds here.
Inspired holding the pillar, waiting. He doesn't manage to clip Adam. Adam now going to try to walk his way out of this one. Good little bit of damage, and of course they're taking a lot of experience away from him, but now Fnatic, the TP, the counterplay. Niski on the way up, he has the ultimate. Inspired, the last one waiting under the tower. Niski now chasing down the trundle, ready to go forward. That's going to be the ulti now burned. Inspired has to run for his life. Odoamne going too. Whippo now ulting forward. Spectral Mon not going to be necessary as Fnatic find a kill in the exchange.
Oh my word, and Fnatic is able to turn this play back around in their favor. And the whole play, the biggest thing I was thinking of was the difference between when Fnatic made this play last game and Rogue making it this one. And it was Hylissang. When Fnatic make these dives where they have to commit between 2 towers, they're doing it with 4 people, they're doing it with an engaged support. They have someone that can make sure that any mobility cannot get away from them. Rogue committing 3 ends up getting matched because Niski has the TP, and now they're threatening the dive top lane.
Odo has to be careful here. There's 3 members of Fnatic, but they have to crash the wave before they can look to anything. Larsen just TP'd mid.
Good stun. Niski taking the tower though. Now going to flash out, now going to make it out to safety. Locked up, knocked down. Fnatic clean dive.
The top side's fallen apart for Rogue, all because of that overextension. The first sign of life life we saw from them. Larsen moving out of lane, having a stacked wave top. Inspired was there. Overcommit, Fnatic punish, they take all their top side camps and then they dive Odoamne. Guess the good thing is Hans has been in isolation this whole time. Still up in CS, pushing in bot, Upset, abandoned that lane and went towards mid. So they have that going for them. They have a Herald still, they're going to get a Dragon, but Fnatic are finding ways to deal with these winning lanes.
But it surprises me because you talked about Larsen TPing in mid. It seems that Rogue had no awareness that Fnatic was sitting in their topside jungle. The fact that that could even be a possibility. Otherwise, you would imagine that Larsen would hold his TP to be able to make the counterplay happen.
Yeah, everything just looks really disjointed from Rogue. I think you saw when Inspired died there on the camera, a lot of frustration was coming in. Hilly's sitting on this ward. Odoamne should be able to see this, will respect it, will know that they're all still topside. Rogue got themselves a bot tower. Nothing to sweat about just yet. He'll wait for him to back off and then come back to the tower, but Hilly really wants to find this play.
And you guys were already talking about Hylissang, and I think we might have to do it again here, depending on when Odoamne wants to step forward. Hylissang not going to take the bait, will just back away, but Hylissang, a player with an incredible amount of experience. You might know him from Unicorns of Love if you're an OG fan, but obviously his time on Fnatic has been wildly successful. A guy who has been in so many finals, who has been such a huge catalyst for so many teams. I think it's natural that we have to keep our eye on this player. Holding that thought, Adam now locked up, now stunned up. Precision Protocol gets him a little bit of defense. Odoamne can't afford to overcommit here because here comes Whippo. Can he finish Adam? One more auto. Odoamne manages to get it. Whippo, can he make it a 1-for-1? The ulti coming in, but Odoamne flashing away. Hansama already set up on the top side. They're going to take down Whippo. They can turn right back to the tower, and finally, Rogue have found a play to punish from the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, they have Herald as well, so if they want to crack open this top tower, they're going to do so. Bot tower's already dead. Top tower's already dead. Yes, they've made a lot of mistakes in these skirmishes, but Odoamne with the incredible solo performance there, individually outplaying in a sense where he snipes out Adam after the flash, saves his flash for so long when Whippo's on top of him, despite being on 1 HP, and then flashes the ultimate to get 2 kills for Rogue. Maybe they want to look for more here, but it could be dangerous. Adam has TP. If they're overextending here, they could get collapsed on.
I feel like so much of the credit needs to go to Hansama, though, with the setup on the arrow and the rotation up towards top lane. This is an old Rogue classic. Play around bot lane, invest in your bot lane, and move Hansama and Trimby around the map. He has a rough idea of where Adam is. He takes the shot, and it lands straight to the head. The CC comes down. Odoamne is able to get the kill. And overall, great performance from Rogue. That swap towards topside really opened up Rogue in terms of the map. And then because of the Whippo overcommit here, if he does get that kill, maybe there's a way around it, but he wasn't quite expecting Hansama to be there.
Yeah, great play from Rogue. Now they're a little bit ahead in gold. They've taken out both side lane tier 1s and they have themselves a Dragon. Hansama has the most gold in the game as expected. He's been farming up alone for so long, and now he's got himself a couple kills as well. Niski's still very strong in this Cassio though, so overcommitting, they need to be very careful here, Rogue.
And how many times have we seen a Rogue game where Hansama does well in the bottom lane, roams, puts his advantage into the rest of the team? Normally we see it on Kalista, this time we're seeing it on Ashe. Maybe this is the way for Rogue to fight back against Fnatic, is just giving Hans these massive goldies. He's already on the way to the wit's end. Niski's life is going to be miserable trying to kill this Ashe, but that arrow is also taken into account. Rogue, glimmer of hope here now after a difficult game 1.
I mean, how many other AD carries do you know do 13,000 damage in a single team fight? I mean, if I was going to put my eggs in any basket, I'd be pretty confident putting them in that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And now Rogue going into a 1-3-1. Hans is mid, has the arrow, can use it for side lanes, because using it mid is a bit difficult unless they look for Hylissang. Obviously there's a cleanse on Upset, and Niski probably doesn't want to be here in the mid lane, but Cassio being on side is also really dangerous with no towers behind her, so being in mid, he's going to get pushed in. Niski will be under tower, the strongest member of Fnatic with no TP, which allows Hans to move top, bot, and keep pressure on these side lanes. So, the first time in the series, Rogue in control of the map.
Certainly are. And the thing that I'm always thinking about is cleanse. You talked about it in the draft, Kadril. Obviously, Upset, an insta-lock for the cleanse, right? There's no reason you're not going to run that against the Ashe. But Niski, he's a huge damage threat, and he's going to be a prime target for Hansama. He's going to be looking for the opportunity to land that arrow onto him to shut that Cassio down, and it's going to make the team fighting so much easier for Rogue to be able to execute.
Fnatic looking for a pick here, hovering around. Hylissang does get spotted out, but what they're doing is they're giving themselves a pushing lane. Adam drops bot, Niski's around mid, 3 members strong to push in top to look for this tier 1. They don't have any info on where Hans is, so it could be a little bit dangerous, but they're going anyway. The duo of Whippo, Hylissang just brute forcing this, getting deep vision. They could get collapsed upon. Hans might arrow from red buff here.
He's got an arrow, he's got a hawk shot, he can spot this one out. Inspired, they're gonna be able to burst him down. Already using the blast cone. It's Whippo on top of Inspired and Trimby, but they're gonna focus down the Lulu. She's just so squishy, but no, she wild ghosts herself. Whippo's still stepping forward, trying to find the reset. He's desperate to get anything, but he cannot find it. Upset now gonna be in trouble as Larsen steps forward. for it. All eyes on Arrow. The arrow goes wide, but Upset has the cleanse. The ulti gonna hit 3, but there is no follow-up damage. Fnatic getting routed in the fight. Fnatic running for their lives as Rogue demolish them in front of the Herald. They take them down, and that is massive for the side of Rogue.
Oh, Rogue win the team fight. 4 quick kills. They're going to be able to get a Herald as well, which will lead to a mid tower, and this all comes off the back of Fnatic being over-aggressive, trying to walk into the jungle and force something. No prio lanes. Bwipo Hylissang just run in, and they get collapsed upon. Rogue slightly late to the play, but Trimby, massive props to him, kiting Fnatic back all the way to the Herald's pit, making them all flash after him, and then when they get there and they get the kill, they realize they're stuck in the pit.
You talked so extensively about the potential collapse, Kadron, you can see here. The blast cone is actually so big at keeping Hylissang away. Look at the side steps there from Trimby. The flash, the utility usage, perfect execution. The TP comes in from Odo, and then the arrow here onto Upset, splitting him away from the fight. The ultimate was good from Cassio, but the damage was better from Odo. Rogue find a huge team fight. They get themselves the Herald, and now the game is in their control.
Oh, they're like fish in a barrel in that pit after flashing so much for Trimby. Hylissang looking for him again.
Whimsies himself for the extra movement speed. Side steps out on the grand entrance. Now they're going to grab the dragon though from the side of Fnatic, and Bwipo still wants to step forward. Pillar going to stop any potential pursuit here.
Niski TP'd in. They thought they were going for a fight there. Yes, Fnatic get the dragon, but Niski TP's away from top lane. Now he's going to run all the way back there. Larssen holding it there. They knew what the call was. And now, with Larssen being back in the game, he was so far behind in the early stages against the Cassio with double buffs. Now he's got himself 3 kills, has a shutdown, 350 gold. Should win out on this side lane against Niski. Very immobile Cassiopeia. And with that on a side lane with no tower behind her and no TP, Adam no TP as well, it's really hard for Fnatic to find numbers advantages now. Hylissang looking on bot lane right now.
And on top of that, we've already talked about it so many times, but the level of execution needed to play Cassio at all in pro play is incredibly high. To play it against 4 ranged champions, when there's an Ashe on the enemy team, when there is a Lulu who will polymorph you if you step too far. Niski, a lot of weight on his shoulders right now to show up in these fights, to get value out of this pick, his counter pick, into this Rise.
Yeah, interesting map reads coming out from Rogue here. They think the Fnatic's looking for a bot play, but they're doing 2 things at once. They're covering Niski, and they're trying to find a bot play. Arrow going on to Adam!
We just can't miss! Odoamne jumping forward, hammer smash right back into the midst of his team already, but that's the wild growth. The knock-up now coming in, Adam running for the hills, but Hylissang maybe just going to save his life. The flash out from Adam, it's clean, he holds onto the cooldown just long enough, but Odoamne, that's the acceleration gate he's running. He's going to get sped up here in a moment. He should just be able to chase him down. The rest of the team nowhere. Upset still in the mid lane though, has to be careful. Hookshot, wall dive, blast cone out to safety. Adam holds on.
Hylissang saves his top laner. Adam was all but dead there. I think Rogue should have had that kill. Meanwhile, Larssen flashed away in the top side. I think Niski and Bwipo tried to commit onto him. He was forced to flash away. Fnatic get themselves a top tier 1. Fnatic get out, but they're going to lose their mid tower as expected from the Herald.
But I like what we're seeing here from Rogue. Proactive use of the Ashe Arrow ultimate. Hansam, I think, is 3 for 3 so far in this game. He does not seem to miss, and he is on point looking for opportunities to help Rogue find themselves a pick. Of course, Larssen is being the target of focus on the side lane. Fnatic doing what they can to come back in when they're in a huge deficit against Misfits. This is how they actually clawed their way back. Constantly attacking the side lanes, using Bwipo and Hylissang as a roaming duo to look for picks, and Larssen is going to be the person that has to respect that, because you know Fnatic is not going to go down without a fight.
Yeah, and I think Fnatic have realized where their best setup lane is. It's not the Cassio lane. You can't really find a point-and-click CC engage onto Rise. It's going to be on the Jace. Odoamne's Jace, who wants to push in Adam and get some pressure on the map, is really struggling. Rogue are playing through mid to side lane though, so what ends up happening is Fnatic tried to make the play, but Rogue collapsed. Look at the minimap right now. Hans and Inspired collapsing onto Fnatic. They're forced out, and when they're forced out, Odoamne can start to push in bots. Rise, Larssen can start pushing top because they spot them out, and then they can slowly get these 3 prio lanes back, but Fnatic will keep doing this to see if they can find a pick.
And this is big, of course, for the side of Rogue. Fnatic opted to run the Camille back into the Jace this time, feeling like they had success the first time around. The fact that it's now working in favor of Rogue. The Rogue put their faith in Odoamne 2 times in a row on this Jace, even after the struggles in Game 1, is massive for the team moving forward in the series, because it means Fnatic at some point may need to answer this pick.
Well, I think that even in the laning phase, Odoamne has had 2 pretty good laning phases, except the biggest difference was, I really do feel like that in the mid lane is where we're seeing the difference. Something that I felt really strongly about in the draft was Arrow.
Onto Hylissang. Hylissang locked up, but there's no follow-up there. Rogue not going to overcommit for that one.
Okay, Hansam, yes, you did land it, but that was a little easier one.
Still counts.
Yeah, he's still 4 for 4.
Yep.
He's still 4 for 4. But it's not going to result in a big pick. The cooldown going to be relatively short. It's not going to be a Cloud Rift, but it will be that Ocean Drake spawning very soon. One of the biggest things I think that Fnatic have struggled with is because they don't have that same mid lane agency that they've had in the prior games. Niski's been so impactful in being able to snowball and utilize his mid lane lead and impact sides. And even though he got a bunch of kills in mid lane, we saw him not really being able to translate that into the sides. So Rogue's pressure that they generated in top and bot could actually be left unchecked, and there was no real way to stop them.
Yeah, Fnatic just keep doing the same play over and over, looking for top plays, looking for silent plays, trying to find a pick to slowly open up the map, because it's really a struggle for them right now. They are going to have control of the river, but they won't be able to force anything just yet unless Rogue do face check. And it feels like Nisqy wants to be involved in the side lane plays with Adam, with Hylissang, but he can't. The champion doesn't allow it. He only doesn't have TP up, and he's an immobile mage, so he needs to scale and be a reliable late game source, not a playmaker for the team. And I think that's why Fnatic have slowly slowed down in this game itself. Fnatic having some map pressure for now, but Rogue will group up and start to push them out.
Well, one thing I think Nisqy can do is help Fnatic get control over the Drake, because as we talked about in last game, when you don't have that much utility in terms of setup, what you can do is have your opposition walk into you. And if you start off the Drake and force the Rogues to come into the Cassio, then the Cassio is going to have a much easier time. So we've just seen the reset come through from the Cassio. We can see Upset pushing out that bot wave as well, and it looks to me like Fnatic wants to set up on this Drake and force Rogue into a fight.
14 seconds remaining. Looking at the cooldowns, Upset has the cleanse up and available. Nisqy, of course, no defensive cooldowns to his name. Hylissang does not have a Mikhail's for him yet. Could be a difficult fight. Arrow now coming in. Is it 5 for 5? Ooh, 4 for 5, 80% not bad, but not hitting Nisqy makes the coming dragon that much easier. That said, Rogue don't seem too interested in the objective quite yet. Whippo forced to flash away. Rogue have mid lane priority access if they want it, but Fnatic again turning their focus back to this Drake. They're going Nash in. They want to just trade 1 for 1, but they're not in the pit. That's not where they want to be. It's a TP on the top side for Odo. Now Rogue have the first setup. Rogue can force Fnatic to walk into them, but they don't have any damage down on this major objective. Nisqy, if he overextends here, it could be disastrous. Upset up to the side as well.
That ward by the Baron pit actually spotted them out. Oh, maybe it didn't.
Polymorph onto Adam. Adam immediately one shot before the fight even starts. Inspired now flashes forward. Massive pillar. Fnatic still running, still holding on. Hansama sped up now. The Whimsy to keep him running forward, to keep him on the front lines. Fnatic backing away, only losing 1 in the exchange, but Rogue can turn right back to the Baron.
Yeah, they couldn't get into the Dragon Pit. They didn't have the Ash Arrow up. It felt like they were fishing for it, kind of get a pick before it started. They didn't find it, so Fnatic got the Dragon. Yes, the Realm Warp was bad and they didn't get in the pit, but they found themselves a pick. That ward didn't spot out whether they were on it or not, and now they're going to start it up. Whippo has ultimate to get in the pit, but no flash. Nisqy no flash either. Hansama's arrow is coming back up, and Larson almost has flash.
Lower, getting lower. They're not going to finish it. They're going to turn away. They're going to back off from Nisqy. Nisqy tries to ult. He's only going to connect on one, but Hansama off the side. Hansama locked up. That's the reset that they're waiting for. Whippo now gets to transform. Whippo looks to find one. He has taken the strongest from the side of Rogue and turned it against them. Adam is back in the fight. He's focusing, inspired. Whippo cosplaying Hansama. It's a damn good sight to see for Fnatic fans as they break open the mid lane. Adam going in for another one. Do they have enough in the tank to force the Baron?
I think they do with the Cassiopeia. This should be all but gone. I think Rogue a little bit disjointed in the comms again. Whippo's off to the side. They tried to turn, but what are they turning with? Larson wasn't in range. He didn't have flash up just yet. The arrow, yes, it did go a bit wide, I think. I'm not sure if it connected, but still they tried to go into Nisqy, and Hans was all alone.
Hans was in such an awkward position in that fight, and it made it so much easier for Whippo to get the kill. With the Cassio, Fnatic have enough damage to secure the Baron, but let's have a look back at exactly what happened. So the Realm Warp comes through, and observers, they're going to help us with the vision here. So they see the Baron's been started, but they actually have no information. So they're going to face check this, thinking that they can contest the Baron, but then Adam is going to end up losing his life. So a good initial pick coming out from Rogue means that they're in a great position. Now this Miasma stops the follow-up very well from Fnatic, but here we see the commitment from Rogue onto the Baron, and then they have to turn.
Yeah, they look for the turn, but Larson's flash isn't up just yet. Hans has arrow coming up, but let's keep our eyes on Hans as he splits away, because now they look for Nisqy. His arrow comes up now, uses it onto Upset, but he's completely split from his team. Hylissang gets a great engage onto the stacking members of Rogue, and Fnatic just picked them off. Wow, I'm surprised that Rogue didn't win that turn. Nisqy looked pretty dead. He had no flash, but great engage from Hylissang, and maybe Hans just missed positioning there a bit.
That was such a crazy ultimate from Upset as well, because he basically mitigated the damage with the shield from his ult, and he was also in range of Whippo. Now we see the collapse.
Up into Nisqy, the immediate ult coming out, but it's a clean turn back. Maybe not enough for Larson, though, as he goes golden. Meanwhile, on the backside, Hansama's already dead. The fight hasn't even started. Rogue get one back in return, but Nisqy still stepping forward, goes golden. 2.5 seconds of time to buy, and Hylissang is there right on time. Nisqy standing strong. Inspired doesn't have the damage to finish the job. Fnatic finding a fight yet again. Rogue, it looks so good, but they're getting demolished in this mid game.
Rogue just look broken. They're just trying to overcommit onto sides on a play, but Odoamne's in bot lane with no TP. Hans is alone in river again. 3-man strong towards the top, but Fnatic collapse with 5 members and just clean house.
Fnatic are just playing the fights better. Fnatic are executing better, and Fnatic are looking to go match point in this series and make their way back to the final.
Odoamne trying to push in mid, trying to find some kind of pressure point, but Fnatic have the bigger one. They're pushing in top, looking for Nisqy, no flash. This might be dead here.
Niski tries to trade back to poison ticking, but it might not be enough. Odoamne enough healing coming in from the Omni. They have not quite. Last tick of poison going to finish the job. Top lane tower broken. Inhibitor now open for the side of Fnatic, and they still got a minute left on that Baron.
So let's look at this again, because Odoamne's in bot lane. Look at the minimap, but Fnatic are 5-man strong top. Hans doesn't get the Realm Warp, so he's just alone in river, so Bwipo just solo kills him. Meanwhile, on the top side, it's a 2v3. Fnatic can commit really easily, because Upset can Killer Instinct onto Hans, then collapse. Hylissang has dashes to gap close, so all they lose is Adam. Niski stopwatch to buy time. Odoamne is just like, guys, I can't join this fight.
It seems like Rogue was not expecting this level of collapse. They were not expecting all 5 people there, and it was such a huge mistake after already losing the Baron. You can see the Bwipo smile. A bit of dark Bwipo there, as well as the shadows cover his face. You know that he's on a tear right now, 2-2 and 10. Really with a stellar performance so far in this series, and Fnatic, they have control of the gold lead. They still have, well, 10 seconds left on the Baron, so they're likely not going to get much off the back of this, and now they're looking for a pick on a Larssen. TP onto Niski.
Yes, Realm Warp coming up soon. It's not up just yet. Hylissang doesn't have Flash, but Upset has Killer Instinct to gap close. I think he should be out here, but I think now they're going to turn towards Dragon. After this bot tier 1 falls, if they get this Ocean Dragon, they're going to be on Soul Point.
I was just looking at the minimap and I noticed these wards, such deep wards from Fnatic littered through the Rogue jungle as well, so the potential for a TP flank was very real there from Niski, but he decided he doesn't want to overcommit. But they have full information on where Rogue is, they know where the jungler is, and that means that Bwipo can quite comfortably start up the Drake.
Larssen inspired on the top side, easy Drake pickup. Rogue not even going to walk to try to contest this one as Upset breaks down the mid lane tower. Fnatic, they were falling behind in gold pretty steadily, but now clearly in control. 3K to their name. Soul Point as well on Ocean Rift. Very bad news for the Jace, for the Ashe, who maybe want to poke a little bit before these fights get kicked off. Hylissang as well. Someone we have to keep our eye on as he goes deeper and deeper into the jungle here. Rogue have to be careful. If they lose another fight, they could lose this game.
They're spotted on that ward. They're going to fight now, though.
Highlighted. Hylissang now running for his life. He's going to dash back to Upset. Inspired. Isolated. Will get taken down. The body block not quite going to be enough. Hylissang going back over the wall. He's unconturned, but instantly they're turning it back. Bwipo again taking away Hans Sama. This man just does not get to play these fights. Volley will not connect onto the backside of Rogue. Means they get to walk away scot-free for now. Only trading Hans Sama for Hylissang.
Ends up being a 1-for-1, but I don't know if you really want to give up Hans Sama like that. Fnatic can be pretty comfortable with that trade as they look for another pick, but Bwipo
caught between the wall. Difficult for him to get out. Hookshot wall dive now stepping forward.
Oh, Niski!
Flash over the wall from Niski. That's a big play on Odoamne. Grounded and taken down. Trimby now running forward. Pillar comes out. Fnatic again finding a pick and finding the fight.
Yeah, Fnatic just look unstoppable at this point, don't they? Larssen's trying to collapse, but he's the only one alive for Rogue. Adam's going for him, though. Will decide to back off. Doesn't have the ultimate. Might have to flash away here, actually.
Adam. Tactical sweep. Flash back out to safety. Larssen very fast, though. Don't think Adam gets to make it out of this one. Hook shot. Wall dive back to safety.
Oh, he's going for
now
it.
coming in. Bwipo, is he going to go for the stun here? The passive will not come up in time, and Bwipo now going to be one potentially in trouble here. Hawkshot comes out. Hans Sama, no arrow up yet, means Bwipo gets to walk away.
Yeah, we wondered how this Cassio would gap close, but with that flash forwards and 3 members of Rogue stacked up on top of Miasma,
I mean, yeah.
she can just free it, can't she?
It was giving me vibes back from the Splice days for Niski and the 2 versus 5 when Niski was able to showcase his Cassio mechanics. And I think he's having another very solid performance here today. Not afraid to flash and knows that he has the numbers advantage, knows that he has the follow-up from his team. And Fnatic just look so good. Let's have a look back and see him actually make this play.
Yeah, so that's one ward spots out Upset. So Rogue think they found themselves a pick. Yes, Rogue is there, but the TPs come in. Niski arrives to the fight, and it's just a 1-for-1 straight off the bat. Hylissang getting polymorphed on the engage, and Hans dying in the Miasma, not having flash up. So the fight looks over here when Larssen gets away. But then it's just this brush. Trimby thinks that Bwipo's overextending in a second here.
I mean, it feels like he's overextending, right? Like, Bwipo is basically in a 1 versus 3 in this situation, and you're like, what are you doing? You don't even have ult up or flash.
Then Niski comes in.
Then Niski comes in. Beautiful ultimate. The Miasma comes down as well. And the follow-up damage from the rest of the team. And, you know, we've talked a lot about it. We talked about, like, that camaraderie, that momentum, that idea that Fnatic has of playing as a team, and I think that's a really great example. Bwipo looks like he's overextending a little bit. Doesn't matter. The rest of the team is there to follow up. They know they can make the play happen, and they're able to support him and get themselves more kills.
And certainly a refinement of a strategy we've seen them try for the entire season. It was, when it looks bad, it's Fnatic. Why do you keep fighting? When it's low, it's Fnatic. Keep on fighting. Diving in from Upset. Now immediately Bwipo going to go forward. He's going to pick up another one. He turns into Lulu. He can turn right back. Rogue, you cannot be in that mid lane from ahead in this game to completely and totally behind. Bwipo resurrecting on the GA. Larssen going golden, but it's too little. It is too late. Fnatic barreling down mid.
Oh, Hylissang's done here. He knows he can just instantly pop the engage, and Rogue don't react in time. He gets the knock up. Really good collapse, and that's going to put Fnatic onto match point.
This time around, it felt like Rogue had what they needed in the early game. Yes, Fnatic fought back, but Rogue held onto that gold lead. They got Hansama ahead. He found the arrows. They found their advantage, but they could not get the win. And when a push came to shove, Fnatic took the game.
Just excellent performance from Fnatic once again. Yes, their early game was not as dominant. Yes, they didn't have the same level of control that they had in game 1. But what we said in draft was that this composition was difficult to execute in the fight, and lo and behold, they went and executed in the fight.
Yeah, Rogue to me just look a little bit broken, especially from the plays that they're making. Now that this draft didn't work out, they chose red, they chose blue. What's really left in the tank for Rogue? You think of Mad Lions, incredible environment. They're losing, they're laughing, they're having fun. Fnatic, they have this brotherhood of the mountain and this mantra that goes around them to never give up. But Rogue, are they really going to be able to bounce back from a 2-0 deficit?
I think it's certainly difficult, especially now when we know Niski is willing to take the Casio, the champion pool. Maybe the one thing that we thought they could target for him is now continuing to grow. It's continuing to expand. And for Fnatic, they're on the verge of completing a historic run in the lower bracket and securing their spot in the LEC Summer Finals. Join us for a preview of Game 3 after this break.
You shine like gold. Oh yeah, you show me where and I will go. Oh yeah, for you I would sell my soul. I'm not giving you up.
Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC studio. Fnatic have faced elimination time and time again in the summer playoffs, but tonight the Faithful are about to be rewarded if it keeps going this way. Fnatic could be one game away from returning to the LEC finals. Before we see kind of what happened in the game, that in itself is kind of insane.
Just insane, the fight they put up in playoffs and just the rapid improvement as well, because I do feel like playing 15 games now, 17 after the 2 today, you have so much more time to gel together as a team. They've only been getting better, and they are one of the scrappiest teams. Like, this team does not back down once they lose. Like, this game was a tough game for them, and they fought back all the way.
Yeah, Treats, I think, you know, we got to talk about both perspectives, so I'm disappointed in Rogue. I'm just going to say it. How does this keep happening? But then again, you also have to congratulate the winning team. So talk to me about how Fnatic was able to come back in this game. We're going to take a look at the Baron comeback fight.
Yeah, I think in general, Fnatic just looked sharper on the day. I think Rogue this game, they had a pretty decent goal lead, and I think they felt pretty comfortable in the game. And then this Baron fight started off like this entire just horrible sequence for them. And I think it's not really Rogue's fault. I think they do make a lot of correct calls, but it just feels like they don't really have the champions on the correct people to win these fights.
And the initial pick here is really good from Rogue, right? The ward on the Baron pit was just out of range, so Fnatic sort of walked in to the fog of war here, but we were sort of talking about behind the stage, like, Rogue do not like to go for coin flips on the Baron, so they're looking to turn off of this fight. And watch Hansama's positioning, walking up, walking towards Bwipo. Granted, didn't necessarily know that Bwipo was going to be there, but spreading apart from his team. At the same time, Hylissang finds that great engage on the bottom side. It's within these fights like this, where you have to make very rapid decisions, that I feel like Rogue are being beat out by the best teams in the LEC.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to say it. They don't necessarily make the wrong decisions, but the teams that they've come up against are more clutch in those moments, right? Yep. I think the target selection by Bwipo fight after fight after fight was really good. And I think you also have to talk about the supports a little bit. And I want to start, Treats, by Hilly and his Rakan. They sometimes even first pick it for him. Can you explain to us kind of how influential it has been so far this series?
I mean, it kind of shouldn't be allowed to be played as good as he does in this game. He should be
like, what is this, man?
Yeah, he's just crazy, yeah. No, he should be put behind very far from lane, which they kind of did as well. I think Rogue's bot lane has had a good start to both lanes now, but it's just not enough with Trimby being on this Lulu. He doesn't have any agency, and Hylissang always finds engages. If he's 0-10, 10-0, doesn't matter. He will always find them.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to see, because I feel like it's almost the way that Fnatic are playing in general. Is they want all these champions that go flying on forward. It doesn't necessarily matter that they're putting themselves into tough lane matchups because of the way they can find fights and attack you throughout the game. It's not just this team has like a really insane mid game or anything like this. Like, no, immediately after Hylissang is dying in a 2v2, they're porting bot or he's roaming mid. It's always trying to find the next way to attack their opponent.
Hi, Rakan, looking good. In any case,
whoa, okay, he's already got someone.
Okay, that's true. Sorry, Zaya.
Zaya was banned that game.
So the way I kind of want to break this down also is, you know, if we follow kind of the plan of Rogue, we know that Rogue love to play the game correctly. So are they just too stuck on, all right, we have to have this winning bot lane matchup because that's what we're good at. We have to have, you know, maybe the counter pick in top lane because that's how it should work. But it seems like they run into teams like Mad, like Fnatic, that say, no, we are actually going to pick what we think is best for winning the game and going forward, which isn't necessarily correct.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of weird because Rogue have won like this in the best of ones in the past, and also in playoff series they've picked up a lot of wins playing this way, but it just looks like they're not getting big enough lead, and they don't have the champions like that they feel super comfortable finding these like massive leads. So I think even though they have decent early games, it needs to be even better. And I also think, I mean, I don't want to see Inspired on Trundle once again. I think it's like insane that the MVP gets to play Trundle twice when he could be a really influential player in the series. So I think they need more champions with more individual agency, because right now Fnatic are just flying forward with 5 champs and Rogue are just sitting ducks, honestly.
Rogue are already a team that aren't like super proactive when it comes to like searching out and finding fights, and I think that putting Trimby on a range support again also is problematic.
Yeah, we need to see him more on an engage heavy support, I think, for sure. I also want to talk a bit about Nisqy. There was a big talking point about if TF is out of the game, what can he do? He says, no problem. I'll be fine on my Cassio as well. I think that needs to be called out in terms of Fnatic. But let's pull up the draft now. Backs against the wall completely for Rogue. Yes, they made it to Worlds, but as said, they wake up in a cold sweat because they want to get back to those finals. Fnatic is now in, again on match point. They've been here before. This time, though, it's in a game 3 ender. What are we going to see from both teams in game?
Well, Fnatic are just going to run it down so they can get to their game 5 comfort zone. No, honestly, I think that what we saw from Fnatic, even especially in this game, is all champions that have so much heavy dive. And it's a little bit shocking because it doesn't feel like a draft like this should work out. Like I was thinking, like when Upset locked in the Kai'Sa, I was really liking the Jinx as a possibility for him to have range to fight back against Rogue's team. But honestly, Fnatic, if they just keep drafting compositions that want to seek out fights over and over again, I say go for it. Rogue do not seem like they are equipped, and especially if they keep playing range, nice laning champions that aren't great fighters, go and punish them.
Treats, you said 3-2 Fnatic, so that means we're going to see another 2 games won by Rogue. How will they do it?
Oof, yeah, it's looking kind of tough right now for Rogue. I think they need to have more agency on Inspired and Trimby both. I'd like to see them on more aggressive champs with some engage. And I think, I don't know, Larsen still needs to do more on the Rise. Like now he had the opportunity to really pop off on the map, but it didn't really feel like he had the side lanes to enable. So I think Rogue needs a more well-rounded comp with some more engage, and then we can see some scrappy games for sure.
Yeah, you said in the cast room, you said Larsen is playing the Rise like he plays the Orianna, and you don't want that.
No, I mean, it's not only his fault, because I think it's not really good to gank a Lulu or a Jace, so it's kind of tricky, but yeah, definitely he can do more as well.
All right, let's see what happens. It is all on the line for Rogue in game 3 as they need a win to stay alive in the fight for the LEC title.
Took me to a state of mind. Oh yeah, a place I never thought I'd find. Oh yeah, believe me, I would never lie. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. I'm getting higher and higher. The skies are falling. Desire, the fire within burn brighter and brighter. Your hands on my skin and I never felt this way before, my love. You give me feelings, don't you ever stop. I know addictions can be dangerous. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. You're my nirvana. You shine like gold. Oh yeah, you show me where and I will go. Oh yeah, for you I would sell my soul. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. I'm getting higher and higher. The skies are falling. Desire, the fire within burn brighter and brighter. Your hands on my skin and I never felt this way before, my love.
years, Fnatic and G2, they have been staples on the international stage, and tonight one of them will fall.
They've had to fight their way through Vitality, through Misfits, and now through the Titan that is G2 Esports. Going the full 5 games in every single series, Fnatic have fought tooth and nail to get to this point.
Tonight, one of these Titans will fall as they battle to keep the 2021 season going.
We're a better and smarter team because we went through 15 games together and we made the most out of it. Going into the series, Yamato for weeks already, even against Misfits, against Vitality, he just looked at all of us and told us, it's in your hands. Just look at your hands. It's in there. I think that's the magic of Fnatic versus G2. No one can put their finger on it. Split isn't over yet. I roll swap to do better. I roll swap to win the split. I lost 2 years in a row, and then I was 5th. And I got sick of it, you know. I don't want to do worse. I want to do better. Making it the Worlds is staying on course.
So we are going to a final game to decide who is going to Worlds.
I want people to think of my name and be like, this guy changed to who he wanted to be. He changed what role he played, how he played the role, what champions he played. I want to win. I want to do more. I want to show people that it's not just a fight for 3rd place. Rogue will be first, then it'll be Mad Lions, and I'm sure that if we play our best game, we will give anyone a run for their money.
Collapse quickly, but Jankos is down before G2 can get in there, and now the flank is on, the Realm Orb comes out, and Whippo with the pillar! Whippo stops G2's retreat right in its tracks!
Well, you don't calculate everything, you just have a really good idea of like, this should be good. That was a pillar. I flashed pillar, and I was like, feels like it's gonna be good.
I'm hitting baby! Huge, guys. Huge.
Fnatic make it through to Worlds!
The most difficult part about going into the finals week next week is this felt like a finals. Like, I didn't think I was good enough to make it. I proved everyone that doubted us wrong. Everyone doubted us. 3-2 Vitality, 3-2 Misfits, 3-2 G2, and that's all she wrote, right? Honestly, after this series, I just realized, like, I have so much more to give. I'm not done yet. Coming into this split, I roll swapped with the intent of doing better, right? I didn't leave top lane after such a bad split to eat and drop out as 5th again. I roll swapped because I wanted to do better, I wanted to be better, I wanted to be pivotal for my team to make a change, right? Usually I get mentioned in negative connotation, you know, me and Hillesheim, the art of inting. But I want people to look at us and be like, holy shit, these guys, they're not here to lose.
Holy shit, these guys, they're not here to lose. Fnatic 2-0 up in this series. It has been dominance in game 1. Game 2, they fought back. They found their way into the game through incredible skirmishes, and now they stand poised to make it to the LEC finals. They have fought through each and every team in the playoffs except for the Mad Lions. And if they win today, they'll get their shot against them tomorrow.
Oh, what a story for Fnatic, and what a story of redemption if they're able to make it as well. Fnatic, as an organization, have a long history of rebuilding rosters, of finding new players. And after the loss of Reckless, many people thought that they would not be able to do it, especially after their 5th place performance last split. But here we are, a rookie in the top lane, a role-swapped jungler, and the rest of the team kind of changing their approach to the game. This is a new Fnatic, and this is one that is poised to make their way to the final.
And not just that, a lot of, let's say, public opinions about Upset saying that, well, is he really as good as people says he is? And now this season, this year alone, I think he's basically said, guys, I'm not here to mess around. He's one of our best ADs in the league. So a lot of doubt around these players, a lot of questionable decisions from Fnatic as an organization, but it's working out. Match point, my biggest question is, can Rogue bounce back?
Certainly. Question on everyone's mind, will it be the clean sweep from the side of Fnatic? Rogue obviously not out of this one yet. The celebration of Fnatic split, well deserved, but they have not climbed the mountain yet. There is still much more in front of them. This game in Rogue, the first step in a long road, and Rogue, if they have anything to say about it, are not going to let them go easily.
So, game 3 draft. What's working for Fnatic? Rock on.
Ban it.
What's banned away? Rock on.
Yeah.
Camille, question. TF, you know, roaming mids. Niski found a way to deal with the Rise. Well, there goes the Twisted Fate.
So, what have Rogue changed? Well, last game, they decided to get rid of Thresh, Aphelios, Twisted Fate. This time it seems like Will they choose to remove the Aphelios? Will they leave the Thresh open? They're gonna just get rid of mid laners. So remember, Niski's mid pool. It was prior to game 2. Rise, Twisted Fate, Silas. He had one LeBlanc game in playoffs, and now he's got one Cassio game. So clearly, he's got more in the tank, but you would expect that Silas would be the direction they go in. You imagine, though, that the first pick is going to be the Thresh.
Yeah, and I want to see inspired on something that isn't Trundle. I want to see him on Lee Sin. I want to see him on Viego. I want to see him on some kind of prowess carry jungler, because as we were talking about backstage, playing things like Trundle, Morgana, Trundle range support, it feels really hard for your jungle support to find engages.
Absolutely does. You don't have the reliable lockup of even a Flay in this case. As Trimby, it's not a traditional engage support. Thresh kind of the middle child between a more defensive support and a more offensive option, but certainly already has tools to fight back. That said, Fnatic instantly taking away the Aphelios, the premier carry option to pair with the Thresh, and grabbing Braum for themselves.
What AD do they want to go here? Could leave AD till 4-5, but he could go for Kalista, Jinx, notorious champions with the Thresh.
Yeah, very true. Perhaps they want to put all of the eggs in the Hans Sommer basket. He did have an excellent performance in game 2 on his Ashe. It was difficult for him to play those fights later on into the game, but it does seem that they are putting full confidence in him this time round. Hyper carry Jinx, he's gotten a 2v2 kill in all of our 2 games so far in this series. Let's see if he can make it a third. Now Rogue need to round out their draft. Will they grab themselves a jungler? Or will they decide to lock in one of their solo laners? They have quite a few options. Something like a Lee, something like a Viego could be a very solid blind. If they want to go for the safest, I think that Lee, nope, they're just going to lock in a Comfort for Larson.
Comfort for Larson indeed, but Niski might want to match with a control mage of his own.
Silas, I'm convinced.
You're convinced he's going Silas? I think control mage match makes sense. Silas can obviously trade his HP for the push in mid. It all comes down to the jungle matchup at that point, which Fnatic do have first choice on. You know, on 4 pick, they can go for Lee Sin, they can go for Sinzar, whatever kind of AD jungler they want to pair it with. But Adam's Renekton is open, so maybe they just want to leave till 4-5. Mid jungle can go 4-5. Let's just take away the Renekton.
And I like already having that strong blind pick for Adam. He's been doing pretty well in the series. Of course, has fallen behind Odoamne in both of the games. Maybe part of the reason that the Jace has now been limited, but has still had a very big impact in the fights and skirmishes. Now you can see Fnatic, though, trying to set him up for success by banning away further top laners. Again, McKinnon not been allowed to show up once in this series so far.
So, do you think the next ban is a Jace, or do you think it's an Ornn?
Well, Jace is already banned away.
That one, right,
but
okay.
I also don't know if it's an Ornn.
So, the reason why I bring up the Ornn is because right now Rogue is very committed towards this teamfight style, and they want a form of engage. The only concern I would have around that is, of course, something like the Braum, but it was something that they brought out last week when they played against Mad, and that was the game that they actually came, well, outside of the massive gold lead that they had in game 3, but they used it as a teamfight engage tool that went toe-to-toe with the Mad Lions in the game 2 last week.
Yeah, Braum can block the engage, though, so picking Ornn into that's a bit risky. I think the thing I'm just looking at now is a Zillion ban away from Niski. That's a mid-lane targeted ban for sure, so they maybe know something from scrims or something that was going around. Syndra taken away, does have a Azir still available if he wants to opt into it, but both junglers are up, so you could, all 3 junglers are up, so you could opt into something that's, you know, your flavor of jungle that you might want to go for. Lee Sin, one of them for sure, but it looks like maybe Whipper wants to go towards his signature Trundle. I think he's undefeated on it.
Trundle certainly, well, it doesn't have the immediate heart CC that a Rakan would bring with it. The Braum and the concussive blows is going to pair nicely with the double melee kind of bruiser style threats that Fnatic now have on the composition.
Ooh,
I would love GP.
I would love GP as well. I think this would be so good. And I think that into the Renekton, the nerfs haven't come through to Gangplank yet in terms of his early game. So early on, you can definitely also play pretty well into the Renekton. The ultimate is really good into Aphelios. I'm a really big fan of this. Question is, well, you're a jungler, Kadril. Would you prefer something like a Lee here? I know you've talked a lot about how the mobility on the Lee is often quite good into things like the Trundle, but do you think in the comp it really makes sense?
I think Jarvan also makes sense. If you have GP Orianna, really good engage onto the Aphelios. He's immobile, works into Trundle too. Lee Sin's a good playmaker to opt into, and I think it's inspired comfort, and it's something to play around. I think there's a lot of good options here for jungle. I don't think that's big of a worry. Yeah, Jarvan might get picked up. I think it's an amazing pick with the GP Orianna. But no, they're just going to go for the Viego. I got baited for a second.
You look so smart there, highlighting all these really good picks, and then he was like, haha, screw you, Viego.
Yeah, just goes to Viego.
I mean, you got this analysis, why the J4, you know, why all these other champions. Viego's good because I don't know if you remember that pen and kill, but this champion does some ludicrously dumb stuff. So there you go.
Yeah, can get a kill, gets a reset. You get a Braum, you get a Trundle, that Aphelios is not moving. Even a Renekton or Sylas, which has just got last picked here for Niski into the Orianna as you expected. And a lot of melee champs for Fnatic. 4 melee champs with an Aphelios behind
Gangplank.
Into a Gangplank, into a Thresh. Rogue, good scaling on their solo laners, I have to say. Fnatic, definitely an early game focused draft here.
Yeah, definitely is. You expect Fnatic to be very topside focused, looking for early ganks in the mid lane, trying to burn the Orianna's flash, which with this duo can actually be very easy to do. And to be fair, Bwipo and Niski have attacked Larson a lot in this series, so definitely keep your eye on that. The question is, will Hylissang be able to get out onto the map as much? We have not seen Trimby roaming. He has been locked in his lane because he has been playing the range support. Now he is more unlocked on the map. Now he, on the Thresh, has an opportunity to match Hylissang and be as proactive and help his team. This could be the difference. This could be what Rogue need to shift the series back in their favor.
It is certainly has to be, because it is do or die now for Rogue. They are down 0-2 in this series. They need to find a win. They need to bring it back if they want to complete the reverse sweep. It starts here for Fnatic. They're looking for the clean sweep. They're looking ahead to the Mad Lions and a challenge in front of them, but they cannot underestimate their opponents. They cannot afford to as we get ready for Game 3 in the spring semifinal. Here we are now onto the Rift. Fnatic coming out with a level 1, potentially ready to get things kicked off. That said, paying attention now to the side of Rogue. How do they respond to this? Do they get caught out here? A level 1 turning against them could be disastrous. Niski already standing behind.
Ooh. They get the ward. They get the ward. Niski using the E over, trying to look for a pick, but Trimby doesn't fall for a drop shot. The ward, and they're playing the Braum lane. We've seen this before from Fnatic. Trundle Braum, splitting the map level 1 bot side, zoning away the enemy bot lane while Adam's on a weak side Renekton. This looks exactly like Fnatic.
This is definitely one of the many strategies that Fnatic often use to try and enable their bot side of the map. Let's see how Rogue respond. You also have to be careful of any early shenanigans in the mid lane as well. Let's have a look here. Adam just covering for the red buff and for the time being. This ward, of course, is here to spot anything out. So if the split map does in fact happen, how they will be able to respond.
I think good play from Fnatic. Rogue don't have that much dive pressure up towards the top side unless Adam takes a bad trade. And bot lane is quite difficult when you're playing, you know, Aphelios Braum into Thresh Jinx. You're going to get pushed in, and they do have the ranged advantage, of course. But now the map split. The ward should cover them off in Tribush from any kind of level 2 ganks. But definitely punishing this winning lane of Rogue and shutting it down in a way to get the split map.
And also forcing Trimby and Hansama to play just a little bit safer, even though they do have that bit of vision. The level 2 gank could come through from Bwipo, but I like this from Larson already walking down, laying down a bit more vision. Should spot Bwipo as he leaves the jungle here. Inspired taking that as the invitation. This is a split jungle that you both talked about now. Should be able to grab that red buff. Relatively low health, but Adam, of course, can't afford to back away from the wave right now.
Observers, can we very quickly have a look at the top lane wave? Because as Bwipo is making his way into mid, we can see that Adam does actually have the push here, which means that the risk of a collapse is very real. Adam trying to be as aggressive as possible as Bwipo makes his immediate way towards the red buff. They know that he's on it. Let's see if the collapse comes through.
He's pretty much out here. Bwipo's just going to take away his Raptors, so in the end it's going to be a +1 for Bwipo because he gets his own Raptors and takes away the enemy. Just a case of him taking his Raptors and deciding what to do next. He could path towards the bot side of the map, but the thing is, the pressure is relieved from Rogue's bot lane now. They see Bwipo towards the top side, running through mid. Now bot lane's 2v2 again, and they can start to look for pushes. As I say that, Hylissang.
Trimby walks away for 1 second. Hylissang immediately gets the fight kicked off. Both of them have been marked by the concussive blows. They're going to find the stun immediately onto Trimby with the power of the onslaught from the Aphelios, but backing away now. Niski gets aggressive in the mid lane. Clean sidestep comes out from Larson. The dissonance as well for the movement speed steroid, and it's fights across the map. Everybody looking to kill everybody. He's inspired now is to run. Bwipo doing so much damage. The flash out. Bwipo won't be able to follow that one up. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, that's 3, that's 4. That's going to be the final stack. Now the CC there as well. Upset in Hylissang. Turn it around. It's 2v2 kills for Hansama and Trimby every single time. But in game 3, Fnatic finally find it as Hansama needs to be careful. The flash out just barely keeping him alive.
Yeah, they're getting the upper hand of this. Hans doesn't die to the Q from Upset there. And there was a lot of fighting in bot. Trimby missing his flay on the initial gauge. Both heals traded off, and now Fnatic might be the ones to dive top, despite splitting them at bot.
Now going to be blocked. That's the stun coming out. Oluwamne flashing out to safety, but there's just too much damage here. Bwipo already tanking the tower. Means Adam grabs the dive as well.
Oh my word, Fnatic are just dominating absolutely everything, and I think Bwipo showing us a masterclass in how to play this Trundle. Like, this is crazy. He's stolen, what, like He stole the enemy red, he then steals enemy raptors, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my raptors. Surprise, I'm now gonna come back, and I'm also gonna steal your wolves. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, this is the first time that Upset and Hylissang are able to find themselves a 2 versus 2 kill, and Fnatic already sit at a 1k gold lead only 4 minutes in.
Yeah, Inspired's gonna come towards bot lane. Hans hasn't based yet. There's a TP behind, no flashes on all of them.
The Fnatic special, now it's gonna be Adam in the midst of the team, but that's the double TP going in. Niski gonna go for the bomb stun. The Thresh is just too squishy. There's nothing he can do, and now it's Hans Sama who's gonna be in trouble. He's got no mana, he's got no HP, he's got no life, just a gray screen to keep him comforted as Fnatic find another play on the bottom side.
It's a 2,000 gold lead at 4 minutes in. Fnatic win out on bot, win out in jungle, get a top dive, and use their TPs to bot. Rogue are really struggling now. This is incredible play from Fnatic.
The mental fortitude now required from Rogue when you're already down 0-2 and you're now down such a massive amount of gold, and what could be your final game in the LEC is gonna have to be massive.
This is where if you're in a solo queue game and someone types bot play defensive, you know, that's the thing where you're like, excuse me?
They have double TP advantage? What?
This is just so crazy. I can't believe that Fnatic sit there and goes, oh, hang on, Hans Sama.
Locked up again.
I think
it
he's
should
dead.
be easy. Warded the wall as well. Now the step forward to body block the hook. Hans Sama managed to make it out initially. Good damage coming up from Upset, but Hans Sama barely able to walk that one out.
Yeah, with the stun and with the pink on the lantern, I thought he was dead. Does manage to get it in the end, but winning out everywhere. Larson has flash and Bwipo sees him with the sweeper.
Stepping forward is going to be big. Pillar, where's it going to go? He's procced the phase rush, but he still has to get around the pillar. Niski now chasing. Niski flash available as well. Larson running. One stack on the concussive blows, but Hylissang is unrelenting. Trimby in the area. Lantern maybe going to be up. Fnatic. These guys are bloodthirsty. This is the most aggressive early game they've had in the entire series.
Oh, I thought Hilly getting on Larson's flash there would end up in a kill, but no, the blast going gets him out and he's forced to base. Niski's going to push in mid. Fnatic winning out everywhere on the map right now.
So typically when we think of Rogue, we think of a team that uses their proud lanes to best enable their jungler. Oh, hang on, Inspired might just be dead.
Locked up, Inspired now running, trying to trade back just a little bit, but Niski level 5, Conqueror now fully stacked, does dodge out in the double half, or the second half of the chains rather. Stepping forward with the Petricite burst. Larson in the area. Niski's still going. Niski, absolute confidence. He's going to go. He's on level 6. He just barely misses on that one. He's going to walk away, but Rogue getting routed. Niski walking into a 2v1 fearlessly. This is not good for the side of Rogue. Odoamne, he's got a level advantage. Adam's still trading anyway.
Fnatic is, oh, hang on, they're setting up a dive. They're setting up a dive. They don't have TPs, but they don't care.
Upset now backing off. Who's tanking the tower? Looks like it's going to be fine. Hylissang's tanked it up now. The stun coming in. The GPL, maybe they can turn it. The GPL, this is going to be enough. Odoamne, he grabs one, but Upset's still standing. Trimby, Larson coming over the wall, but Niski still in the area. The dash over, immediately turning right back. Larson marked, but not by a relevant weapon. Now Larson has to run for his life. The stun over the wall from Inspired. Niski has to be careful. He has no mana, but he's got the passive stacks. It will not be enough. Inspired going to grab the kill back. It should be a shutdown and 450 gold into his back pocket.
A little bit of a greedy dive there from Fnatic. The GP ultimate saving them to make sure Rogue at least trade back for 2 kills, but the most important thing here is the bot lane of Rogue is just so far behind. Larson shows up in the end alongside Inspired to clean up a little bit, but Fnatic just dominating every single lane.
Oh my words, Fnatic are just relentless. Like, this isn't even a fully stacked wave. They're just like, hey, they're only level 4 and level 3. Look, Upset's level 5, Bwipo's level 5. The GP ultimate does a lot of damage and is a main reason as to why Rogue are even able to get anything back, but Bwipo secures that other kill, and then you see the overcommitment here from Niski. He doesn't see Inspired in the lane. That stun from over the wall was clutch, and it allows Rogue a little bit back as the onslaught continues. 2-7 is the kill advantage for Fnatic.
A little bit of a misplay there from Niski. If he hit the chain, he probably would have just one-shot Larson straight up and got out, so Rogue do manage to find something at the very least, but it's just a kill over to Odoamne and Inspired. The bot lane is still going to struggle.
Now, what amazes me is Hans Sama and Larson are both actually still even in CS. Hook lands.
Hooked, easy CC follow. Ooh. Clean play now coming in. There's no way for Hylissang to get out of this one. Good pick coming in from the side of Rogue.
Yeah, great lantern as well, pulling Inspired all the way into the river to make sure that Hylissang is dead there and has no way of escaping. So one pick helps out the bot lane. Should be able to push out, so a little bit of pressure coming in for Rogue.
And we talked about mental fortitude. The fact that they're still looking for these plays is so important for Rogue, because while they do have a strong scaling composition, they can't just allow Fnatic to steamroll them over in the early game. Fnatic is in a great position, but there are still things that Rogue can do, and they're looking for every opportunity where they can find it.
Small little thing there. Larson just holds the melee creep, so his wave meets the melee creep next to his tower, so the waves crash very close to his tower. So he's not vulnerable to ganks because he has no flash, and he can farm the wave pretty safely.
In addition, I think the other good news for Rogue right now is Odoamne on the top side. Decent CS lead over Adam, also the beneficiary of the kill, means individually he has a decent gold lead, and with the power of that Cannon Barrage, he should be sitting pretty comfortably. Also, highest in XP in the game currently. Maybe, just maybe, the Gangplank can be the pick that they need to turn these fights in their favor.
It certainly can be, and like again, I have to give credit to Odoamne because his laning phase throughout the series has been very good. In the first game, he was subject to a lot of dives from the mid lane, and then last game, you saw him with a huge CS discrepancy in the 1 versus 1. So credit to him, he has been laning very well, and now he's utilizing this Gangplank to find more advantages. Rogue rotating up towards the top side, looking to funnel more resources into Hans Sama. We talked about it in the draft. He is going to be the key carry for this team.
Yeah, complete just swap up here. Rogue have the Gangplank ultimate up soon, so they should be able to ult the next wave in bots, so that should give them a little bit of a tempo advantage if they use this Herald up towards the top side. But Inspired's gone over to give the blue buff. I think Odoamne will have to ult the next wave at least, because otherwise Upset's going to get that tower, and Niski's pushing in mid, so 2 pressure lanes here for Fnatic, but Rogue have the Herald.
See what Upset can get done. Gun's not ideal if you had the white gun to go down much faster, and already we have a play now in the mid lane. One staff looking for a few more onto Larson. He's trying to survive. The GP ult now forced to be used in the mid lane, but here comes the rocket from Hans Sama. Can he find the land? Is only going to hit Whippo. Hylissang now running, trying to turn it back. Hylissang does go down, and they manage to trade something. Yes, at the end of the day, though, Larson still goes down. Odoamne versus Upset on the bottom side. He cleanses the oranges initially. Upset still stepping forward, unafraid of the GP, but the Herald has been used top side. The gold is coming for Hans Sama. This man's going to be rich, but Fnatic firing back in the mid lane, breaking down tower plates of their own. Inspired, all he can do is respond.
Yeah, the GP ultimate is saving these dives against Fnatic, actually giving them the 1-for-1 trades. Larson manages to pull it off, and because Odoamne sees 3 people mid, he can walk up bot and clear the wave, but now he might not be so safe. Whippo's running down, Adam is running down, Niski has TP up, there's a ward right behind him, Trimby's reading the play, TP's coming in, I think the Lantern out should be enough, unless Whippo can cancel it.
Whippo stepping in, Lantern does save the day. White gun, red gun though means it's an easy finish on the turret for Upset as well as Niski. Kraken Slayer coming in for Hans Sama very early though. If this man keeps getting isolated in these lanes, he's going to shred through towers even faster.
Good awareness there from Rogue to read the play. Trimby offering that support, and now Hans Sama back in the bot lane. They want to get as many plates into his back pocket as possible. Ooh, so close.
Everyone's playing with fire in their bases in this series. Everyone's basing within a centimeter or a second of someone catching them.
So, observers, can we very quickly have a look at the gold and see the distribution here? Because obviously you can see Fnatic in the lead. Slight advantage in jungle, big lead in the mid, largely coming from the kills and the plates in the back pocket, and also a slight advantage for Upset thanks to the kills that he has been getting. Let's see if this could be another kill for Fnatic.
Oh, here come the boys. Trimby and Hans Sama just not ready. Trimby's going to have to sacrifice himself to get Hans Sama out, but will it be enough? Hylissang and Whippo ready to chase their own pillar, turning against them a little bit here is Inspired. Ready for the follow-up. Adam TPing, but is he TP'd a little bit earlier? Is there anything else to be done here? Hans Sama running for the hills. Inspired. It's a bit of a split focus now for Fnatic, but Hylissang flashing forward. Trading flashes now with Hans Sama means the Rogue are going to have a much harder time contesting objectives when Hans Sama is going to be so vulnerable.
Boys, indeed. Fnatic moving around as a death ball. The reason they're doing it is because they have a good TP ward behind bots. They want to push out and get this next dragon. You'd expect Whippo's going to start that one up, and Rogue forced to back off. They get themselves a kill onto Trimby, and importantly, they get 2 summoners out of hands.
It's just TP up. We can TP flank bot, right? That's what the comms have to be from Fnatic. Every time they have their TP
but now TP flank from Rogue.
Rogue firing back, but Whippo's in the area. Whippo incredibly low, however. Does have the smite to heal off the objective, but Inspired now stepping in. Hylissang isolated, should just be sacrificed here, but will he be sacrificed for the objective? It looks like the answer is yes. Hylissang still running. There's the Fnatic turning their attention back towards mid lane where they're going to have 4 members strong, pushing onto that tower. Rogue grabbing the free kill onto Hylissang, but what will it cost them?
Double TP invested for a single kill. Yes, they can push out bot, but Fnatic might want to collapse on hands here. Rogue need to be careful. They don't have any vision, and both the solo laners that just TP'd in, they just base streak us.
There's nothing. Inspired, they have to be careful. Niski's forward, he's going to miss the stun. That's pretty massive. Steals away the ultimate. The GP ult comes in, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Inspired now following up. He's taking away Niski. Maybe this is the chance to turn the power of the Viego. It's done it once, but it will not do it in this fight. Hans Sama now running. Adam, first dash forward. Immediately going to go for the Cold and Meek. The stun. How far away is it? Upset has the slow on the Gravitum, and that's just going to be it. Whippo on a killing spree. Fnatic 3K up.
They TP'd in, they based, then they get collapsed on. Fnatic, really good decision making. Get the dragon, give up Hylissang. Wait, Hans is overstaying bot. Should we take the risk that they've based? Yeah, we're Fnatic, just go for it. They collapse, they win the fight.
And I think the fact that Fnatic knew that this bot side vision hadn't been cleared out. Look, all these wards are still sitting in this bot side jungle, and the fact is that Rogue when they went for the collapse, they just focused on getting that pick onto Hylissang and maybe contesting Fnatic for the Drake. Fnatic took advantage of that. They were able to find themselves some quick kills, and they were able to come out overall ahead of the play.
So Rogue tried to copy Fnatic's homework, but they don't make it too obvious with this double TP behind. This is the fight from earlier. No, this is the fight afterwards, I believe. Both solo layers are based. They're completely in Africa Freaks. They can't do anything here. It's just a 3v3. Rogue tried to fight back, but in the end, they lose the fight because of the numbers disadvantage.
That stun from Adam was also super clutch there. He's like, yeah, I've seen what you can do on this champion. I'm not going to give you the opportunity to get those resets, because if that ultimate had come through from Inspired, it could have been.
Larson locked up. Larson dead. No way to get out of that one. And Larson, he can't walk that far forward into an Aphelios.
Yeah, and plates are falling too. Really good timing for Fnatic, so that mid tower should be pretty free for them to pick up. Hylissang's flanking them. Maybe they want to look for a dive. GP wave clear, obviously very powerful. No Gangplank ultimate just yet.
Inspired now trying to make it out the hook, the box. Whippo now caught out of the tower. There should be a free kill pickup for the side of Rogue, and a big shutdown onto the Gangplank. Odoamne getting stronger and stronger. They want this fight, but are they ready for an upset? Double guns ready to go. Red and white. He's going to spin, and he's going to fish for the shock from Trippy. Very low. Just gets picked off. There's nothing for him there. Inspired of the wall, but he can't make it over. He can't do anything. Hylissang now backing up. Upset here as well. Concussive blow. Something you have to keep your eye on. Only one chakram for upset. Means he's not too big of a threat. Rogue, though, going to back away. They don't want any more of that fight.
21 kills here in 14 minutes. Fnatic, they don't even look for the objective. I think they had a free mid tower there, but no, they wanted to find an angle to look for a dive. In the end, they're forced to back off. The tower still stands, but they get themselves a kill. Nisqy having a great game on this side. 7 kills right now. 7,000 gold. 2,000 gold above Larson on the enemy team.
What's crazy is it doesn't even feel like he's like doing a huge amount. It's not like he's making crazy plays. It's just that after every single skirmish, he is picking up the kills and he keeps getting them. And now he's sitting at a point where he is so far ahead. He has been doing so much damage, and he is the key carry. Like, again, Ryze, Twisted Fate, Sylas. These are the 3 most played champions that he's had in playoffs, and you can see what happens when he gets his hands on these champions.
And he had just the 3rd highest DPM at 15 of any mid laner. But when we think of DPM farming, we think of like Varus mid in Season 6. We think of like control mages.
Ezreal.
Not early game Sylas. Nisqy is popping off. This has certainly been a Fnatic-dominated early game. Yes, Rogue have been able to fire back. They've been able to get a lot of shutdowns, but Fnatic have been the ones dictating the pace, and now they're going to be ones grabbing the 2nd Herald of the game.
Yeah, they have the pushing lanes. Should be free. Nisqy's basing, but he has TP just in case. He's just going to run bot and catch that bot wave. So Fnatic pressuring top, getting Herald, catching bot wave. We'll see what Rogue want to do on the cross map, because they have 5 members hovering towards this bot side. So this top tower is all but dead unless they invest a Gangplank ultimate to defend it. Looks like they're just going to trade, but Fnatic have mid pressure. Nisqy has TP. Adam doesn't just yet, though.
Pulling away. Nisqy off to the side. He's isolated for now. Inspired has to be careful, though. Depending on when he goes in, this fight could turn against him very quickly. Instant sustain comes back up from the Kingmaker from Nisqy. Now has to back away. The snare, the follow-up. Can't turn it back with an ulti stolen away, but that's just going to be a clean kill coming in. Odo was there for the backup, but meanwhile, Fnatic in the mid lane breaking down a tower. That said, big money into the back pocket of Inspired. Always good for the side of Rogue.
See what Fnatic can do, though. They have a Herald in mid. Can they look for 2 towers? Hands can wave here. They also have a wave in top if they want to move towards the top side here. This value said, we'll see, because they have the jump from Braum, they have flash too, here they go.
Again, another ulti connecting, just a little bit of follow-up damage. That's the snare coming in from Asid as well. Hansama just forced out. Hylissang using the ultimate, just hoping to catch somebody. 2nd tower going to be picked up. Yes, Larson got a little bit of damage down on the bottom side of the map, but certainly not a whole tower.
I like that Fnatic committed to that, because they could see the same play as I could. They realized that if Hansama and Trumby overstay, if they're not going to get kills, they're definitely going to burn some summoners. So that means that I think they got 3 towers in total. They got tier 1, tier 2 in mid, and they got the tier 1 in the top lane as well. And Rogue were able to get a shutdown onto Nisqy. So I think the Fnatic, in terms of the control that they got off the back of that, are overall going to be pretty happy.
Oh yeah, especially with this dragon coming up right now. Fnatic need to find their way into the pit, though. It looks like Rogue is going to be first to the play. Fnatic just running there, ignoring waves, making sure they can get some kind of setup to stop the Thresh from being able to find picks with hooks before they walk in. Looks like Rogue just going to give this one up.
And this fight is going to be so difficult. The GP ult has been helpful, yes, but Odoamne hasn't been able to use the full kit in the fights for a long time. And similarly, Upset now at 2 items, going for the lethality build on the Aphelios. That's a lot of burst damage on a very, very squishy Rogue lineup. They have no true tank, and their engaged support is a Thresh, not a champion who survives for a very long amount of time. They are very vulnerable if they misstep even once.
They certainly are. For the time being, Fnatic, they're comfortable. With 3 Drakes, 2k gold leads, and as you rightly said, a lot of their core itemization being completed, Rogue has to play a little defensively now. The good news for Rogue is that Hansama has just secured his 2nd item. This is where we're getting to the point where this Jinx is starting to be a little bit more scary. If the Infinity Edge comes through 3rd, that is the potential turning point for Rogue, where Hansama can really pop off.
think the important thing for Rogue is you have really good range. You know, Jinx range with rockets, GP ultimate, Orianna shockwave with the ball. They have really good range to play on, whereas Fnatic need to get in your face. They need to pop a Aphelios ult with the Graviton to get an engage. They need to get Trundle pillars. They need to get on top of you to be able to take you down. But now Rogue's carries have flash up. They are behind, yes, but if you look at the items, Upset and Hands both sitting on 2 right now. We'll see what Upset picks up from this base, but Mountain Soul points. Rogue are forced to fight in the next 4 minutes.
It's very difficult now for Rogue. 13-5 in the regular season, clearly the best team in best of 1, but they have struggled now in best of 5s. 3-7 record heading into this game overall. Only those 3 wins versus Misfits. They need to find 3 against Fnatic if they want to make it to finals, because ultimately, no matter what that record looks like, if you're going to lift the trophy, if you're going to make it to the finals, it's still a split of success. They are so far from that now, behind in gold in what could be their final game. They have to dig deep. They have to find moments. And for Inspired, it looks like it might mean chasing Adam out of the area, out of the pit.
Inspired just covering for Larssen right now as he pushes out the bot wave. Fnatic doing the same thing in mid and top. They're going to use this power to move into the enemy jungle. You can see the Bwipo Hylissang duo doing what they often do. Working together, getting this vision down, stealing away enemy jungle camps, and ultimately providing safety for Nisqy to push out this top wave all the way into the tier 2.
Yeah, their only objective, like you said, is this tier 2, but they don't have very good siege champions. Like we said, only one range champion, the Aphelios. These melee champs will never be able to hit the tower against the GP Orianna, so Rogue, good news for them. They have a lot of wave clear, but Fnatic don't really have to overforce. 20 seconds on the Baron. With the Aphelios, they should have a pretty decent Baron when they turn and burn for it, but again, they can just play the slow game. Yes, they might get outscaled, but if they keep this comfortable lead and force this Mountain Soul, eventually Rogue's gonna have to fight.
That's very much where I agree with you, Kadril, mainly because of this Mountain Soul and the fact that Fnatic can force Rogue into them. Say, hey, if you don't fight us here, we're gonna secure this, and you're gonna be in a lot more trouble than you already are. So I think that Fnatic primarily playing towards that win condition. You can see the Zhonya's already completed for Nisqy as well. A whole item up over his lane opposition. Adam getting very close to his Starks as they're looking for a dive on the loss.
No mana either. It's just forced to flash out immediately. Fnatic now collapsing on that tower. They don't really have much of a wave to back them up. Hansama and Trimby in the area means it should be difficult for them to take, but not paying any mind to the Baron yet. Rogue really no tools to start that one off unless they have 5 members in the area. Fnatic absolute control of the bottom side of the map. 2 minutes to that Mountain Drake, but they keep the control up like this on the bottom side, they'll have first access to that soul point.
You can see how hard it is for them to take towers unless Upset's in the vicinity. Worst case, Rogue have an emergency button in the GP ult to force them away completely, but again, Fnatic didn't overforce. They just got Larsen's flash and backed off. That flash won't be up for this Mountain Soul. So that's a win for Fnatic in their books. They're going to put bot side vision down and they're going to base, re-establish their vision, pick up Mythics onto Hylissang. They're sitting in a pretty comfortable position right now. Rogue don't have that much playmaking to force and engage, so they just kind of have to sit back and relax and wait for this dragon.
And I don't know, Kadra, what do you think? If you're in this sort of position, you know, you're down 2-0, do you feel like sitting back and relaxing is the better play style, or do you feel like there's more pressure on having to constantly make plays and be proactive?
Well, it's what your draft gives you, really, isn't it? Because their draft doesn't have any point-and-click engage unless they hit a hook or someone overextends from Fnatic. So with what they've got, despite, you know, being maybe a little bit out of it, because, you know, you're down 0-2 under the pressure, you're behind, realistically, there's not much you can do unless someone finds some kind of hero play where Larsen might push out top and then sit behind him in a bush, put a ward down, and then try to flank someone in some universe, and then maybe turn that into a Baron. But for now, I think Rogue's only real option is for wait for Fnatic to start up an objective or wait for some kind of mistakes.
But I mean, this is the thing, right? I think that if I was Rogue in this position, you know that it's on Fnatic to be the aggressors. You know, it's on them to set up this vision, to use this gold lead, because as long as Rogue keep farming, keep stalling, I think that they know that at a certain point they will be able to win fights. They showcased that against Mad, and while they didn't end up winning that game, they really went toe-to-toe with that strong team fighting comp that they have. You know that the players on this roster are still very talented. They just can't afford to make a mistake.
Kwame pushed in bot there, was able to move mid. Now Nisqy's basing. He probably wants to TP in soon. They're pinging a ward very deep on the Krugs there. Maybe he wants to look for TP there, and that's TP behind. For now, mid-wave contest.
Upset potentially ready for a fight here. TP coming back into the mid lane. Well highlighted there on the ward, but it looks like they're not quite looking for the flank yet. Nisqy can step forward. Has his pick of the litter for enemy ultimates. See what they want to go for. Bwipo throwing down the pillar. They maybe caught them in the pinch. Nisqy goes gold and buys a brief moment. Upset. So much damage coming in, and it's immediately Adam into the backside. They're just shredding through Rogue. Odoamne wants to get something done, but his ultimate's been stolen away to slow down Hansama. Fnatic taking the fight. 3 quick kills picked up for nothing in exchange for Rogue, and they will set their sights on the Baron.
And just like that, Upset wipes Rogue off the map. That ultimate was massive, and Fnatic dominate Rogue. They will secure themselves the Soul, they will secure themselves the Baron, and I think that they are going to secure themselves a spot in the final.
Yeah, it was so well played from Fnatic. Slightly patient at the start, but then, like you said, Upset's ultimate on top of Larsen having no flash means they just got whitewashed instantly when they tried to walk up through that choke. As much as the setup was good with the hook initially. Oh, the rocket. Going in, can they... Close. Close. For a second there, I thought they might have it if it hit onto a champion. But the coaching staff giving them a clap there, and just like you said, Vedius, that Aphelios ultimate was absolutely massive. And on top of that, Larsen having no flash, being forced into this choke to try and find some vision to contest this on top of a pillar. There's nowhere he can really run.
Oh my god, just look at the damage. The Renekton on top of them as well. Adam's target selection was flawless. And just, you could see that Rogue was setting up for this point. They wanted to get on the objective first, but that pillar onto the flashless Larsen made it so impossible for him to play. Look at the damage difference.
There's nothing like pushing one button and doing 2.8K.
You're an Aphelios extraordinaire, aren't you?
That's enough years to bring a tear to my eye.
Yeah, you can literally see the number of years in the damage bar right there.
That's right. Ooh.
Props to Adam as well, though. Good follow-up. Flash E gets the Q Gore Drinker on top of the AoE that Upset was doing. He had a fantastic fight too, and now Fnatic completely in the driver's seat. So far ahead in gold. Mountain Soul stacked up. They've got Baron. Adam has TP. Bwipo's pushing in mid. Maybe Rogue can find some kind of engage here to stop the siege.
Upset, and the rest of Fnatic push forward. Upset getting hooked is massive. He has no defensive tools. He goes golden, though. He buys a moment. He has the stopwatch. Is it going to be enough? Hylissang gets locked in by the trap, so he can't body block the initial follow-up for the damage, but Upset now running. They're taking away a lot of time on this bear, and that is good for Rogue. Yes, they do not get the kill, but they slow Fnatic down for a brief moment. That said, Bwipo wants the 1v1 versus Odoamne. He's hitting the barrel. He's no stranger to this champion. Odoamne can't pop the barrel, but Bwipo can pop Odo, no problem.
There's the solo kill with the Sunder and the red smite. Bwipo gets the win out there. Adam looking for the dive is going to back off, but Rogue used a couple of ultimates trying to pick off Upset.
Ulti good damage comes up. Now he's going to find the snare fall. Niski off to the side waiting, but keep in mind, in the meantime, Bwipo is just taking this inhibitor tower uncontested. Upset backing away. Hylissang trying to buy as much space as possible. That's an ult across 3. Only Hansama relatively unscathed overall, but Niski now on the backside. Fnatic collapsing as a unit. It's going to be a bloodbath. Larsen has to run for the hills, but no one else will survive. Fnatic obliterating Rogue in the last few exchanges. It's absolute dominance.
That is a clean ace for Fnatic. There is no one left standing in Rogue's way, and Fnatic have gone through the gauntlet and will make their way back to the final.
They have struggled, they have persevered, but in summer, Fnatic rebuilt. They have made it to the summit of the mountain, and only Mad Lions stand in front of them.
What an impressive series from Fnatic from start to finish. Every single game looked like they were dominating. The Brotherhood is hugging. They've made it to the finals. This wasn't a 5-game series. This was just a clean, clinical 3-0.
Unbelievable performance from Fnatic, and disappointment as expected across the faces of Rogue. This team made it to the finals last split. They fell short and they thought that they would be better, but they could not be better than the roster of Fnatic. This rebuild, this combination of young and old, this roster will make its way back to the final and will have the opportunity for Fnatic to sit atop the LEC once more.
And the incredible tenacity that has brought them this far has allowed them to play 18 games in the regular season, and 18 games here in the playoffs will be tested one more time tomorrow against the Mad Lions. One final best of 5 to decide who is the undisputed best team in the LEC. Fnatic have gone through literally every other playoffs contender. If they win versus the Mad Lions, there is no debate. There are no excuses. Fnatic will be the best.
I mean, what else is there to say? It's just, I don't think we've ever seen this before. For a team to go, like, I believe the only other 5th seed was Unicorns of Love. Back, I think it was, I forget which year it was.
Yeah, and a completely different format. And almost a completely...
It was 2015 was when UOL and the 5th seed made it to the final. Fnatic is the only other 5th seed in LEC history to make it to a final.
In the old format, the most best of 5s you would have to play to make it to the final was 2. You'd have to win a quarter and you'd have to win a semi. And if you lost, you'd go to 3rd or you get knocked out in quarters. Here in this case,
this was Fnatic's 4th best of 5. They have a 5th best of 5 coming up. Every single team in playoffs, there's a chance they take them all out.
The 05 comfort zone, clearly. This is the Fnatic special.
Adam undefeated in best of 5s.
Yeah.
There you go. Certainly a good record to have. Key player of the series at LEC on Twitter. All the Fnatic players were stars in this one, but Bwipo, Niski, and Hilly are your options. Strong day for Fnatic, and of course for Rogue. It was hard. It was disappointing. It was not the run that they wanted. 3-8 closeout on the playoffs, only taking wins over Misfits as they fell short against the Mad Lions and Fnatic, but they'll get a chance for redemption. It will not be in the LEC, but it will be on the world stage.
Yeah, and going through play-ins, right? The loser of this goes to play-ins, winner goes straight to the group stage. We know who Europe's third seed is now. All that's left is who's the first and second.
And, I mean, we've had a lot of crazy play-in stories from Europe, so perhaps this could be a big opportunity for Rogue. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, big commiserations, but huge props to Fnatic. They're looking strong going into the finals.
Certainly are, and of course, we're soon going to hear from Niski before Whippo joins us in the post-game lobby, so don't go anywhere. But here it is Mad Lions that will reign supreme in the pit. They will lock World for themselves, and they will move up to face Rogue.
Mad Lions somehow are winning these fights. Mad Lions with one of the greatest comebacks I have seen this year. They make their way to finals.
Esport is not a sport.
Hey guys, it's not a sport.
Okay, wrap it up. It's not a sport.
It's over, no goodbye.
Not a sport? Huh? Who gives a shit? Welcome back to the LEC. Get ready for the match of the week in the battle.
The systems are overloading. We can't risk another game.
We need to take a break and regroup.
We're starting to lose our mind. Captain, we cannot go back to Elo Hell. Last time it took us months to get out of it.
Initiate break protocol.
Hurry up!
Yes! Yes! I did it! We did it! We did it!
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
And welcome back to the LEC stage. Fnatic will play in the grand finals tomorrow, but also they will start from the main events at Worlds 2021. And Niski, thank you for joining me. Congrats on reaching finals.
Thank you.
Tell me about today. It was such a one-sided series, which I did not expect, but what did you think about these games?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah?
I actually thought Rogue would be actually better than what they showed today. I feel like maybe they just had like a really bad day. Like they made a lot of mistakes, I'd say, in the early game, which made us snowball really hard. And I think some of their, I mean, not necessarily draft, but like their prep maybe was not the best, in my opinion. Because, I mean, I'm not going to say what it is, but I think they griefed sometimes. And yeah, I don't know. We just played our game and they were just kind of playing defensive, and that's how we took the victory today.
There was a lot of people talking about Rogue and the state of the team right now because they'll be representing us at Worlds. So since you played against them, can you tell me more about what you think is missing from Rogue now?
From Rogue or from Europe?
From Rogue.
Oh.
No, Europe is good now.
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I felt like before they would always play with like their bot lane, getting ahead, and they would usually have mid push, like not necessarily, they would play like Lucian and all these pushing mids, but now Larsen's playing like mostly control mages, which I'm not sure why. Feel like, for example, Inspired is a great jungler if you can play around him, but today his mid was getting pushed in, I think, every game, so it made it hard for him as well. So yeah, I am not sure, to be honest, on what they have to do to get back into shape, but I hope they will figure it out and they will have a good show at the Plains.
Yeah, hopefully. And I mean, you talk about mid lane and how Larsen was in difficulties, but I don't think we should take any credit for your performance today, Niski. You are the Kia player of the series. Doesn't come as any surprise, I think, from you. But we often talk about how the Fnatic team has come together over the past few weeks, how you found your form. But what about you? I mean, you've been popping off, especially since playoff. I mean, the sky is the limit for right now for you, Niski. How strong do you feel?
I mean, I feel really good. I feel like I figured my meta. I figured how I want to play the game. My team knows how I actually want to play my champions and my lane. And when I have TP, when I don't want to TP, all that. And it makes it easier for me. But also, I feel like I've learned over the split, playing against Humanoid, Caps, Larsen, I feel like makes you just a better player. And yeah, I'm really excited tomorrow to see how I will do against Humanoid, because I think we kind of share like kind of same champ pool and we kind of play similar. So I'm excited to see what will happen tomorrow.
When you think about the way you play lately and the fact that you just have Humanoid standing in front of you, do you feel like he's the last step you have to face to be the best mid laner in the LEC?
Yeah, I'd say if I beat Matt tomorrow, then I can confidently say that I'll be the best mid in EU. But for that, we need to wait tomorrow, sadly.
We'll see about that a bit later in the interview. But thinking about Fnatic, I mean, you played 18 games. That's as many as you guys played in the regular season, actually. That's crazy. So first, how are you not exhausted after all this, Niski?
I have no idea, actually. I think it's probably like the adrenaline and we tried so hard to get here. Yeah. And also we take like some off days and we actually make sure our schedule is really good so that everyone is like really rested. And I think it's just a good, I don't know, we're just doing good. You know, our coaching staff is doing great. And us as players, we know that we have to sleep well and eat well. Like we don't go out randomly and all that shit. Like we're all really committed and it shows. I think everyone is really motivated and it shows, you know. So I'm really glad that we won.
And a healthy schedule, which I'm happy to hear about. But I mean, we often talk about how important it is to have stage experience. So how much do you think you benefited from having played that many games before reaching finals?
I mean, I don't think it benefited us except for Adam, I'd say.
Okay.
I think the four of us, except Adam, we are really experienced players. We kind of know how to play from a deficit on stage. We know how different it is from playing online. But for me, it was important that Adam felt really comfortable on stage because communication is different. And when you're behind, usually you're like struggling way more. And I feel like he's been doing pretty good. So I'm happy that he found his way, I guess, to on stage.
And big task for him tomorrow, first LEC final. But also, the last time that Fnatic won an LEC finals was in summer 2018 against Schalke and Wolfir. What do you think about Fnatic's chances to take it tomorrow and how strong you feel against Mad Lions? And okay, in a couple words, tell me why you're going to win tomorrow.
I mean, I'd say Mad is still a really good team. I do believe the way we play right now is actually pretty clean. And I think Mad will show a lot of resistance, I'd say, to our gameplay. And will show resistance to their aggression as well. So I just want to see on how both teams are going to collapse, I guess, in a way. But yeah, I think if we play our game tomorrow, I have no doubt in my mind that we'll win. But I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was today. but I'm confident, and I just want to see how well we'll do against Matt, because for me, that's like the last step of EU, yeah.
I can imagine. Well, that's a story for tomorrow. But for now, Niski, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank
I'm very
you.
excited about the mid-lane matchup for tomorrow. Yeah, have a good evening. I'll see you tomorrow. And for now, that's all for us. And we'll take a couple minutes of break. And we'll be back for the post-game lobby with Shox and Bwipo. See you soon.
You took me to a state of mind. Oh yeah, a place I never thought I'd find. Oh yeah, believe me, I would never lie. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. I'm getting higher and higher, the skies are falling. Desire, desire, the fire within burn brighter and brighter. Your hands on my skin and I never felt this way before, my love. You give me feelings, don't you ever stop. I know addictions can be dangerous. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. Don't mind it, run, you shine like gold. Oh yeah, you show me where and I will go. Oh yeah, for you I would sell my soul. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. I'm getting higher and higher, the skies are falling. Desire, desire, the fire within burn brighter and brighter. Your hands on my skin and this way before, my love. You give me feelings, don't you ever stop. I know addictions can be dangerous. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. Don't mind it, run,
welcome to the LEC post-game lobby. I'm Shox, joined by Ender and Bwipo. 3-0 for Fnatic in the semifinal. You didn't need a game 5 this time.
True.
It was only 3 games. Wow, congratulations. First up, just congratulations about getting to the final, because we've never had like anything of what happened in your lower bracket run. The fact that you have to beat and almost have beaten every single team in playoffs, if you beat the Mad Lions now, the fact that you've played so many games, the fact that you've had 3 game 5s, and now the fact, I think also, that you so convincingly 3-0 Rogue. What's gotten into you and this team?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think we're just playing really good. One thing that I think that we lacked is we didn't really help each other play the game. And in game, it's sometimes difficult to help each other play the game because you can come off as pretty toxic or pretty, like, not toxic necessarily, but like very annoying. Because it is annoying, right? Like you're playing the game and someone's like, please don't fight, please don't fight, please don't fight. And we were lacking that. We were just letting people play their game. And often people would like make small mistakes, right? And we would have happy games rather than just clean and not necessarily so clean, but still convincing wins.
Yeah, and I mean, after today, you've played exactly as many games in the postseason as you played in the regular season. And I mean, we speculate, of course, but that can only be a benefit, right? Especially with like you transitioning into jungle, Adam, of course, in the top lane as a rookie. Like it seems like, and today is maybe a little bit of proof of it, like you guys have only like ramped up substantially throughout playoffs.
No, 100%. I think that the amount of games we played gave us a lot of time to look at our weaknesses. Obviously, especially Mad, you know, they're going to have 18 games to check what we were up to compared to them. I think they have 8 games, so we actually have more than double of games played, which means obviously when it comes to stage jitters and everything, we are advantaged, but they have a lot of information on us, so we'll have to make sure that we double check everything we do and make sure we're in a good spot, which is honestly one of the reasons why we've been so successful. I think that we really focus on this. Like we're aware of what the opponents know about us, and I think that's one of the most annoying things about playing against Fnatic is we're not always sure what we're gonna do. So it's pretty hard to figure out what we're thinking.
I mean, good point. I think when it comes to jungle specifically, Inspired was crowned, I think, the rightful regular season MVP right before this, but then. Like, I mean, does that play in your head at all that you're like, just beating the MVP hand?
No, for sure. And he got MVP, so when I locked in Trundle in game 3, I was like, I need to beat him both sides. Like, I need to play Trundle and beat him on Viego's side because I felt pretty convinced that I got the upper hand on him on Viego's side, so I was low-key hoping he was going to lock into Viego there and I would get a nice little both sides win.
You think people are sleeping on Trundle again?
No, I don't think people are sleeping on him at all. Like, Rogue picked him 1-2 twice, right? It's just a matter of, yeah, he's a bit more delicate than people give him credit for, and I think you need to be quite smart in how to use Subjugate, how to use the pillar, and I could tell he was not a very experienced Trundle player, and it shows.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy seeing you, especially, I mean, both sides of the matchup, previous series as well, and just watching you just be completely unleashed in the enemy jungle. We were sort of talking about this a little bit before, but I feel like a lot of people that have been playing the jungle role for a long time are a little bit more tentative than that, you know, because they've gotten bit a lot playing solo queue. They invade, they go super deep to get the kill, and they get collapsed on by their enemy lanes. But you and your teammates are just completely unhinged, running in, killing everything. You want blood, you smell it.
100%. I mean, as a laner, I know when it's like, oh, I really don't want to move. Like, oh, God, you know, the moment there's like, your jungler's getting invaded, and you're just like, oh, please, no, I don't want to move right now. Like, my wave is bad. And I play on that a lot. Like, for me, I definitely know when the laners don't want to move. And when I have my little 1v1 session. Obviously, also when I'm stronger, I try to leverage it. I think in general, invading is not something that's like, it's necessary to win. So a lot of people don't put priority on it, but it creates a lot of pressure, right? In a situation where your bot lane is equal or stronger, if Viego is fighting me, like in this case, level 3, like my bot lane got a double kill in the meanwhile, right? Like I think they got a double kill or 1-for-0.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving them information. Like Viego cannot interfere, right? Like it's basically a cage match. Me versus Inspired, my bot lane versus their bot lane. I think all of us would sign up for that right now if we had the chance. So I try to make it happen.
Yeah, Fnatic usually winning their cage matches. I'm actually really curious in sort of how you, I know players don't necessarily like choose a style, but how you developed your style, because as a, you know, laner that has played professionally for quite some time now and played with a lot of different styles of junglers, like Brox and Selfmade to me couldn't be like 2 more different players. How do you feel like that experience has informed and developed your own personal style?
I mean, for me, I've always wanted to be someone that can turn it on and turn on the farming, turn off the farming. Like I want to be able to change what my team needs me to do. Like that's why for me playing Trundle, I feel very comfortable because I think I can surprise people. Because for the most part of the split, I've been farming a lot. I've been a jungler that prioritizes full clearing, gets the gold, and then comes out with a big power spike. I get my mythic, I do some action, and then I go back to farming. Like I actually farm a lot when I look at the games I play, and my team gives me that space. So when I suddenly start playing Trundle and I'm trying to pillar you in the face more than I'm trying to farm, it changes the style a lot. And I think that for me, try to be aware of what I'm doing, and I try to be aware of what my team needs me to do in order to win games or at least play comfortably.
A final question maybe about the series. I saw specifically in this last game, you ended up in a 1v1 quite late into the game with the Gangplank. So is that an example how you actually know perfectly well how this interaction works? And not like as from the Gangplank side, right? I'm not saying that junglers usually don't know, but do you feel like you have an advantage in those specific situations?
Of course, I have a lot of experience playing very unique champions. It's actually quite funny. Like when I play Viego and the opponent plays Gangplank, I feel like I'm the only jungler that can pick up Gangplank and actually do something with the champion. So
that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's happened more once or twice in scrims, and I think a lot of laners are like very surprised. You know, like they see a jungler pick up Viego and they're like, or pick up Gangplank. They're like, this guy's trolling, and then they're like, wait, what? This guy just destroyed me. So in general, I knew I was going to beat him there. I knew that I would all in. I had a window there to all in him. All I needed to make sure is I wasn't outnumbered, and as soon as I looked bot, I was like, oh, well, this guy's dead.
That Viego point is actually such a good point. I'm going to start tracking it now tomorrow.
You should. There's actually a lot of junglers that pick up champions, and they're like, they like insta swap out. They're like, whatever.
Yeah. It's so good. I do want to touch on Rogue for a little bit. I want to pull up this tweet by Inspired. So he tweeted like, what was really funny to me, he tweeted, oh, Nisqy, I hope you get doing me in your group, which is quite funny. But also, I don't know what's wrong with us. And I think that sums up what we've all been feeling about Rogue so far, right? Because the tricky thing about it is that they've been in winning positions in games and lost them. They've been in losing positions where they're able to claw back, but then not able to clutch it out when it matters the most. And it's hard for me to kind of pinpoint it. Whippo, what's your read on what's going on with Rogue now?
It's very difficult to say. I think they have individually talented players, and I think that the hardest part about being a team and being successful in a competitive game is being able to be the sum of all parts. And for me, that's the biggest issue that Rogue has, is that when it comes to playoffs, it doesn't feel like they're the sum of all parts ever.
This, by the way, is live. Larson is still sitting. I think that's Isma, but he's still on stage, obviously, pretty distraught. And I mean, what he's thinking about now, obviously, is one, really sucks, can't get back to those finals. Plus, Worlds is factually just around the corner, a couple of weeks away. So, Ender, you know, I know there's a lot of social hubbub right now about, first up, Rogue won the games they needed to win to get to Worlds. If you want to be mad at anyone, be mad at the format, but don't be mad at Rogue, right? You need to give them the benefit of the doubt that they have that time to improve, but right now, it just looks dire.
I think there's going to be a lot of learnings that they can take away from this playoffs, because, I mean, we saw, like, last week them, like, go away from the prio lanes that were so successful for them in the regular season. Today, first 2 games, like, they went all in on like, prio lanes, top bot lane especially, and didn't quite work for them. So I feel like for this team, we know, as you said, players individually exceptionally talented. I do feel like a bit of a weakness for them is when it comes to, like, their approach, especially in draft, it seems like often it's about individual matchups a lot of the time. And I think they prioritize those things. And then you see in the game, the team play start to fall apart a little bit, right? Like Larson couldn't have a huge impact on the map in their series today when their side lanes desperately needed help, right? They have winning matchups on their own, but the second a team like Fnatic or Mad Lions take fights to you, all of a sudden that starts to fall apart. That's something they're going to have to improve on moving into Worlds. But I will also say, they have maybe the blessing of going through play-ins as 3rd seed. Like, legitimately, take some time, work on it. Don't pull a Mad Lions and get eliminated like last year. But legitimately, I feel like this is a team that after this playoffs, they need that warm-up going into Worlds.
100%. I think the biggest issue they have is that they have, and I'm going to do, like, I don't like doing this coaching a little bit, but they're going to Worlds with us, so why not? My perspective is they have terrible habits, like terrible. Like, a lot of their players have terrible habits. We call out that they're going to do it. They've been doing it for years. They're still doing it. We're still killing them. It's still working out. And this is one thing that they really need to fix, in my opinion. And the other thing is...
Beppo, examples, please.
Examples? I don't want to go too much into examples because I don't help them too much.
Then he's doing the research for the other teams.
Okay.
So
the LPL don't need any more help.
That's true.
For me, like a big example of something that as a team I think they do awfully is they give you so much breathing room until the next objective. Like, you get time to set up, you get time to look for picks, you get time to do stuff, and they don't force really hard when they have a man advantage. They just give you breathing room. And you don't get to do that and get away with it unless you're playing, like, super watertight. And like I mentioned, their habits are pretty bad, which means they're not watertight. And then what ends up happening is you get time, you get picks. Usually that's the recipe for a comeback.
So I feel like so much of the conversation, because you look at it, Rogue super successful in the regular season, and this is like spanning now like 2 years almost, and faltering when it comes to the playoffs time. And it's somewhat hard to speculate to the reason why, but one of the things that I believe is, like, of course, other teams improve so much over the course, and you talk about bad habits. Do you think that it's a combination of like learning the bad habits that Rogue make? Because you can't argue that Rogue are not a phenomenal best of one team. Like regular season, they're absolutely crushing it.
I mean, I think in best of one, they're really good at getting ahead. And then when you get ahead, these habits are hard. Like, it's hard to throw a game when you're 9K gold ahead, right?
Yeah.
When you're 6K gold ahead.
You guys can do it.
I mean, we managed, Rogue's managed. No doubt some of the, like, you need to be, a good team can manage always. That one hurt.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. Point I was trying to make, they get really big gold leads. The habits don't shine through because of the gold leads. Yeah. You don't realize until you have to actually play out multiple games. You don't get big gold leads. You have to play well as a team. And like, I think the combination of the fact that they will wait until the dragon spawns to fight. Like, for example, the last game we played, when you're behind and you're playing a scaling comp, that's necessary, right? But in the second game, I feel like we got a lot of time to look for picks. We never really got punished, and there were some big fights. And then they had the Rise ult where Hans got left behind. That one was, I mean, that was just unfortunate, right? But that's an idea. That's what I would like to see more from them, right? Like, that was not, there wasn't an objective there. It was just, this guy's top, we have Rise ult, let's make a pick, let's go on him right now. That's like the aggression that, it happens from the game state, right? Like, the game is in a situation where if Nisqy pushes top, we should punish him because we have mid priority, right? This is the type of calls you want to see when you're ahead and you want to make an action happen. This is what you see from G2, this is what you see from Mad Lions, this is what you hopefully see from Fnatic. And that's our top 3 right now, and I was happy to see that. And I mean, I was very happy to see that because Hans didn't get picked up, but it's reassuring to see that they at least have the minerals to make that happen.
On the upside, though, didn't pause when Hans was left out of the Rise ult. So
yeah, I mean,
maybe they should have.
I have a great experience with Rise ults now after many games of getting Rise ults.
Yeah, I did see that you guys learned.
Oh yeah, I made sure I was in it. I clicked on it and I whoop, hands off, and I made it. Great. But yeah, he was definitely outside of the Rise ult, and I called it beforehand. He will not make it.
Yeah.
I was sure.
You was sure.
My Rise experience paying off.
Yeah, you've learned the Rise studies. I'm glad you're playing ball here. Sorry, I'm tossing you some curveballs. The final thing I want to touch on is something you mentioned actually before we sat down. Was, you know, in the whole discussion of the teams we're sending to Worlds and how they got there, and you called out the fact that LPL has one of the most gruesome gauntlets ever to make it to Worlds, and then it was like an aha moment for me, like, well, of course, then all the teams that are going to be there from the LPL are going to be great because they basically do what you did in the lower bracket. All of the teams do it. I don't know where I'm getting at because I'm kind of dissing our own format in that regard, but...
I mean, I think it's really interesting. I believe even if you make finals, you have a chance to drop out, which is ridiculous, right? Like, to me, at least, in our current format, like, it's never really been, when you make finals in summer, like, you're almost guaranteed to go to Worlds, unless your summer split was like, or your spring split was like abysmal, you know? Yeah. Shout out to Upset in 2018, I believe. Yeah, just want to throw this out there. No, but basically making summer and making finals in summer, it was a ticket to Worlds most of the time, or you had like a really good spot in the gauntlet. And even though that's still true in China, it's crazy that like so many teams have yet to play. Like I think there's like 5 or 6 teams still that have to play in LPL, and it's like finals weekend now.
It's crazy, yeah. Like, and hey, I love that you brought this up because, by the way, going to be doing some LPL next week. I'll be the analyst desk for finals, casting some gauntlets. So if you want to watch the gruesome bracket as you described it, it'll be a bloodbath.
Lovely. So I don't want to keep Whippo too long anymore because you've got a final to get to tomorrow. But you've now won 4 best-of-5 series in a row. You're the only team to win this many best-of-5s ever, this many series in the LEC playoffs. Yeah, it's nuts. I told you before, Ender, you were kind of gasping about it, right? Just a second ago.
You didn't even get double elimination. No. Like, we're actually going into a final where neither team has lost a series in playoffs, which is pretty sweet. Because that's for sure never happened before.
Yeah. And for Whippo, we were talking about it before too, but Fnatic and you in that regard haven't won a title since 2018. And you were saying I got subbed out, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah, the last title we won was in 2018 summer. And I got subbed out after the first game, and then my team won a quick 3-0 without me. So I was pretty sad about that. I wanted to contribute more, and I'm really looking forward to make this one count.
If you guys want to watch a cool piece of content, there's tons from LEC, but there's specifically a piece that was shot with Whippo last week. It's up on the YouTube channel, and I think once we have an hour or so, you know, we can talk about the fact this is actually nuts. You get subbed out, they win, you get to Worlds Finals. You probably think like the world is coming down on you after that Finals. Fast forward to now, you get swapped into the jungle, you make it to the finals. Dude, there's a Lifetime movie just there.
I mean, It's nice. It's nice that people trust me. They trust me all the way. I feel very grateful for the opportunities I had, and ultimately for me, I'm very grateful to the organization and the players I've played with so far. I think that I've been nothing but blessed with the opportunities I've gotten, and whilst I do have the confidence to say that I made the most out of it, at least what I'm capable of, I intend to do more still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's still like mid lane support.
Support's actually the only role I wouldn't play. I don't think I have great insight on support at all.
I think you'd be a crazy. You'd be like Hilly basically. You've got a Hilly, so it's fine.
I don't think I would be actually. I think as a support player, it's like the insight he has on the map and the insights he has when playing the game. This is it's honestly you don't get to to appreciate it.
Can you convince him to come on PGL once? Because he's always like
I've tried last time.
Yeah,
I tried to convince him last time, but for the thing about Hilly is it's actually ridiculous the insight he has in the game. It's not human for a support player in the matchups that he's playing to show up mid 2v2 consistently at the right timings without bleeding bot lane like crazy, right? Huge props to Upset and Hilly for that, right? Like people don't realize it. We're blind picking Rakan and our Rakan is flashing on people mid and not losing lane. Like they're not getting smashed, right? Like it's crazy. The insight that he has to be there at the right time consistently. It's not something that you can really find in players. And I don't think, for example, stuff like this, these small things, is something that I would be able to accomplish without crazy amount of practice. And the small things is really where the difference between a support like Hylissang and the rest of the league, for me at least, start to show. And that's why for me he's 100% the best support in the league, maybe even the world.
Oof. Well, you can't train that exactly, right? That is just gut feeling. So let's talk about tomorrow then against maybe the other or the best support in the league, Kaiser. It's up in the air. We'll see. Up versus the Mad Lions. I think this is just a super exciting matchup. I feel like you guys are stylistically kind of similar in some regards. I think especially the willingness for aggression, but also your ability to make the level-headed plays in the mid game, be it from a deficit or ahead. Am I correct in that?
I think they play as a team super well. I think that's the most impressive thing about the Mad Lions. It has been for years now. I think they're a unit, like full unit, and they will always like they're together from the start until the finish. For example, I think the difference between us and Mad Lions is that we rely more on timings, right? Like this is a good timer for me to make a play. This is a good timer for Niski to make a play. Mad Lions, it feels like they know which timers before the game is played, right? I think that's the biggest difference that I can see between us and the Mad Lions, and it's very impressive to see. I think that their coaching staff has done a phenomenal job at integrating this into their players, and their players have done a phenomenal job of making that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at tomorrow and 2 kills a minute, 3 kills a minute, just like complete bloodbath on the Rift, because you guys are, I mean, especially like Mad Lions against Rogue, like super aggressive early games. I feel like you're teams that always are looking to find that fight, you know? Like today it seemed like you guys were kind of like, let's just draft a bunch of champions that can fly across the screen and start fights whenever we want to, and it works wonderfully because you see those openings and you absolutely take them. And I also like, I wasn't even eyeing mid lane as being like the most insane matchup, but after Niski's performance today, Niski versus Humanoid, both of them playing like the Rise, these roaming champions, like it feels to me like almost how I would view a like Fnatic G2 in the past, where like we had like roaming mid lane champions and both teams were just like complete warlords going for fights all the time. That's the vibes I'm getting in terms of style of the teams in a way.
I can see that.
Please don't be a 3-0. Please don't be a 3-0. I mean, you probably want it for your side. I understand it, but you know, from us, we
I feel like 5 games is more fun.
Hilly brought up a really good point. He likes game 5 because it means we've won at least 2 games. And it's like, oh, he has a point. He has a really good point there.
Love it. Regardless, tomorrow we'll have the LEC warm-up from 11 a.m. There's going to be so much content. There's going to be, did you know there's Chat Plays Scuttle Crab? You remember Twitch Plays Pokemon?
Holy, that sounds
That's
insane.
fun. You should actually probably like reviewing VODs, but it'll be fun. Yeah. There's also a lot of content. I don't think Ocelot will be in his hot tub this time with his trophies.
I'm hot tub of tears.
We don't know
maybe?
this.
I don't know.
Oh, Kevin, do you know something I don't? Oh, he knows something.
Ooh,
can't be revealed.
interesting.
Anyway, you're just going to have to watch. Okay, well, that will be all from us here tonight. First up, thank you so much, Ender, and thank you, Bwipo. The best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
It's going to be awesome. And you can also watch the LCS semifinal right now between 100 Thieves and Cloud9. We'll be back tomorrow for the LEC Summer Finals between Mad Lions and Fnatic. You do not want to miss it.
It's Cloud9 plays Scuttle Crab.
They have a pretty bad record. They have a pretty bad record.
I don't know.
I don't know.
in Germany for the LEC Finals weekend. Fnatic, they fought their way back through the lower brackets, but two series still remain on the road towards the LEC title. Tonight, they go up against Rogue, who have a lot to prove.
Where's the Black Shield? What options does he have? He's now used it on Hansama, but it doesn't matter. All the physical damage just shredding him down. Maybe going to look for the dive here on Hansama. Incredibly low. Black Shield is going to do some work, but it's not going to stop Niski from Realm warping in. Hansama now going to be in trouble, trying to backstep so he doesn't get hit by the extended range of the E. But now, Whipple locked up under the tower. The chain CC not quite enough to finish the job. They should be able to grab two quick and easy kills here. Fnatic never gave them away back into this game one with absolute dominance and a 15K gold lead. Fnatic will take game one in this semifinal. Niski immediately going to go throw down the ultimate. Larson, could he just get killed? Could he get picked up in the exchange? Niski, it does get taken. No, he takes, he burns.
Oh, here we go.
Whippo, now we see the collapse.
Up into Niski, the immediate ult coming out, but it's a clean turn back. Maybe not enough for Larson, though, as he goes golden. Meanwhile, on the backside, Hansama's already dead. The fight hasn't even started. Rogue get one back in return, but Niski still stepping forward, goes golden. 2.5 seconds of time to buy, and Hylissang is there right on time. Niski standing strong. Inspire doesn't have the damage to finish the job. Fnatic finding a fight yet again. And when a push came to shove, Fnatic took the game.
Hasn't based yet. There's a TP behind, no flashes on all of them.
The Fnatic special. Now it's going to be Adam in the midst of the team, but that's the double TP going in. Niski going to go for the bomb. Stun. The Thresh is just too squishy. There's nothing he can do, and now it's Hansama who's going to be in trouble. He's got no mana, he's got no HP, he's got no life. See what they want to go for. Whipple throwing down the pillar. They maybe caught them in the pinch. Niski goes golden, buys a brief moment. Upset. So much damage coming in, and it's immediately Adam into the backside. They're just shredding through Rogue. But Niski now on the backside. Fnatic collapsing as a unit. It's going to be a bloodbath. Larson has to run for the hills, but no one else will survive. Fnatic obliterating Rogue in the last few exchanges. It's absolute dominance.
And Fnatic dominate Rogue. They will secure themselves a spot in the final.
I'm free!
Took me to a state of mind. Oh yeah, a place I never thought I'd find. Oh yeah, believe me, I would never lie. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. I'm getting higher and higher. The skies are falling. Desire, desire, the fire within burn brighter and brighter. Your hands on my skin and this way before, my love. You give me feelings, don't you ever stop. I know addictions can be dangerous. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. Don't mind it, run. You shine like gold. Oh yeah, you show me where and I will go. Oh yeah, for you I would sell my soul. I'm not giving you up, I won't give you up. I'm getting higher